very powerful family of swordsmen where he grew up. Jin, a boy who was destined for greatness and all he could wish for, but all his dreams fell apart after his family discovered that he lacked the most important talent for them. Exiled, he wandered without answers trying to rebuild his life. And when he thought he had a chance again, everything was taken from him once more. The youngest son of the sword master, the Ronkandel family, a family that dominates half the world thanks to the power of their sword. They are a renowned lineage whose members possess the physical and intellectual talent to master fencing. They have practically dominated the world, without anyone being able to confront them in combat. Conquest and control are the pillars that describe the essence of the Ronkandel family. That is the lineage into which Jean Ronkandel was born, the youngest son. As a child, he chose the sword of the family head since his destiny is to lead it. His father finds it interesting that he chose a sword as a child. Already being a young man, Jin believed that greatness awaited him, a future filled with admirers and respect, but that dream shattered. Jin has no talent with the sword, which leads the people around him to question whether he is truly a member of the Ronkandel family. The disgrace soon followed. He was called in various ways. The shame of Ronkandel, the family disgrace. The worst fool of the Ronkandels. In the palace, someone calls Jin. It is two boys who ask him why he wastes his time training. Besides wanting to know in a mocking tone where he has chosen his sword, both boys mock Jin, wanting to know why he uses a wooden sword instead of the sword he chose as a child. After taking a hit, Jin is left in pain on the ground. Jin notices he dropped the sword and lunges to grab it, but his brothers do not understand why he gets upset if they want to try wielding it. They think it is useless for him to keep practicing. Jin cannot help but make a face of pain, but also frustration at being unable to do anything. They find his basic fencing notes. Another reason to mock him. They do not believe he can improve even if he studies theory. They tell him that being useless means he doesn't deserve any opportunity, something they believe should be a universal rule. And while saying this, one of them breaks his sword. Jin naturally gets upset, wanting his weapon back. However, they do not stop. They exclaim that he doesn't know his place, implying that they do everything for his own good, but they don't miss the chance to mock him using their fencing instructor, whom they call the babysitter. In the afternoon, Jin reflects on his life, the harassment from his brothers, his lack of talent, besides his pathetic routine, but Jin does not care about any of that. His goal is to work hard. In this way, he hopes to gain the recognition of his family. He wants to become a respected member of his family. Or at least that is what Jin believed. Suddenly, he is informed of something terrible. He will be exiled from the Ronkandel family at 25 years old. He sighs about this, but remembers it could have been worse. They basically spared his life for his effort. All these years, this is how Jin began to travel the world aimlessly. During that time, he met his master, discovering in the process something that changed how he saw himself, that he did have talent. Although it was not just any attitude, he had talent for magic, something that was forbidden in the Ronkandel family. 3 years have passed since then. Jin experiments with his powers in his library using the mana of nature and his own mana to recover energy. Dark energy emerges from nowhere. He hears a sound behind. Jin gathers his courage and turns to ask who the entity is. "I am Soljared," is what Jin hears. Soon he sees a large figure. "I am the master of all shadows," says this. Soljared offers him her power, with which he will be able to use the shadows, as well as being able to break all the curses that afflict. Jin the shadow creature notices something in the young man's heart. Jin was hated by someone from a young age. This caused his talent to be stifled. Soljared identifies this affliction, informing that it is the blaze delusion technique which suppresses the talent for swordsmanship. This being claims that this curse should not exist in the Ronkandel family, proceeds to touch the core of this magical affliction, exclaiming in the process that perhaps that is the reason why he felt attracted to Jin. Informs him that from that moment on, no malicious technique will be able to harm him, breaking in the process the soldered curse. Now he only expects one thing from Jin: to become an excellent and powerful magical swordsman. After this, Jin returns to normal. The young man without hesitation takes a breath, grabs his sword with determination, and goes outside. He thrusts into the air, showcasing his technique, speed, and strength. Jin realizes that what Soljaret said was true. Now he is sure that he can reach new levels, as the sword has never felt so light. He feels he is holding a branch, as if the object were part of his body. Jin remembers that he was once called the worst fool in the Ronkandel family. His mastery is such that he decides to combine the weapon with magic now. Jin realizes that his previous version, the one his family despised, has ceased to exist. Finally, the hard training has paid off, although that is not enough, and for that reason, he continues training. At that moment, he is found by some knights who see him from a distance. Everything turns dark. Jin opens his eyes weakly, realizing that he heard a scream, but when he tries to get out, he notices that his body feels heavy for some reason. He is trapped under the rubble. Darkness invades him. It is all he sees. For a few seconds, he opens his eyes once more, asking for help from his master, mentioning Soljaret. He wishes that someone finds him. Jin cannot believe what just happened. He died while sleeping, a thing that he attributes to his lack of skills. Wonders if he is unworthy of using the new abilities that Soljaret and his master have taught him. In his final moments, he reflects on why he was given another chance if he was going to have that disastrous fate. But suddenly, he sees hands and feels grass. They are his own. He is surprised. The family members are in front of him. He sees a large number of swords in front of him, but doesn't understand what is happening since he was supposed to have lost his life. Gilly smiles at him and tells him to relax. Suddenly, he sees a shining sword in the middle of the field of weapons. Jin realizes that it is Varazada. He is at the selection ceremony. Jin looks at the sword. He starts to crawl towards it. Realizing in the process that he has traveled to the past, he has returned to being a 1-year-old baby, and as such, he chooses Varazada again. All those present are surprised and smile at this. The youngest of the Ronkindel has chosen the sword of the family leader. Jin observes that weapon, affirming that in this life he will do something he should have done from the beginning to make his own choice. While everyone is surprised by what they see, they realize that it is the sword of the patriarch, and it seems that the young master Jin is going to choose it. The family leader is witnessing how the youngest of his sons has chosen Varazada. This is how the ceremony ends. Jin has chosen the sword of the family leader. They will take the youngest to Storm Castle 6 years later. Storm Castle. There, a young Jin tries to grab a book from the shelf but realizes he can't reach it. He reflects on his situation. More than 6 years have passed since he arrived at that place. He must wait until he turns 10 to return to his family. He manages to grab the book he wanted but feels bored. Soon he hears a scream and looks in that direction. He goes over there and sees one of the maids. He wants to know what is happening. She reveals to Jin that there is a lifeless bird in his room. He realizes that only a few people would do such a thing. The maid turns towards the voices she just heard. They are Jin's brothers who are lamenting what happened to the bird. But what really bothers them is that the maid found the body before Jin, Daytona Ronkindel, 11th son of the 3 Ronkindel brothers, Jaitona Ronkindel, 12th son of the 3 Ronkindel brothers. Both want to know if he is moved by the gift. They remember that they will become notable assassins after being standard bearers. Still, he can't believe what they did at just 9 years old. Jin grabs the bird's body and laments his brother's actions. He still doesn't understand why they would do that just to torment him. Daytona and Jaytona don't seem satisfied with their actions, so they start provoking Jin, telling him not to cry since that would be annoying. He doesn't respond, so they ask him if he can hear them, joking about whether they are unworthy of being recognized by the one who is chosen by the destiny of the patriarch. Jin opens his mouth to say something, but Jaytona doesn't hear him and uses that to mock him. He grabs her shoulder and rushes to hit him. He told them to shut up after receiving the blow. Jaytona gets upset. He has put up with it until now, but cannot take it anymore after landing those hits with great skill. Jin warns them that it would be wise for both of them to stay out of his sight. A person appears and asks what is happening. Jin recognizes the newcomer as Kan. He is surprised to see the twins lying on the ground while holding Jaytona. Jin tells him that they started the fight. Both brothers fought and collapsed on each other, something that could very well be possible. Since in the Ronkindel family, even a child is fierce and strong, Kan is still holding a hurting Jaytona. He says he understands the explanation. After this, he prepares to take them to a doctor, but Jin stops him, exclaiming that he must take them somewhere else first. With this in mind, he asks Kan to follow him outside. The rain is such that it fills the puddles of footprints. Jin buries the bird's body nearby. Both brothers are seen leaning against the bark of a tree, unconscious. Kan questions Jin if he intends to leave them there, which he does not consider a good idea since the storms will get stronger soon. They have to be aware of what they have done. When Kang hears the severity of his young master, he ultimately agrees to that request. Then Jin walks away from the site supported by Kan. He is left speechless by the attitude of the boy in front of him. He soon remembers what he saw as soon as he arrived in the room. It is Jin's hand, which was surrounded by a kind of energy. He assumes it is mana. This leads Kang to think that what just happened is not just a scuffle between brothers, so Kang seriously states that he will have to tell the patriarch. He approaches a servant and asks him to bring him a horse. Then Jin sees from a window how Kang prepares to mount it. He heads to tell his father what happened. Jin reflects on that long-haired knight, explaining that besides fulfilling the role of a teacher and caretaker, he is an observer placed by his father. He knows that in his eyes, Jin used magic, so he will not let the matter pass. Jin observes the dark energy that dominates, the same energy that gave him soldered and serves as proof of his contract, an agreement that is even valid in this new life, something that proved to be very useful. All of this leads Jin to conclude one thing: the wizard Jin Ronkindel no longer exists. Now he intends to change many things about his old life. What remains now is to reunite with his father. Meanwhile, Kan arrives with his lord, the patriarch of the Ronkindels, to tell him what happened. The head of the family hears the news. It seems that the youngest of the brothers defeated the twins. After hearing the news, the patriarch orders the meeting of the flag bearers. Sometime later, the patriarch heads to where his older sons are. They inform him that the 7 flag bearers and the 200 knights have been summoned. Then everything is ready to depart. He observes each of the flag bearers, who return his attention excitedly. After this, he tells them to follow him to the storm castle. Some of the standard bearers are surprised by this sudden meeting. One of the sisters wants to know more about this, so she questions her brother Dyphus, who tries to respond to Mary, mentioning that surely the meeting has nothing to do with the Tona brothers since they will leave the Storm Castle next year. This leads him to think that maybe they are going to see the youngest. Some are skeptical about this, but Mary is surprised when they remind her that Jean chose the founder's sword during his ceremony, so they assume that maybe that is the reason for the meeting. However, some of the standard bearers do not believe that is a valid reason, but still, they never know what the patriarch is thinking. In the midst of this, another Ronkindel approaches them and specifically asks Diffus to pay attention. Luna Ronkindel, the first standard bearer of Ronkindel. On her part, Mary wonders if Jean is important enough for their father, the leader of the family, to go see him again. Meanwhile, at the Storm Castle, the maid dresses Jin, commenting that the patriarch is about to arrive and may want to see his children, which Jin also assumes. He is left thinking about what happened and how Can surely told him everything. He knows that now the leader of the family wants to know about that power his son was using, which Kan couldn't identify. Jin concludes that the patriarch wants to clear a doubt. He wants to know if that power will be beneficial for the family in the future. All the soldiers of the Storm Castle receive him with the corresponding honors, announcing his arrival, the leader of the family. Ronkindel enters the castle, immediately asking to see the Dona brothers. Then, inside the castle, the patriarch meets with the twins. He wants to know about their altercation with Jean, wishing to understand the guilt in that duel. Both adopt a nervous attitude but try to maintain an innocent facade, which leads them to lie, claiming that they did nothing and that it was Jean who attacked them. They inform the patriarch that the boy used an unknown power, which was not the aura. Instead, it was similar to magic. Both put on a terrifying smile and exclaim that that art is forbidden in the Ronkindel family. Soon Mary and Dyphus agree with the children and therefore suggest interrogating Jean before he hides his tracks. However, the father of the Ronkindels asks them to stop. He basically informs them that they will not survive within the family, behaving as they do. This leaves the Tona brothers worried. Then the patriarch orders to bring Jean. Chiron Ronkindel is the father of the youngest brother, whom he considers the strongest person of all, but also the coldest he has ever known. The strongest in this era, Chiron holds the highest title of the current age, the status of demigod, a Genesis Knight. He was once like any person in the world, however, he lost most of his human emotions upon becoming a Genesis Knight now. Chiron only focuses on one thing, the development of his clan. His only goal is to make it stronger and stronger. In the past, when Jin had no talent at all, he was treated as less than nothing. Jin knows that now this will change since he has a goal in his new life. Upon entering, he is observed by the 7 flag bearers. They look at him with curiosity. Jin bows to the patriarch and greets him, Chiron. He wants to know why he has called him patriarch instead of father. Jin mentions that he was informed by the people of the castle of his arrival. Noticing that he came with the 7 flag bearers and the 200 knights, he knew it was an official visit, so he decided to call him that way. Chiron lets him know that it was a satisfactory answer. However, his father asks him to call him as such, since he has visited the castle for a reason different from the one he mentioned. Soon he becomes serious and prepares to ask him the same question he asked the twins. He wants to know if Jin is to blame for the altercation that Kan spoke to him about. He clenches his fist and prepares to tell him his reasons. Placing his hand on his chest, he tells him it was for revenge. Mary shows interest in this, listening to how her brother says that a Kaiman is Ronkindel always returns the favor, no matter if it's an act of goodwill or resentment. Chiron does not respond immediately, but after a few moments, he orders the flag bearers to leave the room. The knights are surprised by this. They think the youngest son passed the patriarch's test. Soon, the flag bearers begin to move and do the same with the armored warriors present. Each of them moves towards the exit while Mary smiles. The doors close. This initiates the conversation. The patriarch asserts that Jin has provoked something important. He has managed to make the flag bearers leave. Since the question was only for him, he mentions brothers Tona and what both told him about a power strange that they saw. The father reminds the youngest son that the family Ronkindel prohibits the use of magic because it weakens potential with the sword. He wants to know what power Jin has used, pointing out that if it was magic, he won't let it slide. However, he is about to speak with full confidence at the same time. Jim thinks that as long as Chiron knows about that power, he has something certain. He won't be able to ignore it. This is because the qualities he received from Sol Duret are no small matter. After thinking about this, Jin prepares to answer his father's question. He explains that he is not sure if it is magic or aura and says that he doesn't know how to name it. Immediately, he asks for permission to make a demonstration. He wants his father's help to name those qualities. Chiron is surprised to see those flames. Apparently, he recognized them. It is the power of the founder of Ronkindel. Seeing this, the father realized the boy had the energy of shadows, the same energy that the variegated sword had. He came to the conclusion that indeed, he was destined to lead the family. The boy, holding a ball of shadow energy, approached his father. The patriarch spoke, saying that Jin had the power of Sol Duret, the god of shadows. He explained that Soldier Red had made a contract with Lord Timar, the founder of the Ronkandel family. However, since the death of Timar, the god of shadows had never been seen again. The patriarch could not explain why. Soldier Ed decided that. Then the boy mentions he wanted to ask his father something he asked about the god of shadows. And if Soldier Ed is stronger than Chiron, the leader of the family turned his back and reflected, exclaiming that he was not sure in this because he had never had to fight with a god. Jin reflected on the answer, puzzled, while looking at Chiron's smiling face. He realized that he could not have had a better answer. The patriarch spoke to Jin, calling him son, then his hand began to move. The boy jumped, thinking something was going to happen. However, the father placed his hand on the little one's head and praised him. He told him it was good to ask. His innocent questioning gave the patriarch a great topic of conversation. He added that he also wanted to ask a question. He wondered what the boy would do with his power. Jin placed his hand on his heart and said he would use it for the good of the family. Then the head of the lineage looked at the boy disapprovingly and murmured the same words. After that, a smile appeared on his face. He exclaimed loudly that the boy made him laugh with his lies. Jin did not understand what was happening. He remained silent in front of his father. Chiron reminded him that he hid his brothers, left them outside in the middle of a storm, so he does not understand his audacity to say that the power would be used for the good of his family. Jin remained silent with his head down. The patriarch told him not to lie. The boy knew that his parent was not going to let this slide. He was trembling, but still found the courage and determination to respond. He said he would use his power to achieve his goals. The family leader frowned again and looked at Jin in silence, soon spoke to let him know that he liked that answer. The patriarch headed toward the exit, and as he passed by, Jin said he would keep an eye on him. He left, but Jin was still standing in the same place once the door closed. Jin could no longer contain his emotions. He was really scared. He was also glad to have been able to discover what this shadow energy was and that using it now was justified. Besides, he did not expect that his father was interested in his progress. A moment from his previous life appeared in his mind. He was standing, shattered behind his parent, who didn't even pay attention to him, but this life is exactly the opposite of the previous one. Then at night in the storm castle, Maria approaches the youngest of the brothers with a box. Jean asked his sister what that was. She handed the basket to Jean's nanny, saying it was a special gift from his older sister. Maria told her to cook it well. She wished that he would grow big and strong. Then she met another one of the flag bearers, who asked her where her suitcase was. Jean wondered why she had given it to him. Jin opened the suitcase, which began to shine naturally. The nanny was surprised. An orange energy radiated from the box. He saw that there was something that looked like a heart, and from it came a strange energy. It turned out to be the heart of a phoenix. Giving something like that to a child was insane. Maria Ronkandel, a 6-star knight and the 7th rider of Ronkandel, also has another name that is not known, the Mad Woman of the southern region. The boy was sure why his sister gave him such an inappropriate gift for someone of Jean's age. Her wishes for him to grow big and strong were not empty words. She wanted him to fight with her. Jean, sitting at the table, reasoned that if he ate the phoenix heart at such a young age, he would not only gain fire resistance but also grow faster. He remembered that his 6th rank mage needed the phoenix heart to safely summon it. Due to this, the boy couldn't help but imagine that he might even summon a phoenix in this life. Meanwhile, the nanny Gilly approached with a plate in her hands. She set the plate on the table and commented that the young lady Maria had given Jean a lovely gift. She asked Jean to start eating while the plate was still hot. Jin was about to start, but the Tona brothers were behind him. He asked them not to delay and just say what they wanted. It was then that both revealed that Yili had cooked a big pot, so maybe Jin couldn't eat it all. He asked them if they really wanted it, and they immediately began to nod. Then Jin decided to give them something to do. In exchange, the 2 brothers went to the mine and dug. They wondered why they should do it. They were afraid of getting in trouble for digging there. The 2nd brother said that if something happened, the youngest would be the one to answer. Then, forgetting all the inconveniences, they continued digging, mentioning that the youngest is a bit scary. Suddenly, it turned out that the mine they were digging was directly above a certain room. Small pieces of debris began to fall from the ceiling. In that room, there was a person who was in a cell full of water. The site gave hints of being completely closed, and the subject inside emitted a dark aura resembling shadow energy. Upon seeing his face, it became clear that he was unconscious and probably imprisoned in that place. Over time, the twins returned. They had completed Jean's errand. The little one wearing a raincoat mentioned that the soup was already waiting for them at the table. They saw 2 spoons with a little soup in them, mentioning that it was too little. Jin replied that he had promised, but he hadn't specified the amount. Then he told them that technically he had fulfilled his promise and wished them a good appetite shortly after. Jin took off his hood. He seemed to have noticed something. It turned out that the little one had arrived at the same mine where the twins were digging. He had given them the task of digging and didn't expect them to put in that much effort. After hitting the wall, Jin determined that a 1st-rank spell would be enough to break through it. The boy created a green ball in his hands, and a magical aura of the same color appeared around him. He pressed his hands against the wall. Jin managed to break through the wall. It turned out he had entered the secret storage of the Ronkandels, the family's library. He had never been there, so he now felt somewhat uncomfortable. He stood in front of the door and remembered what his older brother had told him the key phrase needed to open it. So, remembering the phrase, he said, The son of Ronkindel is here to consult Murakan. The door started to move, now open. Jin entered the vault. This vault held the secrets of the families that the Ronkindels had destroyed over the last millennium. Only those of rank could enter this vault in their previous life. Jin's brother had told him that he didn't need to know about this place. Remembering this, the boy realized that despite those words, he could use that knowledge. Suddenly, Jin saw a strange dark aura. When he looked closer, he saw that there was a human inside the cell. He paid attention for a moment, noticing that the person had scales on their face. He realized that it wasn't a human. Curious about the situation, Jin brought his hand closer to the cell, wondering where this creature came from. Surprised, he remembered something. Basically, he recalled the same key phrase mentioning the name Murakan. When he looked closer, he saw that there was a human inside the cell. He paid attention for a moment, noticing that he had scales on his face. He realized that it wasn't a human. Curious about the situation, Jin brought his hand closer to the cell, initially wondering where this creature came from. Surprised when he remembered something, he basically recalled the same key phrase. It mentioned the name Murakan. Because of this, the boy assumed that the creature behind the glass was the black dragon Murakan. It was said that the first champion had defeated the creature and sent it into a deep sleep. Until that moment, Jin had not believed in legends. He thought they were just fairy tales. Then he regained his senses and realized he was there to find ancient books. Suddenly, Murakan, who had been sleeping for centuries, moved a finger. Beside him, Jin found the books he was looking for. He was standing in front of a shelf and said it contained the secrets of various families. Since he didn't know where to start, he decided to begin with the Kungjin family, who were also swordsmen. While reading, he realized that the theory was too complicated for third-rank magic. Jin wanted to take all the books with him, but then he could get caught with them. He then found a solution. He decided he would go back to copy the books. The boy returned home where he lived his normal routine, and Gilly attended to him, giving him cake. By the afternoon, Jin read the copied book as if nothing had happened without anyone suspecting him. Suddenly, he heard strange noises. He was scared, so he got up from the table and left. Things for later. The little one asked who was there. He couldn't believe someone had come from the storm castle. At that hour, suddenly the doors opened and a man turned to Jin and asked who he was. The young man was surprised he recognized Murakan. He couldn't understand why he had awakened. Jin didn't remember hearing about his awakening in his previous life. He recalled that Murakan, the dragon, was the guardian of the Ronkindel family, and that if he showed respect, he would forgive him. Jin introduced himself saying he was a child from Ronkindel and welcomed the guardian of the family. Hurricane asked him again if he had called him guardian. He was very angry. Since the boy had dared to treat him like a servant, he started cursing. Timar took a deep breath and then said he had been locked up for a long time. He had just awakened and saw the boy. The black dragon suddenly bowed and asked why Jin smelled of shadow energy. Murakan commented that although he had slept for 1,000 years, he definitely had not forgotten the smell. According to him, only those who sign a contract with Soldaret smell like Timar. Suddenly, Jin understood why Murakan had awakened. It turned out that it was all due to his strength from the shadow energy he possesses. Meanwhile, the dragon was trying to identify where that presence was coming from. Jin decided it was time to try something. Jin approached Murakan, who excitedly asked him if he knew anything about shadow energy. In response, Jin demonstrated his mastery over that power. He explained that according to his father, the god of shadows had granted him that power. He started to sweat while trying to convince himself that what he was hearing was a joke. He was very disappointed to find out that the one he had waited for 1,000 years was just a child. Jin was still too young. There was a silent pause as they looked at each other. Hurakan knelt down and approached the boy. The black dragon told him a story about a promise he had made and that now he apparently had to team up with Jin to fulfill it. He was trying to understand the situation, realizing that the dragon was talking about a promise with Soldaret. Hurakan informs Jin that he would explain everything later since he had just awakened and was not thinking clearly. The black dragon wanted to present himself properly to the person who has a pact with Soldaret. The shadow energy appeared around Hurakan, and Jin was surprised by the amount he was using soon. It looked like his hand. She was enveloped in shadow energy. Slowly, her body became completely wrapped in this hurricane energy. She explained that he was the last descendant of the first creature created from the shadow, and finally turned into a dragon. From now on, he would serve Jin. Jin is amazed by his appearance. Murakan asked Jin his name, then punched his fist and introduced himself as Jin Ronkindel, the 13th and youngest of the Ronkindel family. The black dragon Murakan, the Hurricane Mountain, the place where the Storm Castle is located, got its name from this dragon, the Black Dragon. Murakan ruled this place a long time ago. However, 1,000 years ago, Murakan was defeated in a battle against Timar Ronkindel, and it is written that after the Storm Castle was destroyed, Murakan fell into a deep sleep upon leaving the vault. Jin wasn't sure if that story was true or not. He wondered about the keywords that opened the Jin library. He remembers that when a person makes a pact with the gods, they always do it alongside a dragon. Like Soldaret didn't tell him anything about a dragon. He had doubts about it, stating that now he understands why Murakan fell into a deep sleep. Now that he was awake, Jin assumes that the creature would be his guardian dragon. At the entrance of the vault, Murakan was happy to see the boy. Jin offered him a snack prepared by his nanny since they would spend the next days together. Jin decided it was worth asking Murakami about everything related to his promise and the shadow energy. While Murakami ate, Jin asked him questions, especially about the battle with Timar. Murakami, before finishing, asked for another strawberry tart. Huracan asked Jin what he was doing there. Jin explained that he brought empty books and was writing down everything Huracan said. Huracan congratulated him on how good he was for his age and told him not to get discouraged. He explained that other kids weren't able to do what he did, and that they were even lazy. Jin replied that was true for common kids, but he was a Ronkindel and couldn't afford to be. He had 2 older siblings in addition to his parents and grandparents, concluding that if he wanted to surpass them, he would have to work harder. Jin asked Murakami how much of that book the founder would have understood, he thought, about how he would compare to the strongest man in history, and how he could prove his worth. Huracan remembered Temar responding that at Jin's age he wouldn't have understood a single line, but added that theory isn't always necessary. Although Temar didn't read books, he fought well. He claims that Jin has the potential of Temar, but he was still not his rival. This hurt Jin, who asked if that meant he would never lead the family. Murakami replied the dragon explained that Jin has a contract with Beast's soldierette like Timar, and that he can read and understand those ancient books. He needs to have patience and train more. Only then would he be as strong as Timar. He could even surpass him. Jim asked if he really believed that. Murakami responded affirmatively, saying that soldierette had a nickname. He was known as Infinite. In this way, he explains to Jin that soldierette's power is unlimited, and that Jin could also reach that level. Murakami decided to teach Jin a secret technique to lighten his mood a little. He placed his palm on Jin's back and released some energy. Huracan explained that it was a technique to release energy from the shadows. This was something new for Jin. According to Huracan, this technique should be possible for anyone related to shadow magic. But he warned that if Jin did not fully master the technique, it could be dangerous. So they needed to learn carefully and gradually. Interested, Jin accepted the terms and immediately asked where to start. Murakami explained that he first needed to learn to open his mana, releasing energy from the shadows, opening and moving the flow of mana. And to do this, one needs to have perfect control over both. He said they would work on this for the next 2 or 3 years. Jin thought that was too long. Huracan smiled and told him that you can't learn something advanced without knowing the basics. Once they learned to move their mana, they would start learning to handle it completely. Meanwhile, Jin had already revealed his mana. As soon as Murakami saw this, he was surprised. It turned out that Jin could do it for a long time. Huracan was pleasantly surprised and commented that only the greatest geniuses are capable of such a feat. Since Jin had already mastered the basics, Huracan had no choice but to teach him the release of energy from the shadows. Huracan explained that shadow energy is extracted from the shadows themselves, stating that soldierette created all the shadows in the world. While he spoke, the shadows around Murakami began to distort and approach him. Jin is the only person who has a pact with soldierette. Huracan believes that Jin could also become a Lord of Shadows. At the same time, somewhere in the forest, a battle was taking place. Luna was standing with a sword in her hands over a monster she had defeated. A knight approached her and reported that everything was clear in her territory. There were 5 areas left to clean to complete the task. According to Luna, 4 months were enough, and now the knights could rest. She swung her sword, shaking the blood off the blade. She wanted suggestions on what to gift a 9-year-old. Half a year after Jin met Murakami, the twins left the Storm Castle. They said goodbye, promising to see each other again. Time also passed for Jin. He turned 9 years old. The young boy thanked the nanny and asked her to give everyone a piece. Suddenly, Ken apologized for interrupting. Jin asked what had happened. It is then that we see Luna entering the castle. Ken informed the boy that Luna had arrived. Jin and the nanny are surprised by her sudden visit, the first flag bearer of Ronkindel and a 9-star knight. The firstborn of the 3 Ronkindel brothers, despite being the strongest among them, had no interest in becoming the patriarch. He had distanced himself from the dirty fight known as the Succession War. Luna never cared about the other brothers. In a previous life, Jin and Luna didn't even seem like family. They were very distant. That's why Luna's visit surprised the boy so much. At first, Jin thought that something terrible had happened, then he assumed that she somehow knew. He had been in the secret library, and that's why she wanted to see him. Whatever it was, seeing her in front of him, he greeted her. If he had known she was coming, he would have dressed appropriately. Luna simply commented that it was nice, and she asked him if he really needed to give notice to see his younger brother. Luna took him by the shoulders. She asked him if he was sick because he didn't look well. The boy responded that no, just a little nervous. He explained that it was the first time he had seen her, up close, and maybe that's why. Luna reflected on his words and thought that Jin might believe that she was trying to intimidate him or something like that. Suddenly, Luna became nervous. After this brief pause, she said, hesitantly, that she had behaved disrespectfully. Then Luna exclaimed that she had forgotten that the boy was still a Ronkindel. She then looked down and apologized to Jin. She knelt and called him the youngest, coming to talk to him privately. She asked the nanny and the knights to leave them alone for a while. Jin was surprised that she wanted to talk to him alone, responding that he would also like to talk, but he still didn't understand what she wanted. Jin assumed it wasn't anything bad. Luna mentioned that she had something important to tell him, the reason why she came uninvited. Jin, interested, asked what it was. Luna said that when their father visited him, his behavior attracted the attention of all the brothers. Then she gently took his hand and remarked that this meant that once he left the storm castle, they would be watching him closely. Luna was clearly worried about her brother's fate. She hoped he could live happily, without getting involved in a family conflict. Luna really didn't want Jin to get hurt by the family's customs. After hearing that, the boy was surprised. In addition to realizing one important thing, it turned out that his sister had stepped away from the war for the throne due to the toxicity of the succession fight. Then Jin wondered why she hadn't told him that in his previous life, if she didn't want him to get involved in the war for the throne. This led him to question what her motives could be, thinking that maybe it was because he was not worthy even to talk to her. However, he also considered that she hadn't warned him because no one saw him as a rival back then. Jin placed his hand on Luna's wrist, and he told her that he was very grateful to her. Yet he explained that he really wasn't going to stay out of the game. He wanted to fight for the leadership of the Jin clan. He knew that he was serious, but there had already been an assassination attempt against him. Remembering the curse placed upon him when he was born in his first life, Jin commented that because of this, there was no turning back. Suddenly, a purple aura began to emanate from Luna, and she asked Jin, who dared to threaten him in the storm castle, which brother had dared to attack him. He tries to downplay the matter, stating that he is fine despite this. Thanks to Luna's reaction, Jin realized that not all his relatives hated him and was glad. Luna, full of sadness, hugged the boy. It turned out that Jin had already been dragged into this vile conflict, which naturally saddened her. Jin reflected on this, surprised by that kind and sentimental side of his sister that he did not know. While he thought about this, he tried to comfort her so that she wouldn't worry about him. Luna changed the subject and said it was a day off, and that sad things shouldn't be talked about. She mentioned that today was Jin's birthday, soon explaining that she came to congratulate him and took out a box. In this box was a pendant with a blue stone in the center. She asked Jin to turn his back for a second. While holding the pendant, if he was in a desperate situation, he would have to break the blue stone, and when he did, she would come to his aid wherever he was. Then she asked the little one to never take off. This pendant, Luna moved a little closer to Jin with a smile on her face, and wished him a happy birthday. Everyone was sitting at the table drinking tea, and the nanny had brought strawberry cake. Their nanny stayed there and watched with a smile as Luna pampered her little brother. After a good time, Luna said goodbye and left the castle. Jin wished her to take care of herself, taking with her the pendant she gave him. Then when he met with Murakami, the latter greeted him and asked what he had around his neck. Jin told him that it was a birthday gift. The dragon stated that they must care for him a lot to give him something like that. It turned out to be an artifact from the Demon King Orgel, one of the most coveted objects 1,000 years ago. It not only granted the user greater resistance against magic of rank 5 or lower, but also increased their magical power, and possibly had the ability to summon a hurricane. He knew a lot about the pendant because he lived in that time. He said that the energy of the gift was very strong and assumed it came from that person. Jin revealed that it was a gift from his older sister and asked if the guardian could feel its energy even from there. Indeed, Hurricane had felt her energy even from the secret vault, which implied that she had also noticed him. Jin was surprised by this. He was worried that she would tell someone about Hurricane, who assures Jin that there's no reason to worry, reminds him that his sister wouldn't accuse him after gifting him something as precious as that necklace can trust. Her Luna had truly felt the energy of Hurricane. Upon leaving the Storm Castle, she mentioned having sensed a strong energy that wasn't there before, but it wasn't hostile. She was willing to turn a blind eye since her little brother was planning something she just wishes. Jin remembers one important thing, that no matter what he wants to become, she will always be on his side. Jin reflected on how his life in the Storm Castle had brought many surprises, the recognition and expectations of his father, the Phoenix Heart from Maria, a relationship with his sister Luna, and even the knowledge of the guardian dragon Huracan are things he wouldn't have dreamed of having in his past life. He is currently 10 years old. This means that preparations to leave the Storm Castle and head to the main castle have started while training with Khan. He realizes something. He understands why the patriarch showed interest in Jin. It seems that the boy is the one assessing his ability to teach him. The training ends, and he tells Jin that will be all for today. Khan has something to say to little Jinbos and expresses praises to little Jinbos, that it has been an honor to teach him. It won't be long before Jin leaves the Storm Castle, so he wants to give him the best training possible. He will be in his care. Until then, says Jin later. Jin starts playing with fire, puts his finger in the flame of a candle, and gets excited about having achieved something. Gilly appears with a suitcase. Upon seeing him do that, she asks if he won't get burned. Of course not. Jin explains that now this fire is more like warm water for him. She is surprised by this. She had heard of the Phoenix Heart, but it's the first time she sees its effects. He managed to absorb half of the power of the heart. He will do it completely in a few years. Gilly, while picking up the wardrobe, mentions that tomorrow will be when they leave. If Jin needs anything, he will let her know in advance. Meanwhile, she observes Jin's books, asks if she should pack them separately, and he tells her yes, since he will read them in the carriage. Gilly takes them asking if there are any more, and Jin says it will just be those while packing. Gilly tells him that she made strawberry cake today. This makes Jin remember something important. He tells Gilly that he will go for a walk. Something strange at this hour. Jin went to meet Murakhan. He reminds the dragon that he will be leaving the castle. The Murakhan had been waiting anxiously for this. Jin asks how he will follow him. Hurakan very calmly explains that he doesn't need to worry. Since he is the Black Dragon, mentions that he will be able to follow him without anyone noticing, even if he has less power than before. Information that Jin was unaware of, Hurakan remains confident, explaining that it is obvious that he was going to lose condition. Since he was sleeping for over 1,000 years, Jin asks if he will be able to regain his power. Hurakan explains that he will become stronger when Jin does. Since he is his guardian dragon, he must hurry and become a strong magic swordsman like Timar Murakhan. He had mentioned before that the Ronkandel were a family of magic swordsmen. This doubt in Jin arises from something he heard from Soldaret. According to the god of shadows, his family was made up of sword masters. They combined fencing with magic, and the founding patriarch, Timar, was the strongest in history. Since almost no one remembers this fact, Murakhan tells the boy that the current code of the Ronkandel focuses only on the use of the sword. This is due to a humiliating vow made 1,000 years ago. Surely no one in the family would be happy if Murakhan appeared before them. This is even if they adore him as a guardian. If Jin had found him 1,000 years ago, both would be recognized for having brought a more noble being into the world. Jin seems confused as to why his family would not receive him well. It sounds absurd, but it's true. In any case, Hurakan will hide well regarding the space where Murakhan was sleeping. They could use illusion magic. Doubting that it would work, Murakhan reminds Jin that he is the Dragon of Shadows. An illusion is a piece of cake. Hurakan mentions that he still hasn't fully regained his powers. Therefore, maintaining the illusion for a long time will be difficult. He promises Jin to make the effort until he is an adult. This is something the boy appreciates. It is then that Jin mentions he brought something special. It is a strawberry tart, and a fine liquor that Jin drank while Yili wasn't looking. He asks that he doesn't get drunk, and start making weird illusions. Then the dragon comments that raising Jin was a great idea. He suggests introducing him to his nanny. Jin mentions that he will think about it. When the day to leave the storm castle arrives, his maid tells him that things in the main castle will be more difficult. It is true that he has trained hard here, but it will be even tougher there. He also won't be able to make the strawberry cake that he likes so much. However, Gilly assures him that she will go with him and will dedicate double the effort to take care of him during his stay in the main castle. Then, his escorts arrive. They are Jerome and Hulse, who greet Jin. They say they will escort him safely to the Sword Garden. After that, everyone moves toward the carriage. It is 30 divided by 10 divided by 1,790. Finally, Jin is leaving the Storm Castle, and the horses prepare to move the vehicle, while the boy looks out the window, heading to the main house of the Ronkandel, the Sword Garden. The journey continues. It is snowing outside, and it seems that the snow will accumulate. That's why Gilly suggests stopping in a nearby village. She explains that if there is too much snow, they won't be able to use the teleportation portal. The escorts inform that it is an ambush. Gilly says there's nothing to worry about. Jerome and Holmes are Knights Guardians of 7 stars, besides Jean also has her. There are about 20 enemy warriors and some mages, possibly also archers. Gilly is sure there's none above 7 stars. Among the enemies, suddenly Jin exclaims that they must get out of the carriage. No knight Guardian should leave a child of Ronkandel alone under no circumstances. Jin assures that one of the enemies must be on this side. Gilly concludes that at least one is a traitor, something Jin confirms. He assumes there must be a team hidden somewhere in the carriage. They have to get out right now. Gilly, holding back her anger, accepts her master's order. She promises to protect him as a member of Ronkandel and asks him to understand if she happens to overdo it a bit. They leave the carriage and head towards the forest. Gilly apologizes for being reckless, says she will receive her punishment once they reach their destination, but this is not the time to think about that. Jin wants to go where those two are since he wants to confirm something. He explains that the people they are fighting against, the traitorous escorts, could be their allies if the attackers were enemies. They would have already come after him, but everything is too quiet. Jin reads, understands what he means, and approaches where they are fighting. A guy orders his men to find Jin Ronkandel and block the left side. Jin confirms his suspicions upon seeing the symbol of a demon and a black Sakura, the Yuta family of the Mytal House of Magic, and the group of mercenaries known as the Black King's Squad. One of them finds him and informs everyone. Another group states that protecting Jin is the highest priority. This is Murika, the captain of the Black Squad, and they are here to protect the boy. At the request of Ronkandel, Gilly is furious because they mess with her young master. Jin realizes that they were not traitors but imposters. If they were really 7 stars, they wouldn't have problems fighting against those people. Gilly wants to know who they are to reveal their purpose and who they work for. She's asking such an obvious question, says the imposter, but he won't tell a dog from Ronkandel. She wants to know what she should do, to which Jin asks her to execute one and asks for the arm of the other. Yili will fulfill his wish. The masters of these mercenaries underestimated the strength of their opponents to become a babysitter of the Ronkandel. It takes one thing to be ranked 7 to eliminate a child from the Ronkindel. At least 4 warriors of 8 stars are needed. The last one shouts that those are nonsense. This was just a warning. He assures that the kingdom of the Ronkindel will fall. That is something Jin also desires. Jin informs him that he does not desire the reign of his family, but that of Jin Ronkindel. Praise be Sipple, exclaims the man, the famous family of mages that rules the other half of this world. Unlike Ronkindel, who seeks the ultimate sword, they pursue the ultimate magic. 1,000 years ago, after the death of the founder of Ronkindel, Zippel imposed a humiliating oath to ban magic entirely. Thus, all magical abilities of Ronkindel were sealed through that oath. For Ronkindel, Zippel is an ancestral enemy. Jin didn't know the reason for the attack before, but now he understands it was a follower of that family. He orders Gilly to throw the guy nearby since it's not worth interrogating him. Of course, Ronkindel is a lifelong enemy for Sipple. They also continue to terrorize his family. He realizes that the Sipples weren't involved in today's events. It's more like it was the work of their followers. However, something here is strange. No matter how sophisticated the disguise is, it's hard to deceive the eyes of a 7-star warrior. Apparently, that bastard is involved in this. Gilly has taken care of it as he requested. He speaks to Mukika, the captain of the Black Dragon Squadron. He was able to escape because his people diverted the enemy's attention as soon as he arrives at the castle. Jin will ensure to report his help. Besides, he counts on him until they reach the teleportation portal. Mukeka is surprised by the boy's audacity. Despite being 10 years old, he is elegant and dignified. He remembers the words Jin said recently. Perhaps they aren't just a child's ramblings. He explains to his allies that they need to be careful about how they act until they reach the teleportation portal. They don't understand the order. Until now, they have never been asked for something like this. Gilly informs Mukeka that they can leave now. Trying to act the part, they say they are ready. Mukeka wants to know if it's a good idea to leave those imposters alone. Jin assures him it's fine. He believes it will serve as an example for his comrades. Yili mentions they will arrive at the nearest village in a couple of hours. There, they will wait for the snow to stop. Jin wants to ask Yili not to worry about what happened with the escorts. It's not her fault. Even a 9-star knight didn't notice the deception. It would be harder for a 7-star warrior to notice that something is wrong. Besides, she fulfilled her role as a guardian. By not leaving him alone, still, Gilly apologizes. She remains the same as before. As the nanny of the Ronkindel family, her fate is intertwined with the boy under her care. Gilly was his nanny in his previous life. Having no talent, she was also despised, but Gilly never resented him for that. The day he was exiled from the Ronkindel family, Gilly was exiled with him, and Gilly told him, "Young master, I'm sorry I couldn't serve you well." He remembers her like that, and that's why he doesn't want to be harsh with her. However, things are different from his previous life. Gilly needs to strengthen her resolve. She again mentions that she is willing to accept any punishment. Jin shouts at her not to blame herself. It's an order. She is his nanny and also the only guardian knight he has right now. If she lets such a trivial matter bother her, there will be problems in the future when she accompanies him as an escort. Jin asks her not to make him repeat these words. She agrees she will correct her behavior. Gilly reflects on this. Her master cares for her to this extent. He says all this for her own good, so she must compose herself so as not to worry him anymore. It's a relief. It seems Gilly has improved her spirits. At the inn, they are welcomed. Mareka asks for 2 rooms. On his side, Jim thinks about the false knights. He suspects that person is involved, the transformation sorcerer Bubergaston, the dragons. They have a natural ability for transformation, but even dragons are not capable of achieving a perfect transformation. Buber. He was the only entity capable of achieving a perfect transformation and used that ability to commit numerous transformation crimes causing chaos in the world. Jin is sure that if that guy is involved in the matter, things could get complicated. However, he still has doubts since he hasn't done anything prominent. Jean remembers that in his past life, Buber was arrested by a special affairs division of Beemit. If he turns him into his ally, it could be useful. Although on second thought, he has no reason to cooperate with a guy who pointed a sword at him. Before Buber creates any problems, it's best to investigate if anything has changed compared to his past life. Gilly announces that he will be on guard outside. When he turns around, he sees that Jean has fallen asleep. It has been a long day, he must be exhausted. In the morning, Jin hears the sound of a cat, realizing that he fell asleep despite his hard training. He still has an immature body. He wonders what that sound is. Could it be that cat? Jin remembers the conversation he had with Murakhan, who told him that he would follow him. When he said he would hide and follow him, he meant that he would turn into a cat. Murakhan begins to get impatient because he won't let him in. Jin tells him that he was just surprised to see him in that form. This is because he thought he was going to become one of his riders or something similar. If he had done that, the knights would notice. It was very difficult for Murakhan to follow. Jin worried about the loud noise. Gilly appears, wanting to know what is happening. Furious, she prepares to go after Huracan. She demands to know everything before turning him into minced meat, who he is and why he is here. Jin asks Yili to stop, and Murakhan, upon hearing his name, recognizes him, calling him Strawberry Cake. He is happy to finally meet her. Gilly confused, Murakhan fascinated, and Jin, who thinks they are screwed. Jin introduces them. This is the guardian of the Ronkandel family, the black dragon Marakan, and this is Gilly Marakan, the strawberry cake. She apologizes to Marakan for being rude, but he is willing to forgive her. She wants to know why the strawberry cake. He responds that it's because she cooks that dish very well. Gilly now realizes why Jean always asked her over strawberry cakes. Jean invites her to take a seat and apologizes for having tricked her. She knew that her young master was incredibly talented, but still knows very little about him. Jean tells her everything from Huracan to Solderette. Gilly listens carefully, amazed and happy for him as his babysitter. Now everyone is in the loop. No one can know about the awakening of Huracan and his relationship with him. Strawberry Cake doesn't have to worry, he assures. Huracan will always be with the boy. Gilly wonders if what she heard earlier was the transformation of Huracan. Actually, that was because he fell. She isn't sure if they can trust him. Jin has his doubts too. Jill praises the work of the Black King squad. The Ronkandel family will make sure they are generously rewarded for their hard work. The mission was a great experience for them, says Doll. They want to see the evolution of young Jean, whom Gilly has under her care. Doll has a question for her about why. Coming from a great family like the McLarens, being the babysitter of a young Ronkandel isn't important enough for her to be worth talking about. The gentleman apologizes. He didn't mean to be rude. After this, they say goodbye, then both arrive at the middle transport door, where they are asked for their identification. The authorities check everything and confirm that they are part of the Ronkandel family. They will give them a special seat. If they wait here for about 2 hours, the train will arrive. They wish them an excellent trip. Gilly wants to ask Jean something. She is worried. She claims that she could hide Murakan, but magic is a different thing. Jin knows what she means, but he assures her that he will hide his powers well. Something catches the attention of the three. Jin sees the pattern of the golden dragon. It's about Zipple. Jin doesn't know who he is yet, but he seems familiar. The Zipple boy curses. From the beginning, he didn't want to go to Wefester. He didn't know that coming here he would meet some idiots, although he thinks the cat is indeed adorable. He calls it to pet it. The soldiers of the Zipple boy are on alert, but he calms them, remembering that pulling his sword in front of a Ronkandel is not a good idea. The Zipple boy thinks Jin is calm. He touched the cat to see the boy's reaction, but he didn't flinch. The younger one knows how to behave. His name is Vera from Zipple. He would like to apologize to Jim for his rudeness a moment ago. The genius wizard, and the most likely member to be the next leader of the Zipple, possesses both the ability and the character. He is an idol for young wizards. He was someone who, even for Jin, as a wizard, was too far away. It was that way in the past. He didn't expect to meet him as a boy of his age. It's a somewhat amusing feeling. Jin greets Veridin. Glad to meet him and that he isn't a complete idiot. They challenge each other with words, mentioning the mistake it would have been. To have pulled out their swords, one would have lost his guards and the other his fingers. Even their jokes are dangerous. In reality, Jin wasn't joking. Veridin accepts this but wants to give him a piece of advice. If he ever encounters someone from his family, he asks him not to cut his fingers. The fight that would start would only tire both families. It's funny that he says that. Jin believes that his father, Chiron Ronkandel, and Celia Zipple wouldn't do anything after a fight between two kids. They could undoubtedly settle everything with some pieces of gold. Besides, he is grateful since he has learned something from Jean to the point that he wants to give him something in return someday. Jean asks him now to keep quiet until the teleportation portal activates and not to disturb him in his rest. Veridin remains just as hyperactive, but in his mind, he thinks that Jin will become great in a few years. He is sure that if it weren't for their families, he would ask them to be friends. However, the idea of being a mortal enemy in the future is also excellent for Veridin. Jin notices all his behavior. For him, everyone in the Zipple family has a loose screw. They have waited a long time. The teleportation will begin in a few moments. Veridin is heading to Jean. It was nice to meet you. Wait, to meet him again. Although for Jean, that's fine. He doesn't want to see him again in the main castle. They were waiting for the young master Jin. Pedro introduces himself. He's a second-rank butler. He assumes it wasn't easy for Jin to come all the way here. He welcomes him to the main house of the Ronkandels. The sword garden is inviting those who have contributed to the prosperity of Ronkandel to place their swords in the garden. In other words, the garden is a symbol of the dreams and honor of every Ronkandel. Once he hoped that after his death, his sword would be placed there. He remembered that in the past he was weak and without potential. A person who wasn't a leader or smart doesn't understand why he ever thought that hard training would make a difference. But this time, it seems that even in this worthless place, he will have a life worth living. Jin was welcomed by his family. First, his mother, Rosa Ronkandel, known as the Black Panther, greeted him. Jin also greeted her. The eyes of the cat and the patriarch met. Jean's father asked about this, and Jean replied that he had taken in Chiron. He emphasized the difference between picking up a cat and taking it in. He said it was good that Jean could choose his words correctly. It's the right attitude for a Ronkandel. Rosa, while petting the cat, asked Jean its name. Jean replied that its name was Butterfly Ronkandel. Upon hearing this, Jean's older brothers were outraged, saying that he shouldn't be allowed to give his surname to an insignificant animal. The father interrupted and asked the youngest why he had named the cat with the name Ronkindel. Jin responded that he did it to be responsible for it. It was the first time he was protecting a living being, so he thought the name should carry some weight. Chiron found this amusing but asked if he understood the weight of his surname. Jin affirmed it. If anyone insulted the cat, Jin would be the one to settle the score. Chiron commented that Jin had a talent for making enemies, judging by how his brothers looked at him. To this, Jin assured that he would also have the talent to get rid of enemies. Chiron exclaimed that his brothers should stay on guard if they wanted to handle a brat like him. 4 years later, Jin Ronkindel, 14 years old, 2-star knight and junior cadet. The instructor, Gary, told him it was time to finish training and that he had done a good job. Jin asked if that meant there would only be morning training. The teacher reminded him that young Luna planned to train him today. Jin remembered his plans with his sister and decided that he would go after eating something. Garen asked him if he would come back to have lunch with the cadets, pointing out that his mother would be disappointed, but it can't be helped. Jin doesn't want to have a staring contest with his brothers while he eats. Garen was understanding. He would let his mother know this later. Then someone approached, calling him young master, bringing him food. Belop Schmidt, a low-rank cadet from Ronkindel, is a 13-year-old commoner. Jin remembers that he fell behind in his training. Belop was stripped of his rank and exiled. Belop is grateful to the Ronkindel family, and to the young master who always shares his food with him. He said the same thing as the previous day. As if he had rehearsed it, Jin advised Belop to be more discreet. The others underestimate him because he talks too much. He suggests straightening his shoulders, keeping his head up, and having more confidence since he was also a cadet of the Guardian Knights of Ronkindel. Belop mentioned that his grades were terrible and that he hadn't even reached the first rank. Jin encourages him, saying that becoming a cadet isn't easy. No matter how bad his grades were, it was still better than those who didn't make it this far. Belop's personality is pure. It wouldn't be far-fetched to say that his family messes with him for that reason. Jin couldn't understand how someone so pure, after becoming a loyal dog of the Baman Empire, could start down the path of a merciless killer. Jin was surprised to find out that Belop had become an imperial bodyguard and felt bitterness upon hearing how he eventually took his own life. Jin shared a piece of meat with him. He decided to look after Belop and make sure he doesn't fall behind or get expelled this time. A lifetime of misfortune is more than enough. Jin reflected on his development so far. Shadow energy release of 2 stars, mana of 4, and sword skill of 2. Jin plans to reach the 3rd rank in fencing in a couple of years. Upon arriving at the training hall, Luna welcomed him. Today's training would be like yesterday. However, he would face this same training differently every day. Luna will teach him to use his mental eye. Jin assumes he will have to overcome this training that he had never heard of or seen before. This is the most important thing for a sword master. He must not open his eyes no matter what happens. That technique is too advanced for someone who has just reached 2 stars. But his sister is teaching it to him. To achieve normal mental vision, the aura must be dispersed. But since he can't use the aura, during training, he can't understand it. However, Jin decides to trust Luna's plans. He must focus. One day, he will understand. The training ended, and Luna praised Jin for his progress. Jin always exceeds Luna's expectations. He shows concentration and retention that are hard to find in 2-star knights. With his potential, he will understand everything in a few years. Luna wishes for her younger brother to continue growing, so they welcome Jin back to the training room. Everyone seems nervous. Garen. He explains that today's training will be the most important part of their final grade. It's a shortcut to becoming Guardian Knights. He informs Jin that it is also an important date for him. Rosa, his mother, mentioned that if he defeats 10 cadets, he would advance to the intermediate rank at the beginning of next year. That's good news. Velo is like this again. No problem, since Jin will take measures so he won't get expelled, although Velope would be fine if he had more confidence. The trainer announces to the cadets that today they will take turns fighting 3 times. With different partners, the 10 most outstanding will face Jin 1x1. The rookies are not bad fighters. There's a reason they are qualified to be cadets. Garen asks those who were not chosen to return to their seats. A girl is getting ready to fight Jin. Her personal record is 8, so she only needs to defeat 2 more. And for that, she needs to pay close attention to her. Mesa Milcano, a trainee Guardian Knight from Ronkindel, basic rank group. She will be a Guardian Knight in the future, passing all the tests. Mesa is the biggest obstacle in the test. She wants to defeat him. Jin notices that she has gotten stronger than before, but he assures he can beat her. The problem is that he'll have to defeat 8 after her. Mikano wonders why Jin is making simple attacks, when he usually uses complex ones. She concludes that he is doing it on purpose. Mikano can't believe it. She understands that Jin is disrespecting her, thinking he will defeat her as always. Thus, she wants to see him succeed. Mikano is determined to surpass the young master. She doesn't want to be pushed around like this again. She is surprised by the destruction of her sword. She declares her victory after such a duel. Now her sword is useless. Mika doesn't realize that Jin had been hitting the same spot on her sword the whole time. Their endurance and power are similar, but she fell behind in precision and tenacity. She understood that it's no wonder she's a Ronkindel. Mikano promises to fully dedicate herself to her training and to defeat him. Next time, everything goes according to Jin's plan in his current state. It would be complicated for Jin to defeat the 10 cadets head-on through victory against Mesa. He made it clear that a head-on battle would be disadvantageous for them. With this, Jin defeats his 10th opponent. He's glad that everything went according to plan. Garen flatters Jin, mentioning that next year he will receive training from a Runkandel and intermediate rank classes. Jin will be under his care until then. It's almost time for lunch. So they will conclude the morning training. There are only 10 minutes left before they finish. Jin requested to face one more person while he picks up a new wooden sword. Jin shouts the name of Bellup Schmitz. He is as confused as the other cadets. Bellup tried to object, but Jin insisted. He told him he wouldn't survive in the family. Ronkandel, with that attitude, Jin urged him to step forward and fight. He promises to destroy him. Bellup wonders why Jin chose him. He assumes it's because of his weakness that he plans to straighten him out. Jin speaks to Bellup seriously. He is tired after fighting against 10 rivals. On the other hand, he is in good shape. However, Jin assures him that he will be stronger than him anyway. That's why he chose him. Still confused, Bellup waits for an answer. Jin praises him for his blocks. He threw dirt in his eyes. Bellup is in pain from the blows he is receiving. Jin didn't just choose him for a practice match. He wants to fight him. He could have killed him. Then he will only be merciful once. The other cadets comment among themselves while Bellup reflects. Bellup is releasing energy from his sword, that is aura. After seeing this, Mesa asks Garen to stop the practice. The young master is in trouble, but the man does not listen to her. Jin asks Garen to take the secret of this duel to the grave. The instructor agrees. This is what the young master actually wanted. If he knows how to use the aura, he shouldn't hold back. Bellup assures Jin that he has made a mistake. If he wanted to fight with him, he should have chosen him first. Jin didn't know Bellup was this strong. He already knew Bellup was competent. Every time the cadets faced off, Bellup deduced the skills and strategies of his rivals. This allowed him to improve and match his opponents, but he ended up losing nevertheless. Jin is more than amazed that Bellup can use the aura. Bellup feels frustrated. He asks Jin why he insisted on an appropriate fight, if he wouldn't take it to the end if he enjoys playing with people. Jin replies that provoking him like this also hurts. Bellup has no idea how much Jin knows for him to pressure him so much. Jin admits he doesn't know about him, but he does know something. Caring for others is a behavior you can only obtain when you become strong. He is weaker than Jin and also kinder. This is something he likes, but he can't survive in this hell just with kindness. So Jin makes him promise that he will become strong to protect his kindness. Alongside him and everyone else, he apologizes to Bellup for having done something so harsh. The cooks arriving with the food were surprised to see them training. They still thought about coming back later, but they are done. Now they can bring the food. Bellup asks Jin to receive his food himself. This time he thinks it's fine. He will bring his food along as well. What the youngest did reached the patriarch's ears. The message was relayed by Kanchiron. Laughs. Talks about the conviction of the youngest. Jin is going to embrace the weak while ruling with strength. Thus they will have to see if there is value in a conviction like his. The patriarch orders Khan to tell this to Jin. I will give the youngest his first mission this month upon turning 15. Jin was recognized as a 3-star knight. When starting their first school vacation, the other cadets returned to their hometown or evaluated their own progress. While they were doing their personal training, as they advanced in the intermediate rank class, they stopped using the wooden training sword and began to use a real sword, which would be customized for each of them. Several cadets made orders for their own swords. Jin tried to find a suitable one for him in the family weapons store, but his sword was going to be chosen by Luna, because she said she wanted to do it for him. She explains that it took her a while to find a suitable sword. He remembers how she asked him about it a month ago. Jin is sure that she will find something good since she has a better eye for weapons. She explains to him that the sword is called the Veil's Slaughter. A sword that Luna thought to use at Jin's age can be considered the original form of Krantz, which she uses now. Luna wants to know what he thinks. He explains that he is grateful for her help but doesn't believe that sword is the right one for him. Luna understands she was just joking, although Jin doesn't think that's the case. She explains that the Veil's Slaughter is ideal. It is a bit heavy, but not so much. After thinking it over, in the end, he decided that they would look for another sword. He did his best to choose his sword, thinking about what would fit him best and what kind of sword could be used, just for him. And that was when he thought of this one since he chose Verizada during his selection ceremony. He believed this would be the best option, the sister sword of Verizada, the one used by the first patriarch Bradamante. Luna notices that Jin likes that sword. Jin excitedly affirms it is one of the best swords in the entire Jin family. Jin imagines how difficult it would have been to obtain this weapon on his own. He did not expect Luna to choose it for him. Both Bradamante and Verizada are the most suitable swords to utilize the shadow energy. If Jin himself had chosen it, his brothers would have opposed, and he would have to give it up. Jin says he knows that Bradamante is a sword that the other brothers desire. He doesn't know how to thank Luna for giving it to him. Luna didn't like his comment. She assumes that he still doesn't feel comfortable with it. It's a bit discouraging, says Luna, but Jin was just being honest. Still, she's already disappointed, and that's why she must calm her troubled heart. Luna asks him to close his eyes since they are going to train. There is one more thing she needs to teach him today among all his brothers who are busy trying to stomp on each other. Some brothers love him selflessly. She wants him to engrave that in his heart. Then she told him not to bother her again. She has already lived a lonely life before Jin was born. Later, Luna started the training. Later in his room, Jin talked to Murakan. He wanted to know what he thought of the sword. Murakan told him to put the sword away. He still didn't master the shadow energy enough to properly use Bradamante. At least rank 3 is required, and Jin was still at rank 2. Plus, Jin can barely imitate the sword's awakening. The boy feels that soon he will be close to 3 stars. Then he will be able to use it varied in Bradamante. They require precise control of the 3rd rank shadow energy at a minimum. He was ordered to use a normal sword until he reaches rank 5. Jin is not a patient person. He would reach rank 5 in a year even if he got first place in the shadow energy competition and ate the energy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner would be absolutely impossible. He says all this for his own good. If he understood it, he should stop saying nonsense. Jean threatened to rip the Hurricane comic for treating him like this. Gilly suddenly entered the room, informing Jean that the trainer was calling him to explain his strategy by showing him a map. Jean wonders what strategy Gilly is talking about. Gilly explains that the trainer has assigned him his first mission. Once his break is over, he will leave. At that moment, Jim was thinking it was a good time for a mission since recently. He had reached the 3rd rank in fencing. Normally, an intermediate or higher rank is assigned to these. Jim will go check it out and asks Healy to stay with Murakan. Upon arriving at the instructor's office, Garen explained that 10 cadets from the low-rank group had been selected for the mission. The cadets would be divided into 2 groups for a search task in the dangerous southern border of the Yan Kingdom. It is near the land of monsters and the base of the White Wolf tribe. Jin thought that region would be difficult for low-rank cadets. It was too difficult for a 1-over-1 mission and was assigned earlier than usual. He noticed that the assigned cadets had average scores. It seemed that someone had deliberately prepared everything. Jean suspects that his father was informed of his battle with Bellup to ensure. He shows his father that his conviction is solid. 3 days have passed. The mission is to search for the heir of the Yan Kingdom, a member of the Bill family. They will establish a camp in the center of the southern border, and then each squad will begin the search. They will share the information by sending one person to the camp once a day during the mission. They will not call him a young master but commander. The injured must rest in the camp as much as they need. That's all. Jin hopes that the search target is still alive. One of the group members reported having seen a water tribe monster. This was a positive sign since they avoided predators, suggesting they would not encounter the wolf tribe. White at that moment, as it will be slowed down by the snowfall. Bellup will return to the camp 2 hours earlier. The rest of the team must search the same area. Jin couldn't help but feel that everything was going too well considering that his father was the one who orchestrated the mission. Suddenly, several water tribe monsters approached, mentioning that they look poor. One of them gives Jin a fried fish. Beyond Zone 13 is the territory of men. The low-ranking cadets were no match for them. He decided to confirm the search results over the next 3 days. Instead of pushing for immediate results, Bellup reported something important. The second squad had been ambushed. Jin orders everyone to prepare to leave. The second squad dispersed to avoid the enemy. One person managed to reach the camp to inform. Bellup explains that they were not ambushed by beastmen. It was 3 humans, but Jin deduces there must have been more enemies. They wouldn't dare attack Ronkindel with so few people. He orders Eddington and David to protect the camp and its surroundings. He forbids them to confront the enemy without informing him first. There are as many suspects as ambushers. What could their objective be? They went after the second group, not Jean's group. He doesn't know who they are, but he is determined to punish them for messing with the Ronkindels. As they advanced, they found blood in the snow. Bellup feared that Mesa and the entire second squad were dead, but Jean assured him that the blood was fresh. There were no signs of collapsed people or pieces of flesh. He determined that the second group had escaped after being attacked by a single person. Another of his companions found a bandage. They found it to the west. Jin concludes that while attending to the wounded, they were ambushed again and had to flee west. Jin ordered Sierra to go to the camp to explain the situation to Eddington and David, and for Bellup to follow him. They saw the second squad, but there is something that worries Jean. They don't see Mesa anywhere. In addition to the fact that the number of enemies increased by 1, he signaled Bellup to attack the one on the left. After 2 seconds, the characteristics of the shadow energy that Murakan taught him, such as the sharpness and destruction of an item wrapped in shadow energy, increased. Furthermore, it conceals the presence of the item itself. Jim asks the guys if they are okay. They nod and inform him that they have captured Mesa. For now, they must prioritize treating their wounds. The man begs for his life. By the way he values his life, he doesn't seem to be one of Sipple's followers. He will give 2 options. 1, be the only one to die after revealing his affiliation, his objective, and his base. The other, keep his mouth shut and die, along with everyone related to him. Jean assures him that he does not break his promises since he is a Ronkindel. He accepts the proposal so that he doesn't harm his family and confesses to being part of a revolutionary group called Quincello. He refers to the terrorist organization that was active even during his time of death. The world was in turmoil after they killed the king of Yan and massacred the people. They call themselves a revolutionary group, but Quincelo's revolution aims to make their own king, the king of the whole world. Jin wants to know if what they sought was to cause turmoil in the kingdom by eliminating the Ronkindel cadets, but the captured soldier knows little. He does not know the base, but the branch he is participating in is at the entrance to the Beastmen territory. There are about 20 martial artists and 4-star mages. The last question is why the criminal kidnapped Mesa. He explains that it is to echo his ambitions. There was an order to capture the apprentices. Women alive. This angers one of Jin's allies. This is all the man knows. And for his part, Jin will keep his promise. Jin knows from the cadets that Mesa has been missing for an hour. They must be close to the entrance of the Beastmen territory. Jin sends his companions for reinforcements to the main house. After receiving first aid, it seems that Jin will go alone. The others remind him that their rivals are 4-star and there are 20. It's too dangerous. The cadets say they are novices, and as such, it's common for them to lose their lives. They want to go with him when a cadet has been captured. A son of Ronkindel cannot do nothing. Jin says he is stronger than they think, so he expects them to obey his order. If they continue to oppose, he will consider them insubordinate. Since the entire second group is injured, Bellup is the strongest cadet among them now, so he must stay focused. After giving the order, Jin sets off in search of Mesa, hoping not to arrive too late. His enemies consist of approximately 20 soldiers of 4-star level. Jin's sword skill is at 3 stars. His magic is 4 stars, and his shadow magic casting is 3 stars. He was growing quickly, but he knew he couldn't face them all at once. The main thing for him was to save Mesa. He decided to avoid fighting and focus on her. He used terrain detection. He also added wind tracking magic. The energy was moving toward the prairie. He realizes they haven't gotten very far. After being attacked, they recognized him as a Ronkindel student, but they are surprised to see him use magic. They had to eliminate him. Seeing Jin's strength, another prepared a fire attack. The bandit sent everything to hell. He was going to try something else. If fire didn't work against Jin, his goal was to pierce him with ice. But he is in for a big surprise. Jin realizes that the culprits were the bastards from Quincelo. They have no intention of hiding their tracks at all. Jin concludes that they underestimate him for being a novice. He saw tracks and realized that the others had left in a cart. Given Quincelo's hierarchy, they would probably divide their loot according to their position in the group. This meant they would not dare to touch Mesa since she would entertain a high rank, so there was still a chance to save her. Jin took a look at the map and saw that he was already close to the Beastmen lands and that Quincelo's base was nearby. He decided to distract them by using fire magic to ignite the forest. Jin is sure that with this, they will leave the forest. The Quincelos noticed the fire and ran out to put it out. Jin observed this. He hears how one of the high commanders insults others. One of the revolutionaries began giving orders to the mages. Jin thought they were using water or ice magic, and it turned out he was the boss. He shouted that the fire could not have started in this weather and that it was definitely caused by someone. The leader jumped when he felt someone behind him. The soldiers didn't notice anything. There was a lot of smoke. Jin knocked him out, finding a way in with the keys. He opened a door looking for Mesa. He stumbled upon a basement where Mesa was chained up. She asked him why he did it. It was dangerous. Jin told her not to worry and asked if she could walk. She replied that yes, but she didn't think she could run. Suddenly, they heard strange noises. Mesa asked Jin to promise her something, but he didn't think it was a good time for that. She asked him to leave her behind as they were in danger since she couldn't allow Jin to get hurt. Jin simply held her and told her they had to leave. Staying was dangerous. Upon exiting, they saw that all the revolutionaries had been killed, noticing the claw marks on the bodies. They knew what it was about. The culprits were the beastmen from the battle tribe. Jin and Mesa looked around, encountering something undesirable. It was a beastman from the White Wolf tribe. Mesa said she would distract it, but Jin knocked her out at that moment, angering the beastmen. He said they were all useless because they couldn't even put out a fire, asking Jin if it was all his fault. Jin admitted it was and introduced himself as a son of Chiron Ronkindel, asking his rival to say his name. The creature got excited upon hearing his last name. A few days before the mission began at the Ronkindel house, Murakan appeared out of nowhere. He warned that he could die if he tried to awaken the sword again, since the energy of the shadows would poison him. He made him promise not to use it again, and Jin agreed. Back to the present. Today would be the day he would have his most valuable hunt. He introduced himself as Kwajito Truka, a warrior from the Truka family of the Wolf tribe, a tribe said to be fully prepared for battle and slaughter. A member of this White Wolf tribe, a developed adult, is a warrior of at least 6 stars. It is known that the White Wolf tribe has a deep aversion toward the Ronkindel family in the past. The first patriarch of Ronkindel had invited their god, the Great White Wolf, Javier, and killed him. Jin knows he won't be able to escape easily with Mesa. Kwajito wants to eliminate Jin and take him as an offering to his god. Now he has 2 options: fight bravely or flee like a coward. Jin announces that he wants to fight. This answer satisfies Kwajito. Now the two must have a duel worthy of their status. Jin now understands why the White Wolf tribe has such a reputation. Just blocking an attack is pushing him to his limits. However, he has an ace up his sleeve, his sister's pendant. The magic and energy of shadows, the pendant must be used against a rival of higher level. If he cannot defeat a rival of that caliber, then he has no right to have great ambitions. Magic is also not a suitable option. It cannot penetrate the skin of someone from the White Wolf tribe with 4-star magic. If someone is sent from his clan to investigate Quincello, the Guardian Knight would immediately detect traces of magic. This only leaves him one option. The energy of shadows, his rival, praises his weapon. It looks nothing like the one that made his family famous. He screams that Jin is stronger than he seems. He tries to unleash his strength. As he did before, the monster points at Jin's weapon, exclaiming that he will give it as an offering. Jin also struggles to remember after the clash. He cannot see. Jin could not understand why his family was famous for their dark swords. At least that was the case until recently. Guaido just mumbles after being cut. Jin admits that this was a good battle. He is exhausted after the duel. A sudden darkness overwhelms Jin. He remembers the insults he received in his past life from his brothers. A useless. The shame of the Hurricane clan reproaches Jin for telling him he warned that activating the energy of shadows without preparation would have a cost. He questions whether he will lose his life due to shadow intoxication, urging him to get up. If he doesn't want that fate, he already knows what he must do, the release of the energy of shadows. His energy is being dragged by the surrounding shadow energy, so he cannot use the release correctly. He cannot let it be dragged. He must try again. First, he needs to keep a cool head. The process finishes, and he suddenly stops feeling pain. Now he is filled with shadow energy. This will not affect his movement, so he can take Mesa back. Jin hears someone's voice. It's a guy who asks not to be executed. Jin assumes he is a member of that bandit group, but the guy denies it, introduces himself as Sember Bill from the Bill family of the Jan Kingdom. Jin recognizes him and explains that he was sent to look for him. Sember gets excited to hear that he is a Ronkindel. Jin confesses to himself that he had forgotten the objective of the mission due to the battle with Quincello. Jin brought Mesa, who thanked him and promised not to forget his kindness. Jin replied that it was nothing since he had been paid for it. He asked Sember how Quincello had kidnapped him, and Sember explained that he was following his beloved. Jim thought the guy planned to escape. However, Sember tells him that she lost her life 2 years ago, but claims that everything about that girl, it was identical to when she was alive. Jin assumed it must be the work of Bubber. Gaston probably wanted to kidnap Sember for money. There might be a connection between that guy and Quincello. Jin reflects that this is the second time Boober has been involved in things related to him. He decides to confirm what kind of person he is once he meets him in person. Fortunately, Boober's workshop was in the Principality of Carano. He had to find a way to go see him in the middle of training. Jin mentions that the main family's reinforcements would be arriving, moved. Sember cannot believe that he called them for his well-being, but in reality, it was for Mesa who did it. Sember assures that he will remember it forever. Moreover, he offers his help in case he ever needs it. Upon returning, Jin was welcomed by the nanny, who congratulated him for successfully completing the task. He was grateful when suddenly the cat Hurricane caught his attention. Jin approached Hurricane to pet him. Hurricane got angry, reminding him that he had warned him many times. He shouldn't have awakened the sword. He could have ruined everything. Nothing is more important than the life of the only contractor of Solderit. Gilly tried to calm him down. Murakan, even angrier, said that Jin had a pendant and that it wasn't just any junk jewelry. Jin explained that he didn't want to waste it since he could face more powerful enemies. The dragon just got more stressed upon hearing this. For Jin, there was no reason to be so upset. Jin's shadow energy went from 3 stars to 4. That's how Hurricane knew he had freed the sword. Jin couldn't imagine that such a thing could be possible, so he appreciates the abilities that Solderit gave him. Hurricane told him he should be grateful to be alive. Since of the 11 who had experienced the poisoning from shadow energy, 9 had died. Jin assumed that the other besides him was the founder, but in reality, it was Hurricane. Had it been Timar, he would have died. That meant he and Murakan were similar. There is no reason to worry. He doesn't want to experience that pain a second time. Murakan thinks of making Jin go hungry to teach him a lesson, but on the contrary. Yili is getting ready to prepare her meal. Murakan feels jealous of Jin in a luxurious room. The brothers argue about how Jim could defeat a White Wolf warrior, wondering how he managed to do it. Since he had just reached the 3rd rank, one of the sisters commented that it would only be possible under one circumstance. The monster he faced was particularly weak. Anna Ronkindel, the 9th flag bearer of Ronkindel, the other sister comments that even fighting one weak would be impossible for Jean, but she finds it more incredible that her mother believed him. Mew Ronkindel, the 8th flag bearer of Ronkindel. Then Anna addresses others, Gaitona and Daytona, who agree with her. However, one of them doubts it might be true, but the other tells him it would be impossible. The problem is not that he eliminated a White Wolf, but that he will be part of the intermediate class now. If that happens, they both agree it will be their end. Both feel depressed about what awaits them. They wonder if it is really so bad for Jean to reach the intermediate class, claiming they can speak honestly. Anna says she hates mouths that spit lies more than anything in this world, so much that she just wants to rip them out. They both admit their fear of Jin, and Anna offers her help. She offers her slaves, she will make good use of them. The intermediate training class of Ronkandel follows the absolute law of the jungle. As all knights from 3 to 5 stars are here, there are so many newcomers. As there are people who have been in the class for over 10 years, both sisters select some cadets and treat them as slaves. Anna tells Jaytona and Daytona that they can take them to teach Jin his place, although if they can't do it properly, it would be better for them to prepare. Jin had completed his first task, which resulted in his transfer to the advanced group. His shadow energy had reached the 4th rank. If he wanted to use it properly, he should reach the 6th rank in fencing in 5 years. The 6th rank knights are excellent swordsmen, the 7th are masters, and those who reach the 8th rank and higher are considered exceptions to the rule. For every 2 billion people on the continent, only about 100 reach the 9th or 10th rank. Only one person has surpassed those barriers, the demigod, the celestial knight. Despite this, Jin was determined to surpass his father. Then he thought about the future problems that would arise with the Tona brothers who are in the intermediate class. Although Jin hasn't experienced it, he knows that upon entering the intermediate class, the brothers will turn against the older and younger brothers. To keep themselves controlled, everyone in the basic class is young and has a similar skill level. So they get along quite well, but in the intermediate class, someone with such a soft heart could never achieve it. In that place where strength and skill are everything, there is only one thing to do: dominate the intermediate class with brute force. Later, Rosa, Jin's mother, meets with him. She had sent for him. Rosa knew he completed the mission. The result was satisfactory. She mentioned Petro's report. She found out that Jin had rejected his mother's recommendation to move to another room. Only the child destined to be the next ruler could use it. It had been empty since Joshua left it when he was young, but he wants Jin to use it. Now he thanked his mother's gesture but could not accept the offer. He explained that no matter how good the room was, it was still a room besides. It was too luxurious and big for him. Jin has already made that decision, slightly nervous. Rosa taps the table with her finger. Then she gave Jin permission to leave her office. Being alone, she wondered if her son had no greed or if he had too much of what she offered. It's a room that only allows children who will be responsible for Ronkandel in the future. She is sure he knows about the support he would receive along with the room from the moment he entered it. However, it is also true that he will become the target of those who did not receive it. Her son had realized that he was being tested. She hopes to see his performance in the intermediate class. Jin tells the cadets that starting tomorrow, they would be transferred to the intermediate training class, which consisted of several factions. She warned them about territorial battles and aggressions. She assured them that they should not be afraid as everything would disappear once they mastered the class. Until then, she asked them to move in groups of 3 and not act alone. Sometime later, someone is heard asking for everyone's attention. Seth Ronkandel, main member of Ronkandel, 8-star knight, and younger brother of Chiron Ronkandel. Seth told the cadets that 10 recruits had joined this year and 27 had withdrawn. Addressing the new students, he urged them to gain experience from their mentors. In the intermediate class, he would teach them to use the sword and assess their skills. Zed mentioned that they would have to deal with everything excluding murder. He addressed the seniors and loudly asked them what their philosophy was. They all shouted in unison that Ronkandel did not need the weak. They repeated this louder and louder. Jin realized they were trying to intimidate them. She also noticed the twins among the crowd, who were shouting the same. She saw a muscular man behind them who had clearly been training for a long time, someone whom the twins could not have defeated by themselves. Jin assumed they must have requested the help of the sisters, Miu and Anna. Although they were trying to intimidate their faction, she would show them they were wrong. Suddenly, she moved toward her brothers and the young man at her side. The brothers, filled with fear and confusion, remembered that they had the backing of their sisters after hurting the guy. Jin assured that it was not him who should be hazed, but them. Then he asked for a doctor for the cadet. Daytona demanded to know why Jin had acted that way. Jin ignored their questions and approached the injured cadet to ask for his name. The guy said he was Kajin Romero. Then he asked if he knew why he had cut off his arm. Daytona pointed his sword at Jin, demanding answers and challenging him to unsheath again. Jin intimidated them by asking if they didn't see he was talking to Kajin. He ordered them to be silent. He would have a duel with both later. Daytona insulted Jin for what he did and accused him of acting irresponsibly after injuring his apprentice. He said he was his apprentice, then this guy must be part of his faction. He looked at Jin with bloodlust. That's why he cut him. The cadets were surprised. A fight for hierarchy had begun. Seth noticed that the twins had taken a hard hit. After trying to suppress his younger brother due to the Tona brothers, Kajin's position within their faction had consolidated because of that. Jin's actions had become not just an unforeseen act but a battle for hierarchy, an ancient tradition of Ronkandel. Jin ordered all the new recruits to listen. He warned them they could challenge him and even attack him by surprise. But he reminded them that any sign of hostility would be met without hesitation. Seth approached Jin and asked if he truly believed he could act like that in front of him. Jin replied without hesitation that yes, he believes he did not fight against the twins, but against the elder. What he said sounded interesting. He asks him to explain what he means. Based on that, he could decapitate him right here. Jin comments that he has used a strange kind of hazing even while he was there. Something that he certainly did not take well, as he thinks it is a personal attack against him. Jin remains silent. The elder assumes that Jin is not happy with the hazing he does to the cadets, and he is right in everything except not being happy. The professor mentions that instead of attacking a soldier, he could have directed his sword against him, but Jin tells him that this is not possible. Since he does not consider himself capable of defeating him, if he thought otherwise, he would not have hesitated to attack him. Apparently, he does not consider his life to be worth much, or he simply trusts too much in the fact that he is the son of the patriarch. Staying with crossed arms just because his opponent is stronger than him is not something a Ronkindel would do. While life lasts an instant, honor is forever. For the instructor, those words are nonsense. Jin's bravado is so stupid that it makes his uncle happy. But he concedes, the boy is worthy of living among the Ronkindels. Then the professor, while life lasts an instant, honor is forever for the instructor. Those words are nonsense. Jin's bravado is so stupid it makes his uncle happy. But he concedes, the boy is worthy of living among the Ronkindel. Then the professor asks his students not to forget what they have just seen. As it signifies being in this clan, Jin is a living image of the passion a warrior has. But for the sword, they must fight and they must remain true to themselves. After this, he tells them to retreat. Training will be the next day. Jin's brothers are not happy to see him, but he gives them advice as the youngest son. Right now, they may be more afraid of the elders, but that won't be the case forever. He asks them not to focus so much on the present and prepare for the future. Jin returned to his room earlier than expected. He tells Yili about the situation with the brothers. Tona has started the hierarchy war with them. Jin adds, knowing that his sisters are helping the twins. He explains that he had to defeat a soldier who was with his brothers. After investigating, he discovered that he belonged to his sister's faction because one of the twins spoke too much. That soldier has now become part of his faction. Jin assumes that when they find out about this, they will become furious. First of all, it's impossible for those two to have a 5-star soldier in their ranks since they usually choose soldiers of lower or equal rank to the leader. Gilly cannot believe that to be true since the banners can only intervene and fight against other banners. However, Jin remains confident. It is an honor for him that his elders take the trouble for him. But what worries him is that they received a hard blow from him, but he is calm since it will take time to retaliate due to their different ranks. Besides, Jin believes that the only thing they can do against him will be to increase the difficulty of the missions and assign him low-rank companions, just so he can be easily defeated or injured. There are many solo missions, so he will be able to gain an advantage then as there won't be anyone watching him. He knows he can use all his strength. Then Gilly gets excited. It's a great opportunity. Jin says he must be thankful to his sisters and try to accumulate achievements. Besides, there won't be a problem if he takes a cat with him. He won't take Murakhan on his missions because he has other tasks for him. He will tell him next time. Until then, he asks them to keep a low profile. Later in the afternoon, Jin's uncle explains to the 3 siblings that when they finish their afternoon training, they will go to a special field to continue practicing. That place is only for the pure blood members of the Ronkindel family. He makes it clear that the training will be tough. The style of fencing of the family is based on power and destruction. Their goal is to possess and win. That is why the ranks of the Ronkindels are based on their fencing level. There is no specific definition for the style, but there are secret and definitive techniques that are only learned when one is a flag bearer. The instructor tells them that the qualities with the sword of the Ronkindel family are different from the rest of the families, since they have no known footwork or principles. He asks them why this is the case, and Jin answers that it is due to the unique physical abilities and talent that the family possesses. Being a Ronkindel is basically being blessed. Each member is generally characterized by strength and speed to master the sword at a level that an average human could not. Even the weakest are above average. What the 3 siblings have learned so far are simple and easy things. He gives each of them a steel sphere. Jin observes it and wonders if there's something inside, maybe steel fragments. The instructor tells them that the object is called clear rock due to the sound it makes when you hit it. He explains that now they will hear the 3 types of sounds that rock makes. The first is a very unpleasant one. Now comes the next. The siblings remain silent upon hearing the second. They are surprised. Depending on the strength of the impact, the sound will be different. He also mentions that if you hit it with little force, it will make an unclear sound, while if you apply the right amount, the sound that will come out will be beautiful. Jin is starting to understand. Apparently, he needs to train his control of strength. Besides concentration and mental strength, the goal of practicing with the clear rock is realizing that if he takes into account the qualities of the Ronkindel, this is the most suitable practice despite its simplicity. However, Jin suspects this is just a drill, since it is a very safe practice for a Ronkindel. Now, the last sound of the clear rock, Jin wonders what it is. He is sure he heard something inside the rock. It felt like fragments of steel. Jin understands everything all of a sudden. He anticipates and tells his brothers to duck. After the explosion, the 3 brothers watch the professor. The old man praises the instincts of the youngest. If they hit the clear rock too hard, it will explode. Now that they know what to do, they will start training after. Saying this, he tells them they were the first to come out unscathed after Luna. The old man explains he was the instructor of most of the brothers, Ronkindel. This brutal act could be considered a rite of passage. Something he didn't expect was to have other children unscathed. Jin interrupts, wanting to know how Luna managed to come out unscathed. The uncle tells them they might be disappointed if they find out what happened to all her brothers. Luna received the explosion, but unlike them, she didn't evade it. Due to how resilient she wasn't hurt at all. The three were surprised. Then they are told that now it's their turn. They must practice until they can create a clear sound in any context. Luna's nanny appears to bring her some tea. While serving, the woman brings up the topic of the assassination attempt that Jin confessed to suffering from one of the brothers. The nanny says that Anna and Mew are clear suspects, and Luna thinks they are crazy, but not to the point of trying to eliminate a Ronkindel child in the Storm Castle. She mentions that attacking someone in the Storm Castle to get ahead in the succession race is forbidden. Moreover, if the patriarch were to find out about this, the whole family would be in chaos, and it wouldn't take long before heads would roll for the guilty. Hearing all this, the woman puts on the table the possibility that Jean may have misunderstood the situation and perhaps lied. Luna mentions that when she found out about this, Jean was 10, so she believes both cases are possible. They have been investigating for 5 years but still haven't found anything. Luna doesn't believe Jean lied. He was careful of her back then. Luna asserts it wasn't out of discomfort towards her, but because Jean felt in danger not knowing his attacker. After hearing everything, Luna's nanny asks if she should investigate Mew, and Luna asks her to do so, as she is very worried about not finding any information regarding the incident. The nanny feels anxious. She also fears that her brothers will hurt Luna again, even though it has been a long time since she turned 30. Luna wonders if Jean is doing well. Soon, he will start to feel the results. The training of the mind's eye that practiced the explosion of the clear rock is painful, but she is sure she managed to get through it. It's nice for her to see someone grow the next day, 4 hours after the afternoon training. Jin is exhausted from the training. As of all the ones he has gone through, this is the one he feels the worst about. 5 minutes of rest is what they are given. Jin admits that he was wrong to think that the main goal of the practice was to polish his strength control. Since he must first increase his destructive aura power, he remembers how the teacher was able to destroy the sphere without using aura. But unlike him, Jin lacks physical strength. This is why Jin plans to compensate for that lack by honing his aura. He will have to achieve it. Otherwise, he won't be able to hear the clear sound, let alone destroy the sphere. Jin tells himself to take it easy after all. This practice was something that even his brothers were able to surpass in their past lives, which means there's no way that he can't do it. Also, the uncle realizes that the three of them are doing well, but Jin's aura stands out. It's noticeable that he has something special. The elder Seth assumes he will be able to break the moon record at night. The instructor says that the brothers' tone are pathetic. He asks Jin to tell them not to come back if they are going to collapse like that. Still, with this, the teacher acknowledges the strength of the twins. He expected them to tire out much earlier. Without a doubt, they are the children of Ronkindel. For his part, Jin is impressive. The uncle laments that the boy is the youngest. If he had been born 10 years earlier, right now he would have the entire clan in his hands. It's really a shame. A month later in March, the inauguration of the training center for intermediate cadets. It is reported that the intermediate training class has received its first mission, so all cadets whose names are called must step forward. The first mission is a surveillance operation. They must monitor the rookies of the Public Blacksmith Association. The spokesperson reports that the third mission consists of subjugating demonic beasts. The targets are the orcs. He adds that the location will be the unguarded areas of the Principality of Kurano. He also proceeds to announce the names of those responsible for carrying out this mission. After reading the list, the spokesperson looks somewhat confused. The subjugation group will be formed by Mesa, Velop, and others. He explains that there are 25 orcs that must be eliminated. Since orcs move in groups, they must be determined and focused on the mission. That would be all. Pietro will explain the rest in more detail. He wishes them luck. The troops feel that taking out orcs is a tough task for some rookies, and feel a bit sorry for them as they will return battered, even mentioning that they will need some coffins, and that making a will before leaving wouldn't be a bad idea. They also joke, saying that maybe they will ask for help from Jean to save them. This provocation affects one of the novices, but Mesa stops Timon. He tells him they are not strong enough to defeat those cadets. It's true they have also insulted Jean, but still, Mesa tells him to be quiet, reminding him they are in Ronkindel, then gathers all his companions. He encourages them to complete the mission and return successfully. Doing so is the only way to put their rivals in their place. The training continues, but the Tona brothers are having some problems with that. He says he's fine, but asks them to train away from him. It's been a month since he started training with the clear rock, and his brothers also started making them explode. He still doesn't understand the feeling he just experienced. He remembers when he was hit by the unintended projectile from the Tona twins. He saw it as clearly as the trajectory of an arrow approaching. If the iron pieces fly toward him again, he will definitely be able to dodge them, which leads him to assume that it may have to do with Luna's training. Jin decides to try again before he forgets that feeling. At that moment, their uncle asks them to pay attention. The twins now have to go to an event. Both are not very happy about this. The mission is in the Beeman Empire. Just thinking about it makes them feel exhausted. Their uncle feels sorry for them. Thanks to them, their other brothers won't have to dance at the party. Even if it's an event, it's still a mission. The next time they show this attitude, Sed threatens to make sure they would prefer to be dead. The sisters were cruel to send the Tona to a social event instead. After giving that mission to the twins, he asks them to pay attention as they will be able to learn a couple of things. Then he turns to Jin. His mission is an execution. The target is the toy of the Ice Palace Master, Talaris, in other words, one of his numerous lovers. He asks if Jin knows about the Ice Palace Master. He is referring to a huge tower that rises in the middle of the western sea of the continent. The Master is the owner of the Talare Tower, Sendorma, the 55th Master of the Ice Palace. A person nicknamed the Spider of the Abyss was known for her inexhaustible cruelty toward anyone who approached her lovers. The palace is an independent force, immune to the influence of Ronkandel and Zippel. One can get a rough idea of the strength of the Master of the Palace. The name of the assassination target is Alcaro Senderer, currently escorted by the Ice Palace's people. He is in the lawless zone of Mammoth. The twins mention the Guardian Knights and that, moreover, the mission is a bit complicated. For the youngest, despite his talent, Jean understands that the client is from the Senderer family and wants to confirm if it's true that this family commissioned him to kill their own son. Zed explains that they tried to recover the boy, but everything has failed, so now the Endere want to eliminate him so he won't reveal family secrets. Their uncle wants to know if he will be able to complete the mission, and Jin nods. This attitude leaves him surprised. He doesn't understand how he could accept so quickly without knowing the Palace Master's power. Besides, he expected him to complain about it not being a reasonable mission. However, Jin's firmness is appealing to him. The three will depart in a couple of days. The Tona brothers are somewhat worried. They still don't find it reasonable that the youngest is sent to fulfill that objective. There's no reason to stop him if he wants to go. The afternoon training is cancelled, so it doesn't interfere. With the mission, the twins approach Jin and recommend that upon arriving at his destination, he should say he's a Ronkandel so that no one stands in his way. It's a surprise that both are concerned for him. The Tona clarify that they are not worried, they just don't want him to lose his life until they reach him. Until he returns, they must make a decision, whether they prefer their older sisters or him. His uncle Zed interrupts, startling the Tona brothers as the youngest said. They must strengthen their hearts until they are strong enough. That is essential if they wish to live a long life. 2 days later, Jin's companions gather with him to confirm that he will go to Mammoth, the lawless zone. They notice that Jin's hair color is different. He is in disguise, because he doesn't want it to be noticed that he is a Ronkandel. Jin meets with Mesa. Both will go to a different teleportation door. Mesa and the others' mission is subjugation. Jin notices they have pale faces. They say they are fine. They just came to say goodbye before he departs. He tells them it won't be the last time they see each other. But Mesa comments that if they're not lucky, one from the group might die. Jin asserts that thinking about that won't change anything and asks him to focus on his immediate goal. He is sure he will return, so he hopes that they don't get hurt over unnecessary worries. Then he asks his allies to take care, and they say the same. Gilly mentions that Jin has many good guys. For that reason, he asks her to take good care of them. And Murakami must not let himself be caught. He says the same. He can't be careless just because he trusts his disguise. Gilly will feel strange without Hurricane nearby, stating that everything will be quieter. To this, Jean tells her to see it all as a vacation. He promises to bring back a souvenir upon his return, still worried. Gilly mentions that he is going to subjugate. A lover of the Ice Palace Master, she knows that her master is not a middle-class cadet, but Mammoth is a dangerous place. For this, she asks him to be careful. Then Jim sets off on his journey, promising to return to Mammoth, the lawless zone, a land where the worst criminals gather. In a tavern, a man enters announcing that there is a newcomer. They recognize him as Tonk. He got into trouble again, the sanctuary of outlaws, due to the energy that came from these terrible humans. It was rumored that not even weeds grew there. Everyone pays attention. He is a newcomer. Jean orders some light snacks and a bit of cold water. Some can't believe Jean's attitude. Tom approaches carelessly. Since Jean is not acting like a newcomer, this leads him to assume that he must be a 9-star gentleman, which is what he wants, to know his identity. Then he gets intense and mentions the Mammoth rules, asking Jin to kneel down, as that way he can lick his fingers more comfortably. Jim asks for his order, warning not to keep him waiting any longer. Everyone goes silent. Then they celebrate since several had bet that Tom would end up like this someday. Everything they told him about Mammoth is true. There are a lot of crazy people gathered here. He remembers how they advised him to show his strength immediately to avoid attracting trouble. Recalling his teacher's words, Jin feels grateful to her, who helps him even in another life. Jin receives his order. I didn't put poison, the bartender clarifies. Poisoning is prohibited in this area. The man acknowledges that Jin knows a lot, assuming he has family around here, but that's not his concern. The bartender asks him if he's looking for substances or a person, with Jin affirming that it's the latter. He wants to know if he's heard of someone named Heister. The guy tells him no, and that he's sure of it. Then Jim asks about a place to stay, somewhere insects can't get in. When the bartender hears those words, he tells him there's only one place like that, an inn in the west of the city called the Moonlight Well. That's the place where the kings of Mammoth stay, so there's no room for causing a ruckus. Alcaro's sender is the foolish master of the count. He grew up without knowing suffering and is obsessed with pleasure and entertainment. The only thing he has is a pretty face, and his last name is the typical arrogant who is weak with the strong and strong with the weak. Jean realizes that the reason he's idly waiting in this dangerous city is that he wants to attract the attention of the master of the Ice Palace. Therefore, the only place Alcaro could be is this inn. Jean remembers the bartender's words about a new substance, so he assumes Alcaro must be enjoying that. Knowing he is a lover of the master of the Ice Palace, he assumes he must have some guards. First, he needs to explore the lobby. A man shouts to his guard. This one saved him from dying the previous day, but now they refuse to accompany him. Jin doesn't believe in his luck. He just found his target as soon as he entered. Alcaro seems to refuse to follow the guard's advice, but he also doesn't have the confidence to last an hour out there. The guards ask him to stay calm, mentioning that their goal is to keep him safe, also pointing out that Alcaro is acting immaturely. Alcaro tells him to shut up because he doesn't want to hear sermons, saying that their heads will roll when his beloved returns. Both sigh, already tired of him. The guards wonder how much longer they will have to protect this trash, wishing he would lose his life once and for all due to his addictions. They don't understand why the Ice Palace Master keeps him alive. Jin observes everything and realizes that eliminating Alcaro will be an easy task. The problem is what will happen afterward. He must find a way to escape without being seen by those guards, who are at least 6 stars, Jin. He rules out using poison due to the unwritten laws of Mammoth, and the escorts would be a problem if he attacked head-on. He tries to find a secret way to kill Alvaro in the secret room of the Full Moon Inn. After thinking for a bit, Jin knows what he must do. The next day, a messenger from the palace walks through Mammoth asking if Alcaro had 6 bodyguards. His men confirm it. They are all going through so many problems due to a guy who doesn't know his place. Today will be the last day because the young lady will get rid of him personally. She can eliminate him whenever she wants. She confirms that he is at the Moonlight Inn and decides to head there quickly. Good news must be shared soon. After the impact, her soldiers inform her that it came from the location of the inn. Whoever did this must be crazy, she expresses. They picked the wrong day to do it. Jin ensures that he will cause terror from the inside. Applying shadow energy of 4 stars, he assumes that this way he will confuse his rivals. They will think they are facing a warrior of at least 6 stars and not a 5-year-old boy. He remembers that Vera Disciple has just also become a 6-star mage, but this makes it even better. Since Jin will use magic to hide his magical powers, he concludes that if he wants to be seen as an attack from outside the inn, he just needs to call down a lightning bolt while Jin concentrates his energy. He realizes that the plan might not be the best, but still, he completes the lightning invocation. We return to the present where that attack hits the inn. Cirrus Indorma, captain of the 7 Swords and daughter of the Ice Palace Master. Her men tell her that it seems a high-ranking mage has something against that luxurious inn. Cirrus considers this possible, although she soon puts on the table the possibility that they might be after the Ice Palace. Cirrus reminds them that inside that place there are 6 soldiers from her group in addition to Alcaro. She then indicates that the main objective is to save her companions and that Alcaro is not a priority. Amidst the chaos, the bandits in the area flee. Assuming it must be something to do with the Sipple family, Gitan moves forward to find out what is happening. She tries to stop him. The lightning strikes near him, although it doesn't harm him. Cirrus concludes that this was his last attack, judging by the power with which it fell. When everything calms down, she prays that her companions are safe. At the same time, Jin emerges from the rubble. His power could very well have reached 7 stars since he used the remaining shadow energy. He managed to come out unscathed thanks to his pendant. Jin notes that there are no fatal losses, but he cannot locate Alcaro. If he is still alive, now would be a good opportunity. To finish him off, however, Cirrus finds him first and is curious to see someone her age in Mammoth. She asks him about his condition. Considering that he was hit by the attack, Cirrus urges Jin to get up to leave there at the same time. One of her recruits approaches to inform her that their companions are unharmed. She is happy about this. If they are still escorting the cargo, they have permission to execute it since all magic seems similar. The previous attack was definitely done by a single mage, so if they see one, they must catch him in the meantime. Jin hears how she gives orders. He realizes that she is the daughter of the Ice Palace Master. Jin thinks his mission is complete. After all, the cargo is destined to die anyway, but the dangerous part comes next. It would be problematic if the Ice Palace Master's daughter remembers his face. She will cover herself as much as she can and pretend that he was wrapped in this, to be able to flee. In the midst of this, Cirrus's comrades inform her that the cargo lost his life during the lightning attack. Lamenting not being able to fulfill her request, she came here to save them from the problem of escorting him. They did well, dealing with that idiot's temperament. Following this, with full confidence, Cirrus announces that now the inn will be under the control of the Ice Palace Master. She introduces herself as Cirrus Indorma, daughter of Talaris, Ice Palace Master and captain of the 7 Swords. Anyone who dares to challenge her authority will be considered an enemy. Despite what one might think, the bandits raise their voices, commenting that no matter how much the Ice Palace wants to impose its authority here, this is Mammoth, and it is something they cannot do. They add that even the attack could have been caused by them. The kings of this city are in charge, claiming that the palace cannot exert its control here. After eliminating them, she reminds them of her words. Anyone who opposes will be considered an enemy of the palace. Then, she denies that there is an authority like a king in Mammoth. Cirrus offers a reward for anyone who reveals if this attack was against the Ice Palace. If the target of the mages was one of the bandits, then it means that the palace was involved in this attack. So taking this into account, Cirrus considers that taking control of Mammoth is the most reasonable thing to do. They have no reason to refuse. They want to find the bastard who caused all that chaos. Of course, they should first start looking among the survivors. The bandits indicate that it couldn't have been any of them since they are not mages. Not forgetting that she speaks with scum, Cirrus says that it is highly likely they have earned the hatred of some powerful being. Not to forget that he speaks with scum, Cirrus says it's highly likely they have earned the hatred of some powerful being. Then she turns to Jean and asks what a boy like him is still doing here. She had told him to leave. Jean apologizes, saying he is a bit scared and has an injured leg. He is too cowardly to be a man and doesn't seem like a swordsman, acting so innocent. She tells him he was lucky to have survived, and even more, because she is applying an ointment to him, he should consider it an honor. Jim asks how he can pay for her kindness, but Cirrus, with a smile, tells him it's not necessary. Someone like Jean couldn't repay her in any way. She just asks that if he ever remembers this moment, he should greet the Ice Palace from time to time. Cirrus says goodbye to Jean and he does the same. After she leaves, he relaxes his expression and resolves that his mission has been completed. On the other hand, the table group fulfills its objective. Fighting against orcs, they manage to eliminate several, and it seems they will be able to return without casualties. Tismot and Scott are more than happy they will show those elders that they could defeat the orcs. However, Mesa calls their attention, reminding them that there are still 7 left. Orcs usually move in hordes, but they are finding them separated. They feel that luck is on their side. Or maybe the one who received such a blessing was Master Jin, and that good energy stuck to them. Mesa directs his group to eliminate the rest of the orcs. When Murakami hears this, he comes out of hiding, saying that if they accomplish that quickly and without problems, he will have completed his mission, which means he will be able to return home. A few days ago, on the day he was assigned the mission to Jin's team, Murakami met with the orcs, ordered them to move alone, threatening to eradicate them in the worst way if they don't comply. With the instructions, he ordered them to disperse if they understood it back to the present. Huracan reflects on how Jin makes annoying requests. He approaches where Mesa and the others are gathered when he returns. Huracan will remember to ask for a couple of mangroves as a reward from Jin, since reading is something he can do without problems in his cat form. Amidst this, he feels a dangerous presence. He realizes it's heading toward where the cadets are. He doesn't understand how beings of that caliber can appear out of nowhere, so to avoid problems, Murakan decides to use his powers. He places a barrier, and is glad that there are no soldiers with Jin's talent. Otherwise, they would notice. However, Velopsik noticed something, although he attributes it to the clouds getting darker because it would rain outside the barrier. Murakami finds himself in his dragon form. Someone dared to unleash their strength without his permission. He realizes it's not a being, but a relic from ancient times. It's a giant from the cemetery. The Dragon Clan was supposed to have eliminated them 2,000 years ago. Besides, such creatures guard the tombs of the gods, so it makes no sense for one to be here. Whatever the reason, Huracan considers it is not a pleasant encounter. His plan is to finish this with a single dragon breath attack. After completely destroying the Guardian, Murakami returns to his human form. It's been a while since he used his powers. His whole body hurts. He points out how strange it is that a cemetery giant appears here and suspects that the Sipple family is behind this. He wonders what is happening to this world. Huracan decides to keep this information hidden for now. If the boy continues to grow at this rate for another 10 years, he will be able to go against the Sipple family. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a robust man seems to be worried. Someone he was expecting comes to see him. Then Buber Gaston informs this man, worried, that someone destroyed his cemetery guardian. Vishkel, the leader of Quincello, mentions that he already knows about the news. Gaston doesn't understand how someone would be capable of destroying his art, but Vishkel reminds him that that's not what's important right now. He reveals that the one responsible for that was a shadow dragon. Bizkel personally went to check the scene. Gaston is worried that the dragons have figured out their plans. Vishkel is not sure, but for now, he asks Gaston to stay alert. He will send useful people soon. He also adds that he will have a meeting with the Sipple family shortly. Upon his return, Jin is greeted by his uncle, who looks proud to see that he has returned victorious. The professor knows that the elders who gave him that task will be furious over his achievement. He then tells the rest of the troops that they can withdraw. Afterward, Jin meets with Mesa and his group. Both parties relieved that everything went well. On the other hand, the cadets talk about some rumors. Casually, the day Jin's target lost his life, a mysterious wizard attacked the inn where he was staying. That was the rumor that reached the cadets. Not only is he a Ronkandel, but he has great luck for many of them. No matter. how hard they try, they won't be able to go beyond the intermediate level. They comment that they cannot let themselves be surpassed by the newbies. Jin has 4 stars, but Mesa and the others only have 3. Kajin says they can't do much against Jin. After all, he's a pureblood Ronkindel. He adds that they can't make a move until one of Jin's older sisters orders it. At that moment, Jin stays silent, watching them. The cadets assume he heard them, trying to think that he didn't. After all, they are quite far away. Unfortunately for them, he could hear them clearly. Jin asks about the state of Kajin's arm. The warrior responds seriously that the doctor said it was easy to put back in place thanks to the young master cutting it cleanly. Jin thought they were having an interesting conversation. The cadets admit they can't do anything against him but talk. Behind his back, they ask him to overlook this. However, Jin downplays the matter since he doesn't have the authority to do anything. Strictly speaking, this doesn't concern Kajin, although he thinks that Jin could have them whipped with a single word. He asks him what reason he would have to do that, to which Kajin responds that he is acting very insolent in front of Jin. Right now, Jin thinks that Kajin is an eyesore and he stands up defiantly, while another cadet tries to stop him. Seeing the young master receive recognition for a mission he completed by chance is not pleasant. He seems to have misunderstood Jin's words. The reason he said that Kajin was an eyesore was not because he was mocking or acting insolently. Kajin Romero, as a 5-star knight, has a skill that is outstanding among the intermediate class cadets. He could actually be stronger than Jin, and so he wonders why he is falling behind and simply talks behind others' backs. He reminds him that he can challenge him at any moment, urging him to raise his sword, and he doesn't have to hold back. They will do this properly. Kajin understands this as an invitation to not limit his aura. He has heard well. Jin replies as Kajin assures him he will regret it. Jin acknowledges that his attacks are heavy. Although it is nothing compared to the people he will fight in the future, Kajin shows him the reality. The young master lacks the skill to face him. Jin believes he can follow his movements just like that day when he was hit by the steel orbs. Because of the Tona twins, Jin starts to foresee the trajectory that Kajin's attacks will take. There are an infinite number of paths that his sword can take to cut through the air, but there aren't many that a 5-star knight can use, especially when the opponent has succumbed to rage. Jin asserts he will finish the duel in 3 strikes. Now that he can read all his movements, he confidently says that Kajin won't be able to beat him. While for Kajin, what Jin says are nonsensical things. First, Jin makes a slash from the left, then an upward attack, and finally his finishing attack, an aura that a 4-star knight could never block. Kajin is left stunned. He realizes that the attack he just received is not normal. Jin is aware of how many years he needs to reach 5 stars. Kajin says he was deceived. He didn't know that the young master was already a 5-star, but he never did such a thing. He explains to Kajin that he simply doesn't know him well enough. Otherwise, he would know that he doesn't get into fights he can't win. Suddenly, the Tona brothers appear wanting to know what's happening. They are left surprised and speechless. Witnessing the outcome, they are incredulous at Kajin's defeat at the hands of the youngest. He tells his brothers that it wasn't a big deal. They are still so surprised that they don't bother and just nod. Later, Kajin meets with Jin's older sisters. They want to hear the truth, but refuse to accept it. They assume he accepted some bribe or was lenient while fighting with a 4-star. But Kajin, much to his regret, admits to having lost cleanly. They continue to be skeptical about the fact that a 5-year-old boy will reach 5 stars. Still, Kajin insists that's what happened, and all the cadets, they witness that aura that surpassed the 5th rank, realizing that their plan failed. The sisters admit it's their fault for waiting. Something about someone like him makes them angry. They order Kachi to leave. They both realize that he is the youngest. He is showing his fangs not just to them, but to the whole family for the next mission. Miyu plans to mix some of her slaves into Jean's team, and it will be in a place from which Gilly will return as a corpse. He informs Jean that the Sword Garden has been noisy due to the achievements of the young master. Only the first patriarch Kasharon and his sister Luna became 5 stars at 15 years old, and now Jean joins the list. He is now a 5-star swordsman, a 4-star mage who possesses shadow energy also at 4. He never imagined reaching the 5th rank in fencing. He just continued with the clear rock training. And when he realized it, he was at the 5th level. When one of his qualities boosts, it also affects the others. Previously, even when he was overloaded with shadow energy, he opened a path of aura and mana flow. Jin is not entirely sure, but he has a hunch that his 3 qualities are connected in some way. He asks Gilly about the flowers on the table. They were put in his room, so she left them there. He asks if he should remove them, but it's fine since there is no magic or curses on them. Since his 5th rank was announced, his brothers have become nervous, including brother Joshua, who was named as the next patriarch when Luna resigned from her place as the first standard bearer. The second standard bearer of Ronkindel emerged as a strong candidate to become the next patriarch. With the full support of his mother, Rosa Ronkindel, he is currently consolidating his position, while it wouldn't be bad to hide his abilities for now. Jin has decided that the benefits of revealing his achievements would be greater. Now that his new rank has been revealed, news about him will spread outside of Ronkindel. Surely his story will be published in newspapers around the world. Huracan points out that if Jin becomes the center of attention, his brothers will not be docile. More importantly, there is news that the patriarch will personally come to the Sword Garden. Apparently, his father wants someone else as heir instead of Joshua, aside from Luna. He has never been satisfied with the other brothers, but she, who was the only one who caught his father's interest, was not interested in the throne, so Chiron decided that Luna was not suitable to lead the family. After that, Joshua's position as future patriarch was consolidated, his brothers Dyphus, Runtia and Maria became provisional successors. This line of succession was set in stone, but since Jin's appearance, this has changed. His father does not discriminate by age and is someone who gives everyone a chance. Jin is sure he will give an order. Just like when he was at the basic rank, he is certain that Chiron's orders will contain two things. The first is a trial aimed at knowing if he will overcome the difference marked by age between Torse, Jin and his brothers who have been nominated successors, and the second is the protection Chiron does not want, Jin to die at the hands of his brothers before taking the test. All this because Jin is a special case, having the power of the first patriarch. Gilly points out that when the news of his fifth rank goes public, they will have visits from families and groups from all over the world, and there's no better way to deal with so many people at once than with a banquet. The event will start when his father arrives, so Gilly should be prepared. Her mission is to take care of Murakami to prevent him from causing problems. It would be the end if he becomes human and infiltrates the banquet. Murakami feels offended thinking they treat him like a child, but Gilly assures him that she will fulfill her mission a few days later. Gilly tells Jin that they have recently received official letters. Even the royal family of the Beeman Empire had sent one. Jin is surprised by this. Those mystics of the Empire must also be curious. Through Can, the patriarch has sent the instructions for his visit home. He will arrive in a month, and the visits are scheduled to coincide with him. Besides this, Gilly informs that his older brothers have been quiet. It's a matter of reputation. If they acted when the spotlight is on Jin, it would show that they fear him or that they hate him. Petro suddenly enters asking for Jin. He reveals that he has been assigned a mission which must take place in the ruins of Colin. In a meeting with her children, the mother of the Ronkindel becomes angry. She doesn't understand how some flag bearers can do their job so poorly. She is furious with them for choosing to send the youngest to the territory of Zippel. Jin arrives at the meeting and his mother receives him calmer. She is Runtia Ronkindel. The third flag bearer next to her is Ambigo Ronkindel. The sixth flag bearer and Ran Ronkindel, who is the fifth. Jin says he heard that his next mission is in the ruins of Colin. Worried, she decides to cancel it. There's no way he's going to Colin. The sisters complain about this, but the woman tells them to shut up. Rosa knows well that they only think of ways to kill the youngest. Mew questions if it's so strange that they try to kill him. Anna says the same. She doesn't understand why their mother is protecting the youngest. Rosa encourages them to keep spouting nonsense. However, they mention that both she and their father have been silently motivating them to face each other as brothers. Everyone assumed it was because competition was necessary within their family. They point out to Rosa that they have grown up with that competition since they were young. They remember that they were also sent to undertake rigorous missions when they had just reached the Pleiades. Intermediate rank. Rosa admits that both are right. Competition is necessary in any of its forms or means, but she emphasizes to them the fact that neither of them has reached 5 stars by the age of 15. Upon hearing this, both are left speechless. Rosa indicates that the youngest is different from everyone. If they had achieved the same accomplishments at their age, she would have protected them too. In other words, neither of them is worthy of Rosa's protection, seeing that they are in this state even after becoming flag bearers. She has no regrets. Then she turns to Runtia, Ran, and Vigo. As flag bearers, they are also responsible for the ruckus that those two caused. Rosa orders Runtia to practice self-discipline. Ran and Vigo will return each of the prestigious family swords that are in their possession. Besides, she tells them that if she had more authority, she would take all their swords away. They should be grateful that it's only a warning after punishing their older siblings. Rosa wants to know what the youngest will do now. In this situation in which she has dragged her siblings, who had nothing to do with it, what will she do? She assumes Jin will choose between two options. The first, pretending he has nothing to do with it and blaming her for everything. The second, settling for the favoritism she gives him and becoming a conceited brat. She is eager to see how he will resolve this situation. Jin asks for permission to speak and his mother grants it. Jin says he likes the mission his sisters have given him. She insists on asking if he really means it. Aware of the kind of place the ruins of Colin are, Jin knows the history. This is a territory that the Ronkindel family tried to occupy in the past but failed. He understands that it is a dangerous place, but he has no intention of backing down in this fight. He claims that the mission assigned to him is perfect. It is true that it is dangerous land, but Jin does not think it is an irrational decision. Surely his sisters decided this considering he has the necessary skill level. He understands that was the reason this mission was assigned to him. Rosa tells him he is being reckless, assuming he is trying to show off in front of his mother. That is not the case if suddenly Jin decided to change who is assigned the mission. It would be the same as admitting that the family administration is clumsy. Rosa points out that the associates would not suspect such a thing. His sisters simply seek to hurt him as they cannot fight him directly. They use their authority instead. That is exactly what Jin is trying to say. If he faced his sisters head-on, he would lose, but if he succeeds in this mission, It would be equivalent to giving them a good hit. In other words, Jin sees this as a fight, in which he has a chance to win. Rosa points out that the ruins of Colin are a place where you could die if you assess things incorrectly. She wants to know if Jin has the confidence for it. Jin assures her. Also, he wants to ask her one thing if he returns after successfully completing the mission. He asks her to please give him possession of the swords that his siblings have returned, as she herself has concluded. This mission is dangerous. He believes he should at least be rewarded with this if he really wants a sword so much. His brother is willing to give him one of the ones he has. He can simply abandon this mission, adds that Jean should remain alive at least until the patriarch returns. Yes, he does say strange things. If that were so important, then his brother would have stopped his sisters before they assigned him this mission. Rosa says it's enough if he succeeds in this mission, he will hand over his brother's swords. After this, she concludes the meeting. Rosa was worried that the youngest would end up like Luna, and for that reason, she overlooked her brother's pride. But it seems it won't be necessary. She is sure that Chiron will be happy. When he finds out that the youngest is growing well, Anna and Miyu talk to Jean. Surely he thinks he will be lucky this time too. His sisters don't know it, but it turns out that Jean really is a lucky person seeing Jean's attitude. The sisters respond that he won't maintain his composure for long since this mission is not solo. Jean condescendingly thanks them for their concern before leaving. He tells the two that they will see each other again. Later, Jin meets with his assigned companions for this campaign. The first to introduce himself is Miles Has, and the other is his brother Lima. It is an honor to go to battle alongside the young master. They apologize for their behavior the other day. They promise not to fail him in this mission. They will leave the past behind and focus on the mission. They should try to get along. Despite what it might seem, Jin is aware that they are part of his sister's faction, which is why he suspects they will attack him from behind when they have the chance. One of his companions is about to tell the information about the target. The artifacts to recover are 4 weapons. The ruins of Kolin. It was originally a place where several thousand natives had founded a settlement, but currently, it is Zippel territory and is associated with the Phelan kingdom. Although Kolin was discovered several hundred years ago by the family, Zippel, who had discovered the ruins, and the natives of that time would have massacred and enslaved most of them. Of course, they say that the current Zippel family respects the natives, but that is only an appearance. Although they seem to be respected, they are actually slaves. The life and rights of these natives are not a very important matter for most people, which is why they are ignored. The Zippel only wanted the natives to manage those territories for them. That is why they were left alive. It is an act to camouflage the oppression they exerted in the past. Normally, this family seeks to govern with reason, and naturally, their people offer their loyalty. However, the Zippel of the past went too far if there was a reason for this family to abandon its public image to cling to the ruins of Kolin. So it must be the artifact shaped like a mirror that the natives had hidden. The existence of the mirror is highly classified, but thanks to the work of a brave journalist in his past life, the whole truth had been revealed. The report written by the journalist contained a testimony indicating that the family, Zippel, had committed such atrocities because they intended to excavate a certain artifact after obtaining testimonies from the natives. It was revealed that the name of the artifact was the source of mana. It was an object that, with just looking at it, would elevate your magical power to the 7th star. With this as a foundation, the Zippel family would create mass-produced mages. The process of mass-producing mages would take another 10 years to arrive. Currently, the source of mana has still not been discovered. Jim will not allow them to take the artifact this time. One of his companions reports that the mages are returning. These 2 locations are where the Zippel and the outside mages are staying. The artifact they are looking for is in the 3rd warehouse. A surprise attack wouldn't be complicated in itself. The problem is that there will be detection. Magic Kayan asks him not to worry, since no matter the situation, they plan to protect it with their lives. Jin remains silent for a moment and then thanks them without showing much confidence. They must take their safety into consideration when they return. They will have to manage their stamina. They will take a short break. They will start the surprise attack after an hour. Jin offers some jerky to each of them. The 3 eat it without hesitation, seeing them eat with complete confidence. Jin prepares to go alone. They can sleep in the meantime. Male feels strange and asks Jean what is going on. Kajin assumes it's poison, but it's just a sleeping pill. The cadets don't want him to go alone. Jean then assumes that they intended to eliminate him. He would have suspected less of them. If they had acted as arrogantly as always, there is something that Jean wonders if it is just natural for dogs to follow the orders of their masters inside the mission building. There are 2 men chatting calmly. There were only 2 guards, and it doesn't seem like there are others outside the door they were guarding. Appears to be locked. It's a common padlock with no enchantment on it. They allow normal people to take a look at the 3rd warehouse, so they must not consider it that important. He releases the lock to see what's inside, notices that there is a magical circle of blood and detection. It is known for being magic to discern purebloods and lineages, but in reality, it distinguishes between humans and demonic beasts, and also identifies humans affected by epidemics. As long as it's the blood of a normal person, it doesn't matter whose blood it is. That's why there's no need to use his own blood and leave evidence. Jin considers that the magical alert was very simple to deactivate. Now he will search for the artifact. Something unexpected happens. Jin tries to understand why the circle was activated. The guard's blood was supposed to be normal. It can only mean that man was sick, or that he wasn't human. Any nearby mage can detect magical power. so he wanted to minimize its use of magic, but the situation has changed. It seems that he won't be able to avoid fighting due to his reaction. These monsters must know that Laura is a dangerous power. The one with the dagger embedded in her abdomen removes it. The small cut is regenerating. That kind of regeneration speed can only be seen in high-class demonic beasts. However, these two are not. They were human just a minute ago. This is the territory of the Zippel. Countless mages passed through here. Considering the oppressed natives and these mysterious monsters, Jean comes to the conclusion that they are living golems. If that's the case, a terrible crime has been committed. Jean suspects it was that family's doing. They used the ruins of Colin as a kind of laboratory to carry out experiments related to forbidden magic. Living golems possess the strength and speed of inferior automatons. Their movements are less refined than those of a 4-star knight who has received proper training. Fighting against them isn't difficult. Normally, the magical armaments, known as golems, do not stop their movements even if they take a lot of damage in exchange for that. Everything ends once the golem's core is destroyed. The core is usually located in one of those 3 places, and even the forbidden living golems are no different in this aspect. Their strength and speed did not decrease at all. On the contrary, they have become more aggressive. The core was not in its head. There is only one place left where it could be. The Zippel committed such an atrocity with their own men. The magic of its core was about to explode. He is relieved to have destroyed it in time. Jin hears the agonizing voice of someone asking him to kill him. The test subject briefly regained consciousness. He can't do anything else to help him. In a compassionate act, Jin gives him the mercy kill. He doesn't know what happened to these people, but certainly, no person on the planet would want to become a living golem voluntarily, especially because when you transform, you become a consumable with no future. It's not the time to lose his cool. A sudden situation happened. He witnessed the ugly side of that family. Jean suspects that his sisters already knew about this before sending him on this mission. But that doesn't mean his mission is cancelled. Even if he reveals the truth to the world, it is possible that the Zippel will find a way to cover it up, since creating living golems is a crime serious enough for the Imperial Investigation Agency to press charges for it, even if it hasn't been proven yet. Jin decides to only take some evidence and continue with his task. Of course, dealing with them could completely invalidate the investigation. This is not a problem that my current self can solve. The wizards haven't made significant steps yet, which means most of them think this is just an old basement. If they had known that the Sentinel was a living ghoul, they wouldn't have been so clumsy when guarding it. So not everyone in the ruins is involved with this forbidden magic. The magical security on the stone slates is simple, but that of the plates is a headache. Generally, a lot of effort is needed to break the magical security, but since 2 of the people who became living golems died, the Zippel will have to bury the disaster that Jin causes here. Mixing fire magic with shadow energy will take the mission objects explosively. Meanwhile, at the main mansion of the Wrong Candles, Luna scolds her sisters for sending Jin into the territory of the Zippels. He is 10 years younger than the 2, wants to know why they did it. Some flag bearers have started a hierarchy battle with the youngest of the middle class. It was an unwritten rule. The flag bearers would only have these battles among themselves, and the same for the non-flag bearers. They should be ashamed even. She is ashamed that both are flag bearers of the family. Anna claims that Luna never cares about the hierarchy battles, exclaims that she has no right to complain about anything. If they had won after challenging Jean, Luna wouldn't have said anything. The youngest succeeded in the ruins mission. He is probably already reporting it to his mother. With this, they should understand what she meant. Luna that they should be ashamed. In the end, they ended up giving him the wings he needed to fly. Luna wonders if anyone has ever seen sabotage of such magnitude that failed so miserably in the history of the Ronkindel family. Tells the 2 to leave, but first asks them one thing from what she has observed. Jin is not the pious type. Both should be careful. From now on, she only says this because she seriously cares about them. Although everything started to go wrong, at some point, both are still her little sisters when she saw him put his hands on his sisters. As soon as he returned home, the nanny thought Luna was going through puberty again. Luna asks what kind of puberty she would have at her age, but her nanny remembers that that phase of hers was never clear. The lady says she is worried about the 2 young ladies. Knowing the personality of the young master, he will never forget something like this in the future in 5 years. The 2 of them will not be able to face him in a proper battle, so the time they have left to live is those 5 years. Luna changes the subject and asks if she has the information she requested about the brother who went to eliminate the youngest. She replies that it wasn't the sisters. They were in the middle class at that time, so there was nothing to investigate. That makes sense. It wouldn't be either Maria or Jana nor the twins, Tona, so there are only a few suspects left. The teachers Joshua and Dyfus, Ran and Vigo, and finally Runtia, excluding Rank, cannot be investigated. Hastily to the rest, the other 3 are known for their deception skills. Trying to get information from them will only cause headaches, so it suggests just observing them. The nanny notes that Luna has thought it through well, comments that even with the assassination attempt, the young master is growing well on the other side of the mansion. Jin enters his room, greeting Gilly and Murakan. She seems happy that he has returned safely. Jin asks her not to worry. He promises that soon even Gilly won't be able to defeat him. but she only has in mind that the young master went to a place dangerous. If something had gone wrong, she would have given up her life to take revenge. Murakami approaches to ask if he completed his report. Jin replies that yes, he assumes people will say he received outside help, but it's not something that concerns him too much. Setting this aside, Jin wants to show them something. He takes out a jar with the heart of a living golem inside. Murakami comments that he is quite lucky, seeing that Jin returned safely. This golem was probably a failed experiment. Jin recounts that the guards from the basement turned into monsters and lunged at him. They regenerated every time he hit them, and he got this after piercing their hearts. The last time was a giant from the cemetery, and now it is a living golem. Murakami wonders what the Zippel are plotting. If what Jin says is true, this is their doing. Murakami proposes that they return to Colon, this time together. He wants to personally ask what is going on. Jin does not want to return because of the living golems, but it will be safer if he is with Murakami. If he's lucky, Jin might have a chance to find the source of mana. No matter what kind of disasters they cause there, the Zippel will have to do their best to hide it. Jin agrees to go with him. He'll find some time to leave. Shortly after finishing the mission, Kayan and the Jazz brothers return to Ronkandel on their own. However, the sisters revoked their positions as cadets and exiled them from the clan. Exile was a severe punishment for cadets who had technically completed their mission, but no one felt sorry for them. And so, in the month of June, from today onward, the training of the youngest Clear Rock has ended. Only the Tona brothers will come starting tomorrow. Following this, the master tells Jean that he does not have to participate in training with the other cadets either. Next week, the family leader will give the youngest some kind of commitment. The Tanas suspect that he might want to give the youngest the qualification of a provisional banner bearer. This would imply having to leave Ronkandel to accumulate honor. He would have to act on his own without any kind of support from the family. Jin knows about this and is happy because he will no longer have to worry about others watching him. He can develop his strength however he wants. The patriarch walks the path alongside his soldiers. They will be there in a couple of hours. Jiron expresses that his youngest son keeps interrupting his training. He had planned to stay quietly in the Black Sea for 10 years, but he has been coming home a few times. Kang comments that the youngest is out of the ordinary, even when he was in the Storm Castle. However, he didn't expect that at this point the things he has been doing in the Sword Garden have seriously surprised him. Chiron believes it's about his abnormal fighting spirit. Despite being a small child, his eyes held a deep regret when he first saw him in the Storm Castle. Even though the youngest has been trying to hide it, Chiron also can't forget how he provoked his brothers as soon as he arrived at the Sword Garden. He is sure that no one taught him, but the youngest instinctively knew about the rule of crushing his opponent. The other kids knew this, and tried to get in his way. Just look, he survived and came back home. Every time his brothers sent him to the jaws of death more than for Mamato and the ruins of Colon, Kang is more intrigued by the first mission the Patriarch gave him. He fought one-on-one with someone from the White Wolf tribe, Chiron. Expected Jin to use his subordinates as shields to take this one down, but who would have thought he would handle it on his own? And with that, he managed to prove the weight of his beliefs, those he declared to Chiron once. He truly believes that Jin defeated that individual from the White Wolf tribe, although strictly speaking, he didn't do it alone. Anyway, he's a fun kid. Chiron will make sure to ask him about that, this time 2 hours later. The Patriarch arrives at the residence. Rosa and Luna came to greet him. Chiron tells his wife that she has done well in his absence. Rosa gives credit to Joshua. He prepared everything himself so that she wouldn't have to do anything. Chiron expresses that the adult children are doing well on their own, so there was no need for him to leave the Black Sea. The guests who will be received today will be very attentive to Chiron. This only complicates things more for his children. Rosa agrees with him and invites him in. She has prepared the food he likes. As the Patriarch moved forward, he saw that Jin was carrying 2 swords that he knows well. After this, he says the names of Rani and Vigo, asking if they gifted them to the youngest. The swords that he personally allowed them to take. They confessed that Jin snatched them, and they agreed to give them to him. And he succeeded in the mission of the ruins of Colin. This amuses Chiron so much that he bursts out laughing. That was good. Now he must make sure to get it back. The youngest is quite cunning. Sometimes he wonders if he really is his son. At night, the banquet takes place. Jin is beside his father watching how it proceeds. In his past life, thanks to his master Jin, he attended a couple of banquets organized by other families. But this is the first time at one of his families. Even on the rare occasions when there was a banquet, he would hide as if he were a criminal. But now he is the guest of honor alongside his father, all after dying once of course. Chiron comments that the family rarely holds banquets. This is because they only do so on occasions that truly deserve celebration. This means that the achievements that Gina has accomplished are remarkable. He assumes there will be about 1,000 guests. Chiron requested that there be around that number. It has increased by 200 since the last time they held one 7 years ago. This means that the family's authority has grown since then. Other families occasionally hold banquets with 1,000 people, but all 1,000 people gathered here are remarkable individuals. For 7 years, Chiron has done nothing but continue his training. killing demonic beasts in the Black Sea. Still, the fact that the family's authority continues to grow is because Chiron is the only Genesis knight in this era. This means that if he were to disappear, it's possible that most people here would turn their backs on the Ronkindel family. Jin thinks the same as his father. If he weren't here, the family wouldn't have as much authority. His family is one of the two largest alongside the Sipple family. But the moment his father disappears, the difference in military power between both families will significantly increase. If that were to happen, the Sipple would become the largest power. Jin expresses to his father that on the day he is no longer here, all these people will turn their backs on them and the hippies will pressure and corner them. He will abandon the family. If the Ronkindel family were to collapse because he is not there, then it would be a testament to the incompetence of the next patriarch. Jin does not plan to have a useless death under the command of such a patriarch. He asks Chiron how many weaknesses the family has in its power before the banquet. Jin asks his brother Vigo to show him the family's commission contracts, which are only accessible to the banners, all in exchange for returning the sword that had been taken from him by the family leader. Vega deceived the emperor and stole the treasures of the empire, but thanks to the Ronkindel, he can attend this banquet shamelessly. The clever family has recently asked them to kill the mages of the Sipple family. Gerald's daughter once sold her family's treasures behind their backs to feed her gambling addiction, and requested that they recover it with just a single check. Jin claims to have obtained many blunted weapons. There must be many more contained in the secret contracts to which only Chiron and Rosa have access. If the patriarch, who is not a Genesis knight, were to lead the Ronkindel family, so everything would depend on their negotiation skills. Chiron agrees, however, they are not the only ones with such weaknesses. The Zippel family has as many as they do. Jin counts on that, but the Zippels could never justify having such things, because the role of the villain is the Ronkindel family's job. If the next patriarch is unable to use these weapons properly, despite having so many of them, Jin would leave the family without a second thought. Then he explains that he would prepare to take revenge against the Sipple family. Chiron adds that he needs to be alive to achieve that. The other kids do not have the courage to face him, that the Ronkindel family could fall. But the youngest clearly expresses his beliefs with his head held high for Chiron. It is a pity to have had him in his last years. He feels that Jin possesses Luna's talent, the wild nature of Maria, and the fighting spirit of Daphis. 10 years, sure, but 15 at most, that is the time he will be able to hold the patriarch position. It seems that Chiron will see if the youngest will grow up to turn the line of succession on its head. The patriarch comments that most of the guests have arrived, they will start to come down. He almost forgets he has one thing to tell him. They will discuss a matter when the banquet is over. Jin must wait until his father calls him. He suspects it is about the reserve flag-bearer qualification. He assumes he will have to leave the family temporarily after the banquet ends. The 4 days it will last will feel very long for him. Suddenly, a servant from the family comes running, informing them that someone uninvited has arrived. Chiron suspects it is the Zippel family. The servant confirms that there are 5 inches total. The second in command, Andre Zippel and his family. Chiron orders to tell Andre Zippel to screw off. But his relatives can enter. Jin acknowledges that Andres made a courtesy visit, but he did not expect his father to reject him like that. He asked Jin if he thought he was being too harsh, but on the contrary, he found it quite satisfying the moment Andrea reveals his discontent and leaves with his family. He will ignore the patriarch's orders that his family can enter. That is something that should never happen in the Sword Garden. Andrea will have to do what Chiron tells him, or he will return home without legs. It is about time the banquet begins. Chiron thanks the guests for attending. Having had a good son at his age, it seems he will finally be able to free himself from his burdens. He would like everyone to express their gratitude to his youngest son, Jean Ronkindel. As everyone knows, there are only 2 rules to follow at the family banquet. If they end up having a fight after drinking, they will follow the guards to the arena. The loser must submit and the winner must show compassion. It is a banquet after all. Jim thinks it is inevitable. There are about 1,000 people who have great influence about the continent and are tangled in a web of favors and grudges. If this were a peaceful party, the most they would do is watch each other 0-1, but this is a party held in the Garden of Swords. If you just obey the 2 rules that Chiron has established, even if you can't kill your enemy, you could beat him up. However you look at it, this is a family of crazies. Chiron wants everyone to enjoy the banquet just like his son Jin. If he finds someone he likes, he can drag them. However, it can't be someone who looks weaker than him, unless they insulted him or his family, and obviously losing is not allowed if that were to happen. He would take everything from Jin, from Bradamante to his nanny, now that Jin thinks about it. It's the first time he's had a conversation like this with his father. He never would have dreamed of something like this in his past life. But they have been talking as father and son all this time. However, his goal in this life is not paternal love nor being a good son. His only goal is to surpass his father. Jin is having a conversation with some nobles. When the Tana twins approach to talk to him, they congratulate him on his rise to 5 stars, ask him to stay by their side for a while, comment that the clear rock training is going better. Everything has become easier since they started using the weapon. His uncle recommended. Jin warns his brother to leave, acting naturally. The first banner of another family approaches to greet Jin. The brothers take advantage of his arrival to retreat. Jin wishes them luck with their training, tells another guest he has heard amazing tales of their heroics since he was young. Another person roughly pushes Jin's head, greeting him respectfully. He was dying to know what kind of boy would reach 5 stars at 15 years old to him. He looks quite small, as if he were 10 years younger. He tells him it's a pleasure to meet him. His name is Google. Trying to maintain his composure, Jin greets Google back. This man asks if he will embarrass him because he spoke a bit informally, even if he is a Ronkindel in the martial arts world. He is still his superior. He was just a bit excited to meet him. He didn't expect this change of attitude. Jin wants Google to listen carefully. His actions have not only insulted him, but also the people who have acted respectfully towards him. If he is going to make a fuss over who is the superior, then he should do it more carefully. The first banners of the Ken family, the Order of the Dragon King Knights, the Order of the Black King, all of them are above him. Jin is sure that Wooger saw what kind of treatment he received from them. He demands that he acknowledge his mistake and apologize. He has already scolded him, so he will pretend nothing happened. The banner of the Kens points out to Google that the youngest just saved his life. He must do what he says. The other flag bearer knew that eventually they would get into trouble because of that big mouth. They will soften things a bit. He shouldn't act so carefree. That said, Google apologizes to his superiors and would be grateful if the young master could also forgive him for his boldness. Someone comments that Jin has a talent for making enemies, although it would be nice if he could act like a normal boy too. He is the family's representative at the moment, after all. Luna asks Jin what he would have done if Google had asked for a duel. He seemed to barely be at 6 stars. Jin explains that everyone is already aware. The patriarch of the Ken family and the elders would have come to stop him. Luna is surprised that he had all that in his calculations. He has learned how nobles hide their grudges and get along. If there had been someone to teach Jin that kind of thing, it wouldn't have been bad to have him by his side. For Luna, it's enough to learn how to use the sword, but he adds that he needs to learn a lot to survive as the youngest in the family, even more so when he is so hated. Luna notices that Jin is talented and has a good head on his shoulders. She wonders if that's why he was almost killed in the Storm Castle. She keeps trying to find out. Which of the brothers noticed Jin's talents so early? She says she only attended because it's a banquet held in his name, but it hardly interests her. She will go somewhere more interesting now. Right now, Jin is too short to dance with his sister. Luna makes him promise that they will dance once he becomes an adult. She will take him to a nice place. Before leaving, Luna will have to try to send a message in the way Jin does. If she does this, she is sure it will be clear to everyone how much she cares for him. That way, there will be fewer people who are rude to him out of fear of her. They both say goodbye while the guests pick up Luna's message. A man says he envies so much what he just saw. He wishes he could rest his head on Luna too. Wubergaston shouts that he will write a poem for her today and will sing it all night. Vishka just wants his sister to be quiet. Marcella asks him not to be so hard on Boober since he's important to him. Besides, she can only attend this banquet because he believed in her and brought her along. Boober appreciates Marcella's consideration. She really understands him. Jim saw the little commotion that the three of them caused. Ignoring who they were, he just thinks it's tiring to be the host. He wonders where the zippers are. It will be annoying, but he has to go around looking for them. A girl asks for a bit of his time. Jin, if he can invite the Crescent Star of the Ronkindel to drink. She introduces herself as Cirrus and Dorma of the Ice Palace. It's an honor for her to meet the young master, Jin Ronkindel. Jin agrees. Assuming she is the daughter of the Ice Palace master, it's an honor to meet her in person. Siri is curious about the method she used to get such achievements when they are both the same age, has jealousy for the body that Jin has, blessed by the Ronkindel lineage. He responds that she is also blessed to possess the Ice Palace lineage. He knows that the master of the palace treasures her a lot. It is something normal since she is his only daughter. Siri responds sarcastically instead of being offended. Kim. He replies that it is actually very tiring to have so many siblings. He is sure that Siri recognizes it. He wonders why she doesn't bring up the topic of Mamita. She says she has a question she would like to ask if his injured leg is already okay. He responds that yes, although he couldn't return the favor to the great person who used her medicine on him. Siri notices that Jin is more brazen than he appears. She owes him an explanation of why he was at that Mamita Inn. At that moment, they couldn't find the wizard who caused the attack. This affected his pride. It was then that it occurred to her that the young man she let go would be the culprit, as she can see. Jin is a Ronkindel. He cannot be the culprit. Siri is clear that it wasn't him. However, he was assigned a mission. He could have hired a wizard because the mission was beyond his reach. Besides, there was no one else the Ronkindel could have targeted except those from the Ice Palace. As the leader of the seventh sword of the palace, he cannot simply ignore it. Jin understands that she has misunderstood him. He thinks he was after the Ice Palace units, since he ended up harming those units. He is half right. Everything he has said so far is pure speculation, and since Jin intends to ignore it, he will have to respond to that. It will take him to the arena, and after he gives him a beating, he will spit in that despicable face, challenging a duel to Jin Ronkindel. He points out that his father had firmly warned him not to fight with those weaker than him. However, if she wishes it so, he will oblige her. Once outside, he tells the soldiers to all leave except the medical team temporarily. He previously instructs them to bring 2 swords in good condition. The spectators and those with a fighting spirit will start to gather after midnight. She is still the daughter of the ruler of the Ice Palace. Jin thinks that breaking her in front of all those people would be very harsh. Before starting, Siri wants Jin to promise her one thing. If she wins, she will tell him everything that happened that day in Mamida and not leave out a single detail. In exchange, if Jin wins, she will have to pretend she never saw him that day. It is the characteristic ability of the lineage. She enchants the frozen sword of the 10,000. He did not expect her to use her secret technique from the beginning. It is a bit sad since Jin has not been able to learn the secret technique of his family. It is the characteristic skill of the lineage. He freezes the sword of the 10,000. He didn't expect her to use her secret technique from the beginning. It's a bit sad since Jin has not been able to learn his family's secret technique. Sirius checks that he is definitely 5 stars, although it seems he rushes to block Sirius's attacks. Jin's true skills are becoming apparent, but still, if the difference is only 1 star, using the 3rd form of the sword, the frost of 10,000 will do more than compensate. He surpasses her in endurance and physical strength, so he cannot prolong this battle. Jin will learn his movements and start to counterattack. He thinks that Sirius is still a 4-star. Even if he can use this technique, he won't be able to defeat him in battle. She is slowly understanding the difference between the two of them and is preparing to end everything with a single attack. Jin is sure she will use her secret technique, but he doesn't know how strong it will be. If that's the case, then he will respond with his own secret technique. The dozens of tomes he read when he was in the Storm Castle about the many techniques he read there. The strongest one was Sirius yelling that this will be the end of the battle. The ice crystals are imbued with mana. Sirius perceives that Jin is smiling amidst this avalanche unleashed by her secret technique. He may be a prodigy who reached 5 stars at 15 years old, but she doesn't believe he can break through the secret technique of the Ice Palace. Yet, she still has a bad feeling. The sword is cracking. Maybe she should have used something else instead of the Storm Sword of the Tila family. This destructive power is not something a 4-star like Sirius can handle. If she doesn't evade that, she could be dead or disabled after the dust clears. Jin is a bit unconcerned. Siri is troubled because for a moment she valued her life. She was afraid of death and evaded the attack. She is supposed to be Siri in Dorma. Jin approaches to ask her how she is, almost killing her. Siri heard Jin's warning, but she didn't try to dodge the Storm Sword. However, no matter how much she values her pride and honor, she is still a 15-year-old girl. She is too young to suppress her desire to live. Jin tells her that he would have dodged in her place. He is sure she would have warned him to duck as well. So he asks her please not to talk about this anymore. He is not very sure this is a comfort for her. Siri opens the container of her ointment, saying that Jin has a wound on his face. She will repay him with this for saving his life, even though Jin thinks she values him little, being the successor of the Ice Palace. This is because it is a life she begged for, and for a moment she will value herself again, so she doesn't have to worry. She also adds that today is the first day they met, and they will see each other again tomorrow. On the second day of the banquet, there are fewer people than the day before. People will be able to watch the duels starting from today, so Jin wonders if the real party will start now. There are few people watching, so he might meet the people from Sipple. Jin heard that the guests from that family are between 15 and 20 years old. With this, so he could meet the people from Sipple. Jin heard that the guests from that family are between 15 and 20 years old. With this, he will be able to see how his abilities compare to theirs. He also wants to ask a couple of related things. The ruins of Cullen, but it wouldn't be a good idea anyway when he becomes a reserve standard bearer. He will have a lot of free time. He can explore Cullen alongside Huracan. So with his help, finding the source of mana shouldn't be a problem. So this time the Zipids can't produce their wizards in mass. It will prevent that dreadful event from happening again. Jean wonders what a cat is doing at the Roncandle banquet. Siri pets the cat, asking where its owner is. She checks its collar where it says Butterfly Roncandle. She understands it was the youngest who gave it that name. Someone else shouts that they remembered that cat. Finally, they meet. Jin had no idea how much he was being searched for the one who doesn't remember him. Makes him feel bad. He has been thinking about Jin all this time in a childish way. He tries to give him hints to guess his name, while Siri takes the cat away after giving hints. Now he doesn't remember it either. Then he explains that they first met at the portal of the Middle Kingdom. He assumes Jin's memory is terrible, so he decides to tell him his name. Jin explains to Baradin that if he insists on acting with someone he doesn't know, it should be clear that he doesn't want to show that he's like that. Baradin only cares that he remembers him. Jin wonders if this guy will become a 9-star wizard at 30 and will be named patriarch of his family. Baradin has been looking for him, but the banquet hall is quite large. He has been searching for 2 hours. If he had been allowed to use magic, he could have found him earlier. Using it is prohibited in this territory. Baradin thinks it's great to see him again. He always knew he would achieve great things. Now he's 1 to 5 stars. Of course, he hasn't been wasting time either. As a wizard, he now has 6 stars. He's 1 level above his swordsmanship. Jin can't believe it, the greatest prodigy of the family. Sipple is only at 6 stars at the age of 18. If he were in his place, Jin is sure he would have passed the 7th star. He wonders if he's lying about his rank. Seeing Baradin brag about his hard work, Jin understands he isn't lying at all. If it's true that he has only been able to reach 6 stars at his age, it means that after the patriarch Celia Xipe, Jin is the one closest to the top of magic. This was a good opportunity to objectively assess his potential as a wizard. Once again, Jing advises Baradin to keep his mouth shut, the same things his father tells him. Changing the subject, Jing asks him why the Zippel family came to the banquet uninvited. It was because Baradin asked. He pressured his uncle Andre so he could meet Jin. Coincidentally, they were on vacation in the region of Westeros. When they heard about the banquet, Baradin thought it was fate. It's true that his father showed mercy to his uncle before, but he thinks Jin is being very cold with him. Now that he thinks about it, Jin can come unannounced to a Zippel banquet. Also, it doesn't matter what he does once he's there. Baradin says he always keeps his promises. Even if he commits a heinous act, he won't kill him. Even if there is a real fight, Baradin will not take part. Jin notices that an unpleasant guy has been giving him looks for a while. He approaches the person he is referring to ask if he has something to say. The man wants to know if Miss Luna will return to the banquet. He would like to meet with her to give her this. It is a compilation of poems he spent writing all night. Once she reads it, he is sure she will understand that he is a better person than he appears. And it is very possible that in the future, Jin becomes her brother-in-law. Such a statement greatly annoys Jin. It seems to him that this guest needs to be beaten up. Not only did he refer to his sister as he pleased, but he also dared to call him brother-in-law. Apparently, the Ronkindel family looks pathetic in his eyes. Jin orders to take this man to the arena. The man calls him again. Brother-in-law by mistake, he begs him to stop this. He simply expressed his love. Every man has the right to do so. He asks the young master how he can do this to his guest. Boober wonders why he is doing this suddenly. All he did was compliment his sister. He wonders if he found out that it was he who transformed the people of Sipeli then. They will proceed with the hand-to-hand fight. Viskel and his sister watch from the side. She's excited to see a duel between the young master and Buber. Viskel is more worried than excited and decides to go watch the duel up close. Cirrus was nearby with Mira Khan when this happened. She kept trying to get closer to him for a duel, and now he is going against a guy like that. Baradin is glad he annoyed his uncle to bring him. He got to meet the heir of the Ice Palace, but she tells him to get lost. An announcer announces the duel of the young master Jean Ronkindel. It is a name they have not seen before. They assume it is a solitary master. Baradin mentions that he came along with the Ibriano family group. It may be that despite his appearance, he is a skilled fighter. This man asks to at least be allowed the opportunity to introduce himself before the duel. It is the least he can do. He has no interest in knowing his name. He is using aura. It must be around 6 stars. Cirrus observes that Jean chose someone stronger than himself. This guy is focused on the fight. Boober shouts that Jean dared to lay his hands on him. With scarce skills, he will make him bite the dust and beg for forgiveness. It's over. He launched a flurry of attacks after he let his guard down. Mariella tells her brother that she doesn't understand the young master, Jean's actions. The winner has become clear. He is punishing someone in this way after losing the duel. Choosing a weaker opponent is unfair. Besides, Bishop is standing with his arms crossed, even though Boober is his friend. He tries to explain that Boober was not weaker than the young master. But Mariella says she is disappointed. She asks him to teach a lesson to Jean using a more honorable method than his. The spectators who heard Marcella's proposal encourage her brother to listen to her. Pressured by his sister and the others, Viskel feels compelled to agree. Boober got beaten up and was left unconscious. Viskel invites him to let him go and face him instead. Jin knows him. He is Ibriano Vishkel. If it would be a duel with a 7-star knight, win or lose. This is a fight with merit for Jin, plus having the experience of facing the Grimas of the Ibriano family will be good for him. The previous patriarch of his family was someone even Chiron recognized as strong. However, Mariella Ibriano is a fun young girl, and to think she would put her brother in a difficult position. To be a spectator of this fight, Jim sees that Wish treasures her sister and understands how she feels. He would like to ask her to control her servants' mouths from now on, but there was a misunderstanding. Viskel explains that the man he just beat up is not a servant but a companion. He asks Jean if Bover, Gaston made some kind of mistake. He just came to help his sister Mariella due to her difficulty moving. Viskel is sure he had no bad intentions, so he would like the young master to overlook his actions. He is still stunned by the news that the man from a moment ago was Bober Gaston, the transformation wizard. He wonders what kind of relationship Viskel and Ibriano have, and he is sure there was nothing about Gaston's relationship with the Ibriano family in his past life, so he wonders if Viskel knows who that guy really is. When he finally found Boober, he ended up having more questions. Jin cannot get distracted when his opponent was a 7-star knight, having said what he had to. Viskel invites Jin to give their bet, who hopes to learn a lot from him, can tell from the attack just now that Viskel is not a 7-star. His fencing is at the level of his uncle said, and the trajectory of his sword is not something I can comprehend right now. The people around comment that the young master is being pushed back. However, he is holding up quite well. The fencing of the Ibriano family is famous for its cunning and unconventional nature. They say that someone who has suffered at the hands of that dirty fencing will not want to face an Ibriano again. Baradin thinks the people of Ronkandel are ignorant, shines more in these types of situations. If the fencing of the Ibriano family is like a cunning snake, then that of the Ronkandel family is like a rhino charging. Even if its horn were to break, it wouldn't stop charging. Jin is clear that Vishkel is holding back, but it is also true that he is managing to put up a decent fight against someone who has passed the 7 stars. Being only at 5, he is slowly reaching his limit. Jin is starting to feel it again, the same feeling as back then. Bishkek says Jin put up a good fight. He managed to make a scratch on his neck. The announcer declares the victory of Bisk Libriano, and the soldiers rush to take the youngest inside. Piskel wonders what happened. At the moment the sword broke, he felt something sharp brushing against his neck. He assumes Jin managed to uncover the state of the heart sword while fighting him. If the young master had reacted 1/10 of a second earlier and Vishkel 1/10 later, without a doubt, Jin Ronkandel is a scary kid. Later, in his room, Murakan is sitting on Jin's face. When he moves aside, he realizes he is in his bed. He understands he fainted right after fighting with Vishkel. Gilly explains that he has been sleeping for 2 days. This means the banquet has already ended. He couldn't even greet the guests who came to see him. She recounts that for the past 2 days, the fight between the two of them was a popular topic. That in itself is enough recognition, and all because the young master showed the heart sword. In the end, the fact that he was able to do that in a fight with an 8-star knight is impressive in itself. It is not a perfect heart sword, but he achieved what he wanted. The days he was guided by his sister Luna are finally paying off. At first, he couldn't understand the training at all. Jin didn't expect it to help him in this way, even though he is at a level where it only activates in extreme situations. There's no need to be impatient. It's great that he could fight against an 8-star, even if it was clumsily. On top of that, he gained many other things from this banquet. He confirmed the state of Veradine when he was in Zippel and gained some friendship with the heir of the Ice Palace. And he also discovered that Bovergaston and Vish Celebriano are related. There are many possibilities behind the transformation crime. It is not something that needs to be addressed now, so he should gather some more information first. Gilly places flowers on the table, saying they were left by the Ice Palace heir. Jin understands the message behind this. The flowers signify an endless mourning. It seems she wants to confront it again. Hurakan comments that it's also his first time. Receiving flowers from a girl, even if it's a challenge to a duel, is still surprising, Gilly. He notifies that the Patriarch ordered Jean to see him as soon as he wakes up. He assumes Jean's time to prove his worth has come. It seems he will have to be away from his family for a while after asking about his father's whereabouts. Jim sets off on his quest. Once he finds him, he stops behind him. Chiron has been waiting here. He has finally arrived. The Patriarch mentions that it's been a while since one of his sons came to see him in such comfortable clothes. He realizes Jim is here. He said he would have to live far from here, explaining that he plans to leave soon. The youngest assumes his father liked what he said. He's not sure why, but since he came back to life, his father has been the easiest to read. Chiron asks if Jin knows this place, and he replies that it's the Mausoleum, a place where people who have done great things for the family are allowed entry through the Garden of Swords, and also a place where the family heroes who have achieved greatness are buried. In other words, they are the family heroes. This ground is for those who protected it for thousands of years. The first patriarch, Demeron Candle, is not buried here, nor are there tombs for him anywhere in the Garden of Swords. Chiron explains that the reason they cannot honor the first patriarch is because of that power Jin possesses. After the death of Timar, the Ronkandel made a humiliating pact with the Zeeple. They could never use magic again, nor could they honor their ancestors who used it. The consequences were that the Zeeple gods united and cast a curse on the Ronkandel lineage, and because of that, all children born after the patriarch were born with bodies unable to use magic. Chiron comments that when Jin defeated the Tona brothers, he didn't ask how he got that power. It was a relief for Chiron that Jean was young then, but if that had happened now, he wouldn't have let it go. Chiron asks if he has heard Solidaret's voice before, and Jean nods, commenting that this one calls him Contractor. It must seem unfair to his brothers, but Chiron wants to ask him something, if he can use that power to surpass his brothers and take over the family. Jin will leave and see what the world is like. If there's nothing more valuable than taking Ronkandel, then he will do it. His son doesn't stop surprising him. In order to be recognized, the other Ronkandel left the Garden of Swords. But if Jin leaves to find an aspect of the family, Shiru is unsure whether to be proud or to say that his son is arrogant. The patriarch will give him 5 years, during which he will be recognized or will recognize the family, and will return with an answer. Thanks for everything. I will come to greet you in 5 years, father. Outside awaited Murakan and Gilly. She asks if the talk with the patriarch went well. Jin confirms it. Now all they need to do is set off on their journey. The youngest sees that she has a suitcase with her, then asks about the object on her wrist. This is used to block the aura so that you cannot use it. She already knew about this because she heard it from the older nannies. It's a bit uncomfortable. not being able to use her power suddenly. When she says that your reputation is based on that of your master, she doesn't want to see that expression on Jin's face. He promises her that it won't only be these 5 years, but that he will continue protecting Yili. Still, he apologizes for this. For her, it is enough to be his backup driver. Besides, she will be able to regain her powers when she finishes her young master's trial. With that, Jin asks her to just wait. Jin turns once more to see the main residence. It will be 5 years. It seems this is the beginning. I will go explore the world, Chiron. He has reached the realm of demigods only with a sword. Even so, he failed to break the oath, made by his ancestors with the Sipple family, a contract with the son of Red and Shadow Energy. It is very possible that the youngest may be the only hope. The boy might have the strength to free the Rukendel family. Chiron is eager to see the future that awaits him. Gilly asks him if it was okay to leave without saying goodbye. The cadets who were in his faction and young Luna must be very disappointed. He doesn't worry about Luna because she is also a free spirit, and as for the cadets, it's a shame. But it's not like he is heading toward his death. If he had mentioned them, they might have sent him off with their swords raised. They could have even gone further. Gilly comments that the other flag bearers went to Mimid as their first destination. This is because defeating villains is the most efficient way to earn a name for yourself, the reserve flag bearers of Rukandel. Before they become flag bearers, they must go out into the world and build their reputation from scratch to be recognized as flag bearers. Another condition is that they must not expect any kind of support from the family. For example, his sister Maria defeated all the strong people in the southern regions of the continent, and came to be called the crazy one from the south, the furious wind, before becoming a flag bearer. Besides her, his other siblings return within 6 months to 2 years. However, his father has given him a total of 5 years. There is only one reason why he did it, to discover everything there is to know about Shadow Energy and then return. Jin decides to head to the kingdom of Arking, the nation affiliated with the Magical Federation of Ludero, the territory of Sipple. When Jin went to the Kulin ruins on a mission, he heard that a large number of unregistered mages were camping freely in that area. It seems they are grouping with martial artists and causing many problems for the people of Arkin. In fact, Jin never heard about what he just told. He obtained this information from his past life. All the unregistered mages and warriors there are puppets of the dark family called Tessin. In fact, Jin is behind the illegal auctions they organize. There will be a good amount of items whose true value no one knows. There are a few grimoires he will need to buy along with a ring. Gilly regrets to say that they will not be able to use the portal to the kingdom of Arkin. According to the family's rules, he could only take 10 gold coins with him as a reserve flag bearer. He is not allowed to reveal that he is a Rukendel, so they cannot depend on his support. Jin explains that this is something that will be resolved. Once they head to the kingdom of Jan, they will arrive flying with Hurricane transformed. The cat asks if it's really okay for him to do it. Someone could discover them, but they should at least try this time. Yili fears that the family will find out about this. Very excited, Murakan tells them to hold on tight. They will have to fly fast if they want to reach the kingdom of Yang tomorrow. Luna walks through the mansion's hallways, when suddenly she feels a powerful presence. She turns to look out the window and sees a dragon flying. Upon closer inspection, Luna notices it's Jean. He is already riding a dragon. As soon as he becomes the reserve flag bearer, Yanni is so surprised. He is quite extraordinary. Her little brother left without saying goodbye. She hopes fortune will accompany him in his battles. At dusk in the Yan kingdom, Gilly has a strong stomachache. The flight didn't sit well with him. Hurricane blames Jin for this, but it was the dragon who was flying strangely. Even so, it was Jin who asked him to fly. Hurricane is very worried about Gilly. He helps him relax, instructing him to breathe deeply and lie down. Here, Jean wonders if Hurricane intended to be rotten inside because people think badly of black dragons. It can't be avoided. The dragon will stay to watch over her while Jin goes for the money. He must stay still and not cause a ruckus. Center of the capital of the Yan kingdom, the mansion of the Bill family. Bill thinks about young Master Jin. Although a banquet was held in his name, he only heard about it when it was already over. Even if it was a mission, it was he who saved his life. Sember wanted to see him again and thank him for saving him. The boy wonders when he will have the opportunity to repay him for his kindness. Jean whispers Sember's name from behind and quickly covers his mouth. He is very excited, and Jean asks him to calm down, reminding him who he is and the time he saved him from the men of Quincello. Zenber asks how he got here, and Jin points out that he said he could come see him if he ever needed his help. Zenber has not forgotten the kindness he showed him. If it weren't for Jin, he would be dead now. That's splendid. Then he'll wait for him here. He wants him to bring some gold and money. The boy is surprised by his request. A reserve flag bearer is asking for money. It's an unchanging law that reserve flag bearers need to hide their identity. This is because they need to increase their reputation by their own strength, not with the support of their family. It was expected of the young masters of Ronkendel, who had only learned to fight, to live an extremely poor lifestyle during the first months until they could save money as bounty hunters or mercenaries. They were forced to live lives of extreme poverty, but his case was different. Now recovered, Gilly thinks that the food from the Yang Kingdom wasn't bad at all. She was prepared to go, hungry for a couple of days like the other flag bearers, but thanks to young Master Jin, it's easy from the start. Before, she worried that what Jin did was extortion. He doesn't see it that way. By giving him money, Sember was able to pay off his debt. Changing the topic, Jin thinks that Hurricane ate too much. He might vomit like he did last time since he's a compulsive eater and has to eat, even if he throws it all up afterward. If he doesn't want to see him vomit, then they could fly instead of using the portal. Gilly still remembers how sick flying made him, but he says a little dizziness won't hurt him. Gilly's dizziness is one reason, but there's another. The place they're going now is the Kingdom of Arkan. That place is affiliated with the Magical Federation of the Uterus, which is currently controlled by the Zippel family. 80% of the active dragons are with them, so if they fly carelessly, it would basically be a declaration of war. However, Murakhan is sure that more than half of these dragons would tremble at the sound of his name. Those rascals are holding their heads high. The world has indeed become a good place to live. The dragons, the gods that owe debts to them, and the dozens of contractors tied to those gods are supporting Zippel right now. On the other hand, Jin is the only one who made a contract with a god in Ronkandel if his father weren't there. Zippel would have already destroyed his clan now that he thinks about it, Jean wonders. How Zephyr managed to gather so many contractors, bringing so many of them together in one generation can't be called a coincidence. The guard asks for Jean's identification, introduces them both as Jean Grey and Jean Lipton, going to the Kingdom of Arkan for tourism. Access to the portal was granted. They announce over the speaker that they will soon be transported to the Kingdom of Arkan and warn that they might experience dizziness due to the travel, so they recommend sitting comfortably. Gilly is amazed by the fake identifications he made for the family. It said they are so sophisticated that they could fool Beeman's special division. Again, the speaker informs about the transport. This will start soon. Huracan is scared of what's about to happen to him. While Jin thinks about the kingdom, they are going to it with something related to his past life, but 15 years have already passed. It's announced that they have arrived at their destination. They are welcome to the Magical Federation of the Uterus, the Kingdom of Arkan. In the last year of his previous life, Jin visited this city, although there's a 15-year time difference. The setting hasn't changed much. There are merchants and homeless people in the streets and people with dark looks. Even when the weather is nice, it's quite a dreary place, probably because of the tyranny. Jin remembers it was especially bad during this time. First of all, they will find a place to stay after that. They will look for a prey later when they find a place. Huracan asks if it's necessary to stay in a ruined place like this. Jin reads trust that the young master has a plan, but with enough money. Huracan doesn't see the need to stay here. Jin explains that it's not a good idea for a group of unregistered mages to come to this neighborhood and flaunt that they have a lot of money. Murakhan doesn't think that's a good enough reason to enter a place where even orcs wouldn't stay. The three enter and find a man asleep at the counter still, half asleep. They ask if he is the owner of this inn. The man quickly assesses his new guests, a womanizer, a beginner swordsman, and a beautiful woman who apparently is a maid for some unknown reason. The owner is unusually happy and welcomes them to the inn. They have plenty of rooms available. He offers them the inn's special orange juice, giving one to each of them so they can later choose a room they like. The plan of this guy is for them to drink this, and once they wake up, they will start a new life in the underground auction house. Huracan realizes immediately, and Jet gets angry with him, offended by what he did. He gives him a beating, claiming he tried to poison him. Jet pretends not to know what he's talking about, and without being fooled, Huracan insists that he will die here today. The man asks him to please wait. He wants him to talk first. Jet, the self-proclaimed informant who only provides high-quality information, is someone to whom Jing owed in his past life. The reason he, who was exiled from the family, could settle here in Arkan was that he received help from Jet. Because of that, they became close, but it wasn't out of good intentions. He scammed him countless times under the pretense of introducing him to the auction houses of the Tessin, taking everything the naive Jean had, except for his clothes. Just thinking about that makes him furious, but this life is different. This time it will be Jean who uses him. Jet threatens Murakan with responding to his attack. He may seem weak, but he has still won 5 stars. Murakan cares little for that. Jet confesses that he put something in the drinks, but it wasn't poison, rather a sedative. To Murakan, it's still the same. Jin tells him to stop and suggests listening to what he has to say, although the dragon finds no reason to do so. Jet begs him to save him, promising to compensate for what he did. Jin sits down and tells him he will ask a few questions. If he lies, then he will die, and if he tells the truth, he will live. He will judge his answer subjectively, based on his instinct. The first question is who he is and what he does. His name is Jet. He is the owner of the inn and an informant. He also scams people and sells others, so if he spares his life, he will be useful to him. He knows everything about Arkan and assures he is not lying. Jin assumes that the reason he tried to drug them was because he wanted to sell them somewhere. The question is where, and he replies that he was going to take them to the auction house. Tessing is a dark organization that operates slave auction houses, illegal sales, stolen goods, and even artifacts. It's a place that has everything. Jin explains that he will be healed tonight. Jet must already know what to do. Murakami thinks it's wrong to waste money on medicine for this trash. Gilly believes that if they save him now, he will try to deceive them later. There's nothing better than destroying a clandestine organization to gain prestige. Then they can get rid of him. They will rely on Jet for now since they need a guide anyway. Later, they will be able to get rid of him. They will trust Jet for now since they need a guide anyway. First, he will go look for someone who can heal him. Once outside, Jin sighs from exhaustion. Acting when he already knows everything leaves him drained. It is not in his plans to reveal that he is a regressor, so it cannot be avoided. At night, the doctor who came to heal him. Jet recommends that he rest until his bones heal. They will call him again if needed. The doctor was part of the Magical Federation he didn't expect to encounter a talented healer on the streets. Jet weighs his options. He suspects they might be from a family that practices martial arts or from the Special Affairs Division. In any case, if he betrays them, there will be nothing left of him. Jin indicates that it is time to leave. They need to go to the clandestine auction house. The guards at the entrance recognize Jet. It's unusual for him to come with so many people. He asks if they are products. Jet explains that it is the opposite. They are his guests, thanks to Jet's influence in this world. Jin and the others were able to enter. The atmosphere inside the place is formal and suitable for distinguished people. For a place operated by mobsters, it is quite decent. Although it is public knowledge that the head of Tessin is Alka, the real one is someone else. Jet hands them some masks. If they plan to enter the auction house, it's better to cover their faces. He tells them that the real head of Tessin is someone named Alu, Spider Hands. This place is decorated according to that person's taste, but it's because he wants to hide that he is an uneducated mobster. Lu is different from a nobody like Jet. He not only has the ability to pacify these dirty streets, but he is also a 7-star martial artist. Rumors say that he has connections with the purebloods of Ronkandel. Hurricane suggests ignoring the rumor. That family wouldn't associate with low-level mobsters. Gilly thinks the same. She can't think of anyone who could do such a thing. However, Jin knows of someone who would do it, the bastard, who placed a curse on him so he couldn't wield a sword. If it is a connection with the Magical Federation, it is highly likely that it is him, the 9-star curse that prevents you from wielding a sword. Blade illusion. Jin doesn't think there is a wizard in Tessin capable of placing such a high-ranked curse. But for 10 years in the Storm Castle and 5 inches the Sword Garden, for 15 years he hasn't been able to obtain a single clue. Anyway, they came here with the intention of destroying everything. So besides the identity of that such Alu, it's worth checking. Hurricane doesn't seem very happy with how this plan is proceeding. It's very different from the initial one, which consisted of taking out all the mobsters. Yili noticed the guards and mages along the way. They all seem quite capable. She fears a sudden battle in enemy territory. Jin isn't worried because he has a plan. He asks both of them to come closer for a moment. Briefly, he tells them what he has in mind. Murakami sometimes wonders what Jin has in his head given the kind of ideas he comes up with. Yili thinks it's an unconventional plan. She also questions whether a Ronkandel should do such things if a problem occurs. They can simply flee. Jet announces that they have arrived, having purposely chosen places that are not very visible. Opening the curtain, he welcomes them to the Flower of Tessin, the clandestine auction house. Once they settle into their seats, the presenter shows the new auction products. No one cares where they come from or what their story is. Once they settle into their seats, the presenter shows the new auction products. No one cares where they come from or what their story is. The product he shows them is something they can use at their leisure. He comments that the slaves are in good condition today. Jin understands that Jet was trying to sell them like this. He doesn't enjoy this view, but he's relieved that there are no children. Hurricane asks what they will do now. Now they just have to wait. Sometimes something useful appears in these auctions if there's something they want to buy. Jin will get it before anyone else. After that, they will move actively if the information he has from the past is correct. It's likely that an artifact ring is rusting somewhere in the warehouse. Jin plans to get it after the plan. They have finished with the slave sale. Now they will move on to the main event. They will start with the auction a week later. The items continue to be sold among the interested parties, and he approaches to resolve a doubt. Jin has done nothing but observe all week. He warns that if he doesn't buy something today, then the people from Tessin might cause him some problems. Jin points out that avoiding that is Jet's job. However, it doesn't matter who it is. At this rate, he will be expelled. Jet just wants him to buy something before he gets wrapped up in his disaster. Now, they move on to the sale of the first grimoire of the night. This belonged to Matthew Wannock, a wizard who ruled the world in an era. They were unable to neutralize him, but it is very likely that a powerful magic is recorded in this. Jin gets a bit irritated because that scammer confused the name of the grimoire's owner. On top of that, all of Matthew Morning's grimoires are in the possession of the Sipple family. That means the probability of it being real is 0. Jin has been at the Techning auction for a week and has been directed this way the whole time. The presenter continues, saying nonsense, and the wizards with great vanity believe him. He announces that the author of the next grimoire is Chen Mi. Sometimes there are grimoires like that too. Although they are famous, they are like lottery tickets without scratching. Consternated Murakami asks the boy to buy that grimoire. If this really belongs to the Chen Mi he knows, then it's something big. The presenter is surprised by the new bid. Jin has offered 150 gold coins for the item, a grimoire that a dragon recommends. There's no need to ask why. The presenter announces the next grimoire. This is the grimoire of Sugi the Heister. No one in the audience knows that name. The same happened with the grimoire of Chen Mi. Again, the presenter receives a high bid for the item to everyone's surprise. 200 gold coins are offered. No one seems to understand why he keeps buying weird things. Mugen asks curiously if it's a grimoire he knows, but Jin only replies that it's better to buy one more thing he would never have imagined finding it here. His master from his previous life, who was affiliated with that family. The Heisters were exterminated hundreds of years ago. Jin didn't expect to find a trace of them here. He will give this as a gift to his master when he sees him again. With this, they have finished. They will make their next move carefully. Minutes later, they receive the grimoires they bid on. Murakami takes a look at the Chen Mi grimoire. Yes, it is the one he knows. But compared to that, he wonders what the other grimoire is. There is a strange and distasteful code, of course. The only ones who can decipher it are his master and him. Jet is relieved that they finally bought something. If they hadn't done it today, they would have had problems. Suddenly, Jin requests a meeting with Ailu Spiderhands. Jet says that's impossible even if it's one of his guests. Then he can tell him that Veridin Zippel wants to see his face. Jet sets off in his search. Very excited, the boy was not from the special division of Ment, but a pureblood Zippel. He is thrilled, because now he could, to become an informant for the Zippel and thus leave this place. Jet shouts for the light to come out. Veridin Zippel is here. Those who heard him irreverently ask for their boss to come out were Lu's men. One of them approaches the group of Jean to ask if he really is Veridin Zippel and orders him rudely to accompany him to see the boss. These bastards must be joking. The guy asks him if he is Lu. Scared, he says no. His boss sent him to escort the three of them. He has revealed his name but dares to send his subordinates. He will say it only once more. He will come to see him himself, crawling on all fours to his feet, and that's what he did. The man in charge of this establishment kneels before the supposed Veridin. Lu apologizes for not having recognized him. He who resides in the sky over this land. Jet thinks he would have laughed if it were someone else claiming to be Veridin Zippel, but the aura of this boy is different. Besides, the fireball he used before was at least 5 stars, being able to use. Mana above that level at this age would be difficult for anyone who wasn't a Zippel. A week ago, Jim explained to the two what the plan was. He would pretend to be Veridin even if Ailu knows someone from his family. It would only be a servant, which means he can't prove he isn't Veridin. Yili is not worried about others finding out. If the Ronkindale family found out in the future, she fears for what could happen. Jim allows Ailu to stand up. He asks him to give his opinion about these 2 grimoires. The guy recognizes them as magical texts and apologizes for requesting them without permission. As a Zippel, Jean states that these 2 books are highly valued by his family. Ailu says that as a martial artist, he couldn't recognize the value of these books. He offers to return them if given the chance. Jean considers it would be better for him to take them instead of leaving them with people like Ailu and then threatens to start an investigation. He orders to bring him the accounting book and the client list. Ailu can refuse. He assumes this is his end, no matter how hard they try. The testing in the kingdom of Arkan are just a local group of mobsters compared to the Zippel. If something came to light that irritated this family, it would be the end of the testing, while they review the documents. Malu explains that this is all that was at the auction. There were others being strictly watched in the warehouse, but those are kept at the employee residence. If allowed to leave, Ailu could bring them immediately. Jin is not fooled by Ailu. He is going to destroy important documents, then we'll check if he is the real Veridin and the reason why he is snooping among the guys that Ailu bribed. After saying this, Jin allows him to go and do whatever he can, but he must not forget that he is still in the palm of his hand. With nothing more to say, Ailu decides to withdraw and orders that in his absence, the warehouse should be shown to the young Veridin. Then in a low voice, he indicates that they must keep him inside the mansion until he returns. Luz vents her disdain for the young man's arrogance, behaving as if he has control over everything. He has spent quite a bit of money on the Zippel, thinking of ways to bribe them again. Huracan allows Gilly to take whatever he wants. It's fine, since everything here is probably stolen. Although to the dragon, everything in this warehouse seems like trash, he whispers that by the time Lu returns, she will have realized the lie. However, the plan is just to make free purchases and then escape. He finally found what he was looking for in Yili. He is worried they will continue doing reckless things like this in the future. Suddenly, Yet appears with news. It's the accounting documents of the slaves. He wrote down the birth regions and ages, having gotten everything he wanted. Jin warns the guard that they are leaving. He stops him, informing him that the boss will soon bring the accounting books. Until then, he asks him to stay in the mansion and compliments him for being able to fight in addition to using magic. While he thinks about why he didn't leave Ailu's subordinate, Jin asks if Jet has family, and he replies that he has a son. Then he advises him to take him with him, preferably to the Mehmet Empire. He will provide the accounting and will present himself as an informant. Only in that way will he be able to live. Jet refuses as he wants to stay by his side, serving him. He doesn't want to lose this opportunity, but after working so hard, this is when Jin confesses he does not serve Dean Zippel. 2 hours later, Alud returns to the warehouse. A subordinate told him that Baradine has long silver hair. They report that they took the information about the slaves, and other clients fled, saying that Tessin is finished. Alid orders them to pursue. They will take those they have and go after the scammers. Lu will skin them with his own hands. Huracan doesn't believe there is a reason to worry about Alu. Jin does this to check if he is connected with the Ronkandel. He obtained the grimoire from Chenmi, and they gifted him a masterpiece. Murakan was also surprised to see that Jin had that object in his hands, feeling curious to know how the boy knew about the existence of something so ancient. Suddenly, voices are heard, shouting that they have been found. They are very loud. The moment has arrived. Then they will have a little conversation. Furious and agitated, Alu says he has found them. They are scammers who dared to deceive him and then flee. He thinks of hanging them in the market and leaving them as an example. He will show what happens when you mess with the leader of the testing. Alu, Spider Hands. Jin mentions the record that lists the names of the kidnapped slaves from Beement, the book of transactions with the ancient grimoire that the Sipple family was searching for, as well as the client record, which shows all the aristocrats who turned a blind eye to the people of Alu Jin, spreading it all over the world for tomorrow. The whole world will be watching him. The magic mail system is convenient. To be frank, Lu is ruined. The man threatens not to give him an easy death. Every time he faints from the pain, he will bring him back by burning him with fire. Jin asks Murakan not to intervene. He wants to face this man one-on-one. This means the dragon will face all of Lu's men. Very angry, Lu shouts that there's nothing he can do alone. He orders everyone to stop wasting time and attack. Lu will take care of the boy and they will kill the rest. Nobody else dares to go against Huracan because of how strong he is. The mages weren't shooting because they could hit their comrades. Then Salud orders them to attack the two in the back. Jin asks Yili to stay back for a moment. All spells are below 5 stars. The pendant deploys a barrier that counters that level of magic. Things have become a little easier thanks to his sister Luna. Gilly regrets not having said goodbye to her. Despite thinking that, Huracan is irritated because everyone there is just a bunch of weaklings. There are so many that he's already bored. He wants them to die once and for all. Both Lu and his men are stunned at witnessing such power. He lets out a slight laugh that gradually becomes louder. His men comment that their boss has gone crazy. Him being in that state makes things easier for Jin. Besides, Murakan is finished with the numbers as he asked. Crazed Lu asks who sent them here. The truth doesn't matter whether they tell him or not because he won't know if they are telling the truth. Lu wonders then what he should do. His intention is not to be defeated without causing them any harm. Earlier, Huracan says that Jin has finally found someone worthy to fight. The rumors that this man was 7 stars were true. Unlike Visker, this man really wants to kill him. Huracan encourages him. Jin must give his best and try not to die. Lu despises the young Jin's arrogant attitude. A pathetic mage dares to fight him head-on. It annoys him that they underestimate him in such a way. Alu observes that the supposed mage carries a sword. Now he is angrier than before. He also deceived him with that. He was not a mage, he is fast. Although it was a superficial hit this time, he almost reached Jin. He is not fighting with all he has, but it's already too much for Jin to handle. Alu cannot believe he has fallen for such a simple trick. Right now, this boy does not pose a problem for him. The guy who defeated all his subordinates by himself stays back doing nothing. Even though he is stronger than Alu, Huracan smiles, seeing that the boy is not having it easy. He is taking some good hits. Gilly is worried about her young master. Although it is his wish that he does not intervene, it might be too soon for him to face off. A martial artist of 7 stars, Huracan explains that it's okay. The boy must learn how precious life is. Also, she speaks as if she thinks Jin is going to lose. Jin was pushed back with that attack. Alu thinks to take advantage of this to put an end to it. Murakan remembers something about Jin's family a long time ago, when the magical swordsmen of Ronkandel used to fight. A difference of 2 stars was nothing for them. Alu was forced to dodge the spell upon seeing that he used magic, and it wasn't an artifact. Concludes that he is a magical swordsman. Alu was able to protect himself from the lightning spell. It was useless now that he is standing defenseless. He will definitely lose his life. Distressed Alu wonders what hit him. He didn't have time to react to his attack. It has already ended here. As expected, it was the rune of Miolta. From thousands of years ago, Ulta was an object made by Bement, the first emperor who was the lover of a demon during that time. The war was still ongoing. A peace master that blocks all attacks below 7 stars. Murakan wondered how it ended up in the hands of those mobsters. Jin remembers from his previous life that the rune of Miolta will be offered to the Emperor of Mement in 5 or 6 years from now. During that time, the Academy and the press were in chaos because of this helmet. Alu continues to breathe. Jin wants him to answer one thing. He heard it was related to the Ronkandel family. He wants to know if that is true. Mubrikan thinks it's a question he should have asked before. It's not something you ask someone on their, quote, deathbed. Alu laughs lightly. Now he knows what's going on. This boy is Jean Ronkandel. He says that failed him, but he is still the youngest. He can't stop that person. Murakan doesn't understand what he means. Jean assumes that Spider Hands is not his real name. He is a martial artist who is a mafia boss and has connections with the Roncandle family. To Murakami, it's not strange. One of Jean's ancestors, who was 19 stars, was the owner of one bar. Still, they need to know who the person he is talking about. This guy Jin has to know if he will be the leader of the family. When he said that failed, he was referring to Blade Illusion, and the reason he pointed out that he was the youngest and couldn't stop that person is because he knows there is a power struggle among his siblings. His older sister Jana left the family, so the ones remaining are neither Miu nor Anna nor the twins, as they were too young and inexperienced. The rest are not intelligent or smart enough to be involved in these crafty things. Someone who is more sensitive to the ranks and pulled the strings when he learned about his talent before anyone else, that person is the next heir of Roncandle, Joshua. There is no other person as influential as him. If this is a hasty conclusion or not, he will find out soon. Later in the city, news arrives about an incident. Tessin has been eliminated due to an investigation with the collaboration of the Zipe and Beemont families has been completely dismantled. The mobsters who were harassing the innocents were destroyed in a single day. Jean notes that Jet did a really good job. He would have been harassed by the Zippel family, and Beemont is a low price to pay compared to his life. Both families took the credit, but it seems that Jean will reap the benefits. He has the ring, defeated Magos, and a 7-star knight. Gil interrupts the conversation at that point. Just because he's a 7-star knight doesn't mean he meets the standard. He shouldn't be careless just because he won. Jin agrees with her and understands that he must be careful now. Thanks to Jet, nobody will look for them, so they can relax and head to their next destination. They will depart for Tikon, the independent city. Jill infers they will go there for the 7 colors. It is a great information hub in Dekkan besides the Roncandle. Yes, it's the most reliable information organization. Huracan understands that he will go after the bad guys, like when he used Jet, having paid for the private trip on the boat. The 3 set off to their destination from now on when he makes decisions based on his memories. While he is with those 2, he will need a purpose, but not only that, things related to Vishkel Bover and Quincello. Luca's past is connected to Roncandle, the ruins of Kalan, and the taboo of magic. He needs to investigate all of that, and for that, the 7 colors in Tekkan is the most suitable place. Bat. He reports that he has discovered what was left behind. Chemi is light magic, one that was thought to be lost in ancient times, and so it was. In those times, Jenny was the enemy of the Sippel family. They erased from history all those who seemed bothersome to them. That is the trait of that family. It is the reason why there are no records. And if Jin cannot break the limit of his energy, the family, Roncandle will have the same fate in the near future. So learning these things will also be important. Molekin is going to show it to him. It is the magic he will need the most at this moment. Jean wonders why it is dark. If it is light magic, he approaches little by little to appreciate the dim light at the center. Huracan unleashed an intense light for a second. Although he is sure his eyes are swollen just from that, it can be used offensively and defensively. It was Chenmi's most prized magic. They got something good this time. Now Murakan talks about the author of the other grimoires, the Wizard Heister. His coding system is something that angered him a lot. He is not sure what is inside or if it will be useful. Jin asks him to keep it. One day, he will hand it over to a good decipherer a week later. Gilia is delighted with the views of this place. Tekkan, the independent city, is located on a small island, south of the central continent. It is not affiliated with the Roncandle or Zippel families, although its population is low. It's a popular tourist spot because you can see the ocean from anywhere in the city. Jill is fascinated. It's like the whole city is alive. She suggests looking for a place to stay first. They can go to downtown Huracan. Hopes they don't pick a filthy place again. Jill has told him several times not to transform in public, and Murakan always responds that humans don't care that much. A girl who witnessed his transformation claims to have seen a black cat turn into a man with black hair. Amazed little, Julia asks him to teach her how to do it later. Jin clarifies the situation with the girl, trying to make her understand that cats don't turn into humans. She just says what she saw, calling Jin a liar. Jin says no, but she insists that he does. He tries to bribe her with ice cream so she won't say anything. But she doesn't want to lie. They thought she was lost. So they take her to the Garrison family. Gilly fears that rumors will spread and be discovered by the Sippel family. She is disappointed in Huracan. If she had listened to her young master, none of this would be happening. The little girl recognizes this place as the information center. Julia says she doesn't like the Garrisons. They don't like her because they always harass her mom and bother Yili. She assumes that in this place violence is used against ordinary people, while Jin thinks her mother could be a criminal. They will go inside and check it. First, the portal guard recognizes little Julia and alerts to bring the leader. Miss Julia is here. The man says he knows the girl well. After all, she is the daughter of his leader. Jin is a bit confused. It wasn't what he expected. Seeing a woman approach, Julia excitedly shouts that it's her mother. She's the leader of the Central. But surely that's not the only thing she does. Once she is close to them, she opens her arms to receive her daughter. Her mother had told her not to go too far. Julia did so because her mother didn't have time to play with her. But her mother will once she finishes her work. No one in the group expected this turn of events. The mother explains that most people in the city know Julia, so it must seem like she was neglected. She took a while to show up. Her name is Alicia Bacher, the leader of the garrison of Tikkun. The youngest introduces himself as Jean Grey, someone who is just visiting as a tourist. Alicia wants to reward them. So Jean asks about a good place to stay. When he was about to answer Jean's question, little Julia whispers something to her mother. Alicia takes a pen from her pocket and asks the guard to bring her a sheet of paper. It's a letter of recommendation with the packet seal of the garrison leader on it wherever they go. If they show this, they will be treated well. She thanks them for finding her daughter, but they are the ones who are more grateful. Then they head towards the lodging. Julia had told her mother about the cat that turned into a man. It's true, but she tells her that those people, they don't want to talk about it, so she pretended to know nothing. Alicia congratulates her. Everyone has a secret to keep. Then she seriously thinks about what she told her daughter. That's something only a dragon can do. Later at the inn where the group is staying, they are surprised by the service they have here. Hurricane appreciates the soft bed. This is how rooms should be. Everything was thanks to the letter of recommendation. They were very lucky. As soon as they arrive, excited, Gilly asks if she can eat the ice cream that Julia had. It's said to be very famous in Taikan. It's been a while since they lived like this. It feels like they're on vacation. Hurricane asks Jim about the plan to meet the 7 colors. It's not an easy thing to do. First of all, he plans to find a certain person. The 7 colors is the best information center in Taikan, and in the middle of that center, there is someone named the Noble Sword Kashmir. He's a famous swordsman that everyone knows. He was recommended for the position of teacher of the beginner swordsman of Ronkandel. That's all the information the house has. But in 10 years, he will reveal that he is actually the Emperor of Beemont and uses the information gathered by the 7 colors. He will obtain the sovereign power of Beemont, the Zippel family, and the Ronkandel family, and will have support as the first king of the independent country of Tikkun. He is a meticulous person. Not only is he a skilled swordsman, he also has enough skill to hide for so long he could become someone who supports Jean above the 7 colors. The problem is how to approach him. Gilly quickly came to tell that something strange is happening. There is no one in this inn. All the staff and guests have disappeared. All of this seems very strange to him. The man they were looking for came to ask if everything is all right. He hopes it's not too much trouble to interrupt them. Hurricane is furious for getting so familiar with Gilly. The noble sword Kashmir appeared suddenly. Jin didn't expect to encounter him so quickly. He sees what he's trying and quickly orders the dragon to stop, not to kill him. You asked me if I was all right? Well, don't you think I'm fine, bastard? As Jean knows, Kashmir shouldn't be here. He shouldn't have business in Arkan. Besides, they didn't cause any trouble because they just arrived in Tikon. And more importantly, he's not alone. There are many of them. Fearing the place will be destroyed, he asks Hurricane to calm down. This place is very small. If he starts fighting, he could hurt Gilly. Upon hearing that, Hurricane comes to reason. With no other option, he stops his transformation. He asks Kashmir if he knows who he is. He asked if he was all right. His attitude was very irreverent. Hurricane was annoyed by his arrogance. Upon entering with his subordinates, the dragon was about to transform again when Jin stops him. Then he asks Kashmir to put away his sword if the authorities haven't come here for them. Jin comments that he has heard about his reputation. Since he knows Kashmir well, he seems a bit confused by the fact that the boy knows about him. Then Jin tells him his real last name is Ronkandel. Both Murakami and Yili are surprised to hear it. Jin assumes that Kashmir has a lot to talk about. He suggests moving to another place to do so. Minutes later, in the inn's dining room, Jin thanks him for having removed his men. This makes him feel that he trusts him. Kashmir had brought his men because he heard that a dragon had appeared, but it was a mistake. He only managed to infuriate him due to the intense power emanating from him. He is convinced that this guy is a dragon. If the boy next to him hadn't stopped him, he and his men would be dead. Kashmir knows Gilly's true identity. He had met her before being ousted from the palace of Beemont. He still remembered the military prestige she displayed in the training hall back then. Right now, he doesn't perceive a hint of her aura. He wonders if she has connections with the people she came with. Kashmir assumes she isn't lying when she says she is Jin Ronkandel. But he has a question. Why is she with a dragon? Since ancient times, dragons make contracts with mages who have contracts with a god or someone with special power. This is expected of a zipper, but not of a Ronkandel. He also asks if her family knows that a dragon is accompanying her. Jin tells him that his family does not know. Something that surprises Kashmir because he is talking about a big secret very lightly. Jin thinks that the most important thing here is not that he is a Ronkandel. He wants to know why he came to see the dragon since the young master told him a big secret. Kashmir will tell his. The reason he came is that his daughter Julia said she saw a cat turn into a person. He believed her because his daughter is not an ordinary girl, but a contractor of Asmol. It is about the god of vision. There is no way his daughter, a contractor, could have mistaken seeing an object or a situation. Jin says there are many people who would want his daughter's power, and he is telling them something like this so easily. Murakami feels something is off. If she is a contractor, she should have a dragon. He didn't feel any energy from one nearby. The dragons of Asmol are known for cherishing their contractors a lot. It is very strange that she left the girl alone. Jin doesn't know about the situation, but it seems that is the case. Kashmir recounts that Julia's guardian dragon disappeared suddenly a year ago. It seems that the Zippel family or the Beemont Empire had something to do with it, although it is just a supposition for Murakami. No dragon is stupid enough to be kidnapped, and much less for a year. Suddenly, Murakami realizes one thing. He asks him to confirm if his daughter is 5 years old. If she really is the contractor of Asmol, this means that if the dragon is not close to her at her age, soon his daughter will go crazy and be disabled. The contractors of Asmol can see the future. Humans don't know about this, but seeing the future comes at a very high price for a dragon's mindset right now. She is too young to differentiate between dreams and reality, so not much has happened if she continues to see the future without any protection. Just like she does now, after a year or two, her eyes will become uncontrollable. It is related to the principle of causality. Whoever sees the future must follow what they saw at the moment they don't. The punishment of Asmol will begin if she sees someone's death. She can do nothing. Contractors who interfere with the principle of causality will end up destroyed. From the beginning, her daughter has been living in a world different from the rest, and judging by her expression, it seems that what Murakami said is true. Then she needs to find her daughter's guardian as quickly as possible and place the dragon by her side. There is no other way but that on her knees. Kashmir confesses to being the leader of the information center. The Seven Colors has confidence in his abilities. However, for a year he was unable to find his daughter's guardian. With this, Murakami has confirmed. The meeting with his daughter as soon as they arrived in Tikan was not simple coincidence. Asmil is asking for help to save her young contractor. Desperate, not knowing what else to do, Kashmir asks the dragon for his help. However, Hurakan says he can do nothing even if asked. Who he must ask is the leader of the group. Hurakan sits aside, waiting for the boy's decision. Jin approaches Kashmir and asks him to get up. Although their relationship is superficial, this matter involves the life of a girl. As her father, he must act with a cool head. They will search for her daughter's guardian together. Relieved, Kashmir promises not to forget the young master's kindness. Jin cannot be happy about this situation. Even if things turned out better than expected, if not even the Seven Colors could find her location, it means they will need information from the Ronkadel family or the Zippel family. Then he asks Kashmir if they have detailed information about the dragons. If so, he wants him to provide all he has about the dragons in the Beeman Empire. This method is somewhat like a last resort. Traditionally, there is nothing that dragons do not know elsewhere on the continent. A girl named Inia talks to Kikantel, who is quietly having tea. It's news about Jean. They are the same age, but he is already a 5-star. Kikantel explains to Enya that she is also the contractor of a god. She can also be like Jin. Instead of the boy whose family has a type of black hair as a guardian, she is the contractor of Ulta, the god of time. Suddenly, Kikantel's aura turned dark. She tells Enya to go home and not come out until she returns. Nothing important happened, just that a black thing came here. The black dragon warns that they are almost in that place. He's going to approach and disperse his energy. Then the dragons in Bayman will come on their own. Jin's task is to hide so they don't notice. He chooses this moment to start his plan. Sometime earlier, at the inn where they met Kashmir, he handed Murakami a list of the active dragons in the Beeman area: the Earth Dragon, Vertema, and the Silver Dragon, Quikantel. He carefully reads the names of those who were hiding there: the Earth Dragon, Vertema, and the Silver Dragon, Quikantel. He sees something that worries him a bit, but he ends up thinking it will turn out fine somehow. Murakami realizes it could get dangerous, but these things happen among dragons. They'll leave all at once. The journey there is long. Kashmir continues to call him Mighty Dragon, but Murakami is embarrassed that he calls him that. He just wanted to thank him from the heart for what he does for his daughter. He left her rescue in his hands. In light of this, Murakami has 2 things to say. The first is that from today onward, until the girl's dragon returns, he must keep her exhausted at all times. If he does, the power of Asmol will naturally weaken when she wakes up. He must play with her, do everything they can to tire her out, and send her to sleep. Kashmir understands. He will do as he said. Then he asks what the second is: the ice cream. He wants him to bring him one, since one of his companions couldn't eat it because of him. Gilly is amazed by Murakami's kindness, but she's not referring to the ice cream. She told Kashmir several things to calm him down. Murakami pretends not to care about the well-being of strangers. The Black Dragon is quite considerate. He has seen a couple of dragons approaching, so Murakami warns Jin. Their names are Labus and Atil. They were the dragons Jin punished the most. He sees their helmets and immediately wonders how hard he had to hit them to make them come. As soon as they felt his energy, one of the dragons asks Murakami why he is here with his imposing aura. He names the 2 dragons. He has something he needs them to do. That's why he woke up from his long sleep. He asks for their help. Both dragons are unaware of what his problem is, but it's not the best moment to ask for help. They ask him to handle it himself. He must leave soon, since they have their young contractors in this area. It's not their intention to cause trouble in the Beeman seas. They dare to order him to leave. Under this sky, Murakami has no place to escape. The rock dragon can no longer remain calm. He warns Murakami to flee. The energy he just released is causing chaos. The black dragon is bewildered. He doesn't know why they are asking him this. It's then that they inform him about Quikantel. The black dragon is puzzled. He doesn't know why they are asking him this. It's then that they inform him about Kaikantel. She is flying here to kill him. Jin has heard about the silver dragon. He asks Murakami what kind of relationship he has. with the guardian dragon of the god of time, Ulta. It turns out that she is his ex-girlfriend. The young dragons plead with him to please leave. Their contractors are still young. If they get involved in this, they could die. The other dragons don't know that he has awakened. If he doesn't leave now, there will be rumors. Suddenly, the dragons feel a presence approaching. Murakami warns Jin to hold on tight. Both dragons move away, cursing Huracan. They can't do anything more here. He can't lose concentration. Here comes another shot. It's a definitive skill that is 8 stars or more. A furious, Quick-and-Tell screams Huracan's name. Not even her own death could make justice. She dared to show up here without any shame. Huracan fears they will have to fight her. Both were in a relationship for 500 years. It would be like 5 years for a human. He has no other choice, so Jin will have to stab her by lover when he gets the chance. Murakami explains it to him because he seems to not know he doesn't date those who are of a lower class than his. So when things go wrong, he gathers his strength all at once and wreaks havoc. He has to do that to be able to strike. Kikantel declares that even if she wants to run away, it's too late for Huracan. She will die here in the sea. Mel asks her to calm down. He knows well that she hates him, but that's not important right now. He suggests handling what is urgent first and talking later. Huracan starts to get angry too. He doesn't understand why she is so upset. He will launch a breath attack from this distance. He has no other option but to unleash his energy. He surrounds her to protect himself. Buying some time, Jin helped him with the energy. They would have died if they had taken that attack head-on. Huracan points out that it doesn't matter how strong Kikantel is, she cannot enter here, since talking doesn't work. He needs to find a way to calm her down. The energy released from the shadows didn't work. She easily removed the barrier. Huracan is surprised by this. She replies that he is unaware of how weak she has become. He is mistaken if he thinks she is the same as before. It is now that Huracan asks her to stop and leave him as he is for old time's sake. He only came because he has something to ask her. Instead of calming her down, he only made her furious. When she thinks of the old times, she can't help but want to tear him apart. He does not understand why she goes so far when all they did was end their relationship. It seems to anger her that he takes it lightly. That is precisely why she is beating him up. She gives the signal to Jean to act. Kikantel is not very surprised by the appearance of a human. She has skin so tough that even Murakami cannot penetrate it. It will be difficult for Jin to hurt her. However, with that small opening, and with the remaining energy of the shadows, Huracan flies quickly to pick up Jin. He is completely out of energy, but he did well. He assumes that now he might be some sort of dragon slayer. However, Huracan comments that maybe this has calmed her down a little. A normal dragon would have died, but Kikantel is different. Dragons that can manipulate time don't die easily. The truth is that they might be the ones to disappear before they can find the missing dragon. She is going back in time. This is why authority and magic are separated, but there's no need to worry too much since it consumes a lot of power as well. But just in case, it's better that she does not move. Kikantel regains her hybrid form. Huracan hopes she has relaxed a bit. He didn't know that she still held feelings to the point of going crazy. He remembered that they both ended the relationship on good terms. On the contrary, Kikantel pointed out to Keela sideways. They didn't take the time to talk. This was because she always got angry whenever the topic was brought up. All this happened simply because their personalities did not match. Jin doesn't know what to think. It's supposed to be a conversation between two dragons who have lived for thousands of years. In any case, Murakami did not come here to fight. He wants her to answer something before that. She asks if the boy is the contractor of Solidaret, although Murakami decides to talk about that later. One of his own is in grave danger right now. Kikantel gets annoyed that he refers to dragons like that. He himself killed several of his kind, and now he pretends to be concerned about them. Huracan replies that among them was the enemy of Kikantel's older brother. He killed him for her for his revenge. The black dragon is tired of insisting. He will go ask another dragon. Kikante asks him to stop. She confesses to getting emotional every time she sees Huracan. She accepts him asking the question and apologizes for what she said recently. Then it is revealed that one of the guardian dragons of Asmal has disappeared. Upon hearing it, Kikantel remembers that the name of that dragon in Tekken was Latri. She finds it strange, because the young dragon was taken by Boletta not long ago. He is one of the attendants of the god of wind, Melsier, and the guardian of the vice leader of the Zippel family. She heard that they told Latri they could teach him the dragon language magic. Suddenly, she suggests moving to another place. If they backtrack a bit, they can avoid the trap and go to Beamit. Jin couldn't present himself earlier. He is the contractor of Solidaret. Kikantel knows about that. He is a descendant of Timar, and he is the youngest son of Ronkandel. She knows it because the boy emanates the same energy as Timar. The three of them were frequently together 1,000 years ago. And about being the youngest was something she simply assumed. She liked the reaction Murakami had when hitting the nail on the head. Now they will go to the main topic. Boletta took Latri a year ago. Kikantel had told her that they took that dragon, saying they would teach him the dragon language magic. Huracan then tells her that the contractor of Asmal is too young to control his authority. Understand she that it is very dangerous for her guardian dragon not to be by her side, something Boletta should also know. They must have a hidden motive when Boletta took Latri. She stopped in Bement. She told Kikantel that she would introduce her to Latri. Besides, she wanted Kikantel to introduce her to her contractor for no reason. she had no other choice, because the identity of her contractor had already been revealed since there are many close people to the high-class Sipples and Beeman. If she had acted temperamental, she wouldn't have been able to let her contractor stay here. Jin comments that while the identity of her contractor was revealed that of Julia, it is not suspicious that they knew it and approached Latry. I have known among the dragons that no one can know about the contracts until the contractor manifests their authority. Even if there were magic to detect contractors, how would it be beneficial, she wonders. Cacantle. Jin explains that they benefit in two ways. The first is that they can minimize danger and eliminate contractors from outside their territory. And the second is that if they kill the contractor, the Sipples family can get the opportunity to make a contract with the god. It is actually not just an opportunity to make a contract. Surely they have some method. In Jin's past life, the contractor of Ulta officially appeared in the stone statue that will be in 10 years. The contractor was a pureblood Sipples. Jin is certain that they can make a contract with the god if they kill the contractor. And that is the main reason why the dragon, Julia's guardian, was kidnapped, because Jin never heard about the Princess of Tikan in her past life. For Quickcantle, it's not so clear. Jin is making too many assumptions. The Zippel already have too many contractors. Jin retorts that she is lying, something she doesn't even believe herself. He cannot speak for the dragons. But human ambition knows no bounds. Even if they reach the top, they won't be satisfied and will want more. They are also people who have been ruling for thousands of years. Anything they do is not strange. Jin is sure the bosses are planning something. What he isn't sure about is why she pretends not to know. Maybe she is afraid of the Sippel family. Huracan intervenes. Both dragons know about that family's ambition. Besides that, he hates to admit it, but it's true that they are skilled people. There's nothing wrong with being cautious. Huracan says he won't ask for their help, but asks Quickcantle to leave Beeman. After hearing this, she bursts out laughing. Murakami has changed quite a bit. He is now capable of reading the atmosphere. She agrees to his requests. She will make her contractor leave first, and she will also help them. She needs to meet with Boletta and uncover the truth. If what those two are saying is true, they are probably looking for an opportunity right now. If she calls them, they will likely come flying. Besides that, she has a task for Temar's descendant. He makes her remember the old days, even his clear provocation. Along with his arrogance, it reminds him of the plan. Then Quickcantle should call Boletta first. Suddenly, a girl arrives home. Enya asks her guardian who these two people are. Quickcantle introduces her as Ulta's contractor, the god of time. This is an old friend and the contractor who is protecting her. She is overly excited. Jin is in her house right in front of her. Quickcantle had forgotten to tell her. She says she has a little fantasy about him and asks for his autograph. Quickcantle expresses that her contractor could maintain his dignity. Quickly, she apologizes for acting like this. She had always seen Jin in the newspapers. She is Xenia, a commoner attending the academy as a scholarship student. Jin assumes the girl is talented since Quickcantle usually values the lineage of her contractors. He comforts Henia, telling her there's no shame in receiving an enthusiastic welcome. Quickcantle had told her not to go out of her house until she told her, but she felt very lonely and wanted to see her dragon guardian. She is happy with her decision since she could see Jin. She said she was a commoner and a scholarship student, the nobility of Beement. Without seeing it personally, Jin can imagine how much they bully Enya. This is why he hasn't associated with the bastards of the academy since his past life. Eniel asks Quickcantle about Jin's presence here, and he is the one who answers. There's a possibility that someone is behind her, Ulta's contractor. That's why. Jin asks her to come with him, promising that he will protect her without hesitation. She accepts. Her prayers to Ulta have finally been heard. Moroccan is irritated by how noisy she is, and Gigantel feels a bit embarrassed. She was worried that Enya didn't want to leave, but she was doing it for nothing. Seeing how he acted, she was sure she would follow Jin to the underground prison of the Roncandle. The boy doesn't know what he's talking about, but Quickcantle insists that there's a dragon there. When Jin was about to ask her about that, Huracan makes noise with his snoring. She tells him the reason why she agreed to help them. There's another reason besides maintaining her loyalty to Tamar and Enya's safety, but the most important is that the guy who fell asleep is exhausted. He is not aware of how weak he has become and won't be able to face Boletta. So if they need to confront her, it will be Quickcantle who does it. Huracan is weakened, so much that the attack on the sea that Quickcantle made 1,000 years ago would have been a joke for him. She proposes that they both stay in this place until Boletta comes. If Jin is not against it, then he will have to convince Moroccan, surely. He will make a fuss because it's about his ex-girlfriend's house. Unlike the first impression he had of her, Quickcantle is quite attentive. It's about time Enya wakes up. She asks Jin to explain the current situation, choosing her words carefully. The hit he gave her was so strong that a trained martial artist wouldn't wake up so quickly. But in this world, there are things that go beyond common sense and reason. That said, Quickcantle entrusts a lot to Enya after a few minutes, telling her she understands what is happening, a scheme and adventure that includes a girl, a lady, and on top of that, dragons and Master Jean. She sees things positively, so she will prepare to leave her family and what it can for Jean. The sooner they leave, the better. She says she will be ready by tomorrow. The only family they have is a 7-year-old brother and a dog named Puppy, so she will return home before nightfall. Enya says goodbye to everyone before leaving. Kikantel will simply tell the academy that Enya is sick. If they said she was leaving, they would investigate her. Now they just have to worry about Boletta. A person knocks on the door to ask for some firewood, something strange given that there are many trees outside. Surprised by how careless the dragons are, Jin asks Kikantel if she really thinks they came for firewood. The person outside is probably from the Special Affairs Division of Beement. They must have come for Enya. They will continue to monitor this place from now on and will want to check the outsiders that Kikantel brought with her. Understanding everything now, she goes out to meet him, demanding that he confess if he belongs to the Special Affairs Division of Beement. The man denies it. Then she asks him who sent him. A man appears announcing that it was him. He asks her to please let that man go if he kills him. Another Special Affairs officer will come immediately. She understands that this guy is the commander, so if there is someone to kill, he is a better option. The man expresses that if that was all, he hopes she has vented a bit. He is unharmed after receiving a direct attack. He is not an ordinary person from the Special Affairs Division of Bemet. He wears a red mask that only leaders can wear. He also carries a curved sword. There is only one person who fits this category. The Emperor's right hand, the leader of the 3rd Special Affairs Group of Bemet, codenamed Raz. A person known in Ronkandel as good with his sword, undoubtedly powerful. He is at least 8 stars for his Jin energy. He is glad to have used the Miyulta rune to cover himself. Raz did not intend to offend her. He had no other choice. He needed to confirm the identity of his guests. Now that they have done so, they will return the way they came to Quikantel. It is not enough for her to receive an apology. They invaded her space. The man mentions Enya. He knows she just went out. He hints that it is dangerous for her to go out alone so late if she confronts Raz. He could keep her here, but he won't be able to help Enya if something happens to her in that short time, so if he doesn't plan to continue, he will go on his way. Before he leaves, Kikantel warns him that next time he will put something he treasures at risk. All the things he has protected with his life, he must be ready to lose everything for what he did today. Moments later, Ross comments that he has confirmed the appearance of the infiltrators, but it remains to find out their identities. Moreover, he adds that the surveillance on the Silver Dragon will be paused. If they provoke it more, it will be worse. Raz will take responsibility for this. He is convinced that they are up to something. He mentions that his division will be in danger. If they watch closely, they will do so from afar. Until they make some peculiar move, Kikantel feels guilty for letting Enya stay in this village. If Jin and Murakan hadn't come, it would have been worse. It is a relief that they were able to avoid it for now. Enya's safety will be his priority. Kikantel indicates that they need to move tomorrow, then the next morning. It is good to know that there is a merchant ship headed to Tikan. Jim gave a lot of money to the captain, so he won't abandon Enya. Moreover, Murakan is her escort, so there is no need to worry. Then Kikantel will contact Boletta immediately. Jim will be able to meet her as soon as Murakan returns a week later. He returns home. Jean approaches to congratulate him on his good work. Suddenly, Hurakan mentions that Kikantel is much more bitter than expected. The two of them built this house when they were together in the past. He knows why she makes them stay here. Reviving old feelings is something difficult for him. They are just that memories from 1,000 years ago, in a house that looked exactly like this. Those were the good times. Alongside Tamar and Gigantel, it didn't matter what they did back then, it was fun. Tamar's voice resonates in Murakan's mind. He puts his hands to his head in pain. It suddenly started to hurt when he thought he heard something. Quikantel mocks him, saying that he's tired from flying, then mentions that he received the response from Buletta. It will be tomorrow night. The location is a deserted island south of the coast of Memant. Before coming, they ask Quikantel what he would do when he met Buletta. He will say it's to find out about the whereabouts of the guardian dragon of Asmal Latri, and if she pretends not to know, he will beat her up. Murakan comments that Jin tends to avoid tedious situations like this now that Quikantel doesn't have Enya. She can do as she pleases. She intends to fight alone without Murakan's help. It's not about sympathy. She does it for Henia, besides. Buletta is serious about a dragon's honor, so she will come alone. Quikantel is confident she won't lose. He asks her not to worry and to take it easy. That's what she said, but Jin doesn't believe she will come alone if they really kidnap Latri and plan to suspiciously create a contract. She will probably come fully prepared. An older man speaks. It's an honor to be in the presence of the Silver Dragon of Time. Quikantel is the wing of the dragon, the vice leader of the Zippel, and the contractor of Melsier. It's Andre Zippel. Quikantel is disappointed with Buletta. She had said she would come alone. Buletta justifies herself, saying she was with Andres when she read his letter. Both were interested in the story of Ulta's contractor. Therefore, she asks the Silver Dragon to understand. Buletta gets straight to the point. She has something to discuss regarding Ulta's contract. Quikantel interrupts her, asking about Latri's whereabouts. Buletta understands she has been deceived. Was this what she was thinking all along? Quikantel gets agitated and demands that she confess she kidnapped Latri a year ago. Since then, the contractor of Asmal has not been able to find his guardian dragon. Buletta takes it lightly and simply tells her that Latri is fine, confirming her suspicions. She doesn't know what connection he has with the contractor of Asmal, but it's not a good idea to meddle in Zippel's affairs. Kikantel is angry about what was done. A young dragon was kidnapped who doesn't know how the world works. Boletta sees no end to this conversation. She makes an offer to Quicantel. She will give her the contract in exchange for letting her live. Quicantel scorns her offer. Boletta is just an old reptile. Quicantel also has an offer for her. She will return Latry right now, and in exchange, she will give her a painless death. Andres Zippel is amazed at how she easily dispelled Boletta's attacks. For the first time in a long time, she can give it her all. It's the mana of a 9-star mage. It's the first time Jin sees him since he was reborn. Andres Zippel, although rejected by the Ronkino family, is a member of an influential family. They will have to wait and see what level that magic is. It's dangerous. She has to dodge. Quicantel cannot fly. It seems that the wind has unfortunately turned its back. All the wind on the island belongs to Boletta, and no one can fly without her permission. Quicantel was never a rival for her. Quicantel sees that this is all these idiots can do. In response to the provocation, Andre Zippe unleashes a more powerful magic. He can not only control the wind, the magic of wind and lightning combine. Jin wants to help, but it is not time yet. It is true that Quicantel has become complacent, but those idiots were also overconfident. Time has stopped. He has the power to control time, and even halts magic. Andres was enchanted by such a sight. Quicantel threatens, "Today will be the day he rips that mouth of yours." He does not let himself be intimidated. He tells Boletta to prepare the next attack. But she does not react. She cannot move her body. She wonders if this is the power of time control. She can only watch how everything happens. They dared to encourage this inferior reptile to keep babbling. Andres yells at him to stop, and Quicantel tells him to shut up. He must stay watching. It will be his turn later. They already took care of Boletta, but Quicantel used a lot of her authority. He needs Jin and Murakan's help to deal with the wizard. Andres says he went too far. Such arrogance only belongs to the strong. That is an origin stone. Murakan explains that it is something that should have been destroyed long ago. He shouldn't have something like that. He was born as the silver dragon of time and lived as the strongest. But she was wrong. Humans, dragons, and even gods, in the end everything will fall into the hands of the Zippel family. She will stop denying it and accept it. The origin stone. When danger came into the world, the gods created it as a safety measure to prevent the end of the world. In the end, the stone that held the power of all the gods was destroyed by them. Gods. The stone was so powerful that it could destroy the world in its place. That object was in the hands of that wizard. Hurakan is worried about Quicantel. Andres points out that this is where the weak should be in front of the strong. Hurakan orders him to stay away from her. There are only 2 black dragons in the world. Seeing him, Andres recognizes that it is Hurakan. If he is awakened from his 1,000-year slumber, then the boy beside him must be his contractor. He is the youngest, the one who left his home not long ago. Andres came here with the plan of taking the high contractor, but today he will take more than he expected. Now he will wake up his friend who is already unconscious. The stone whispers to Ruletta in an unknown language. Andres apologizes to her for having preserved her energy. Until the last moment, Boletta believed that the black dragon was dead. Boletta is already a corpse. Hurakan tells her to get lost once and for all. She notices that he is weakened. She thinks of taking advantage of that and sending him to sleep again. It was a good blow. Boletta would be discouraged if she were too weak. She gets excited for the idea of being remembered as the one who killed a legend. Andre continues his fight against Quicantel. At first, he wasn't serious with her. But now that he has seen this face, he has to kill her. It would be suicide, getting involved in a fight with a dragon right now. So the only place he can help with his current strength is, he remembers now, the boy Ronkindel was also here. A child interfering isn't going to change anything. Boletta heard Andre's shout. Seeing him in trouble, she rushes to help him. Murcielago warns him to dodge. He withstood the blow thanks to Bradamante. Having come to this, it's his last option. He hasn't contacted her even once, but it seems it's because he has a tough situation. On his hands, Andres is surprised to see the white whale in battle. Luna recognizes the leader of the Zippel family. Such a rival is enough for Jean to call her. He congratulates her for holding up against these people and asks if she's hurt. The truth is, he was barely holding on. He thanks his older sister for coming. Then Luna turns to Andres Zippel. She asks him if he will continue silent without saying anything. She would like to hear an explanation of why he got involved with her brother. Jin evaluates the situation. Their opponents are the vice leader of the Zippel family and a wind dragon that was revived with a divine artifact. They were tough opponents even for her sister Luna. Now she is certain this fight is over. Hurakan suggests they stay back and apologizes to Jin. He couldn't block Violetta's attack because she controlled the wind. He has a good sister. If he had arrived a little late, he would already be dead. Thanks to her, he is still alive. This is an unexpected change. They didn't expect the white whale to come here, but with that, it has confirmed that the Ronkindel family has broken the oath with the family. Zippel tells Luna that Jin used magic and that the Zippel won't let this slide. However, she doesn't seem to care. Because Andre won't be able to bring the news to his family. He gets angry because an insignificant girl dared to threaten him. He acts that way when he doesn't know his place. All the simple members that Luna has met have been just words. As expected, the vice president is no different. If the dragon continues in its original form, it's a good thing as it will have more area to cut. Violetta quickly undoes her dragon form. She understands what she has to do. Luna observes that this power is not magic. It's similar to authority, but also to the energy of the demon family, and the reason why the wind dragon is going all out. It seems that to use the artifact properly, time is needed. So Andres Zippel and the wind dragon need to use such a pathetic tool. Did they seriously think something so miserable could save them? Violetta is offended and believes that she underestimates him. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Bullet has taken too much damage. This is the end. He has reached his limit. Since he has nothing more to teach her, he will end this quickly. Third, final movement, Ronkandel Meteor Shower. You explained that if you had to summarize the technique with the family sword, in one word, it would be domination. It is destructive and ruthless. Fight, obtain, possess. The mindset of a Ronkandel is contained in the sword. That is the reason why there is no method. There is none for the Ronkandel sword. The only things they have to kill their opponents are the secret technique and the final movement, and that is the third final movement. To the point where you go blind, it is beautiful and hopelessly strong. Violetta screams Andre's name. If it's all right, he asks her to come to her senses. The old man wonders if this is possible. It's not that Luna has used the authority of a god with whom she made a contract or an ancient artifact. It was with just human strength. Violetta yells at Andre that he has to live. If he survives, they can still win as long as they have the stone. They can turn the situation around if he has to die protecting her. Andre can simply revive her with that. The old man comes to his senses, remembers he has the stone. As long as he has it, he won't die. Luna is a bit disappointed. She still has a long way to go to reach her father's sword. But even if this is all, Luna is sure it will be good for him. This will also motivate him. In the end, if she can't wield her father's sword with certainty, the youngest, will this hurts her pride a bit, she will get angry. If this drags on with her younger brother watching, now it's clear the Cyclopes use contractors to make an origin stone. It's like a weapon you can use to go against the gods, although it's of poor quality right now, however, it is still dangerous. Hurricane takes on its dragon form to leave with Jin. The boy proposes to fight to help Luna, but the dragon explains that she will be able to handle something like that. If they stay, they will only hinder her. They must withdraw after making a contract with Soldieret and having done a regression. Jin met Murakami. He could have started with more luck and power than anyone else. But you just have to see and think that he needs to retreat without being able to go against them properly. It's the same as in his previous life. He never wants to feel this powerless again. He must become strong. Murakami observes the boy. The dragon knew that Jin was not scared, but for him to throw a tantrum after seeing that Murakami wants to bite him so much because he is very proud. Yes, this is how it should be. It won't stop his fighting spirit. If he continues like this, he will be the best. Until then, by his name, Hurricane will support his contractor after 1,000 years. Luna clarifies that he won't be able to kill her just because she changed her form a bit. He is very wrong if he thinks like that. He is a person to be pitied. Andres Zippel screams that the 12 gods are within him while the Ronkandel woman has nothing but a sword. Too big for her, she orders him to acknowledge his defeat and surrender, even if her father were here now. No one could be his opponent for a swordsman. With his sword is more than enough if he uses the magic he has cultivated throughout his life. He will be able to see at least half of his martial technique will show him out of sympathy how strong a polished sword is against something so inferior. He releases a red aura. Andres has faced countless knights, but it is the first time he sees something like this. He equally decides not to worry. He has reached the level of a god, invites her to come. He will show who is truly arrogant after seeing this power. He will show how powerless she is. Heart of the sword, red, Moon prepares because she knows she will be caught by this. Jin calls Luna from above. He never left. He stayed close, just in case she needed his help. She smiles. It seems that today her younger brother will be the one to save her later in the Empire. It is reported that the island completely disappeared. A strange vortex swallowed all the nearby land. A large amount of mana was detected around the area. And although humans took part in this, the truth is that it was the power of the dragon, Silver, and the Wind Dragon. The division suspects it was Violetta from the Zippel family before the incident. It was reported that this dragon crossed the border and adds one more thing. Apparently the Wind Dragon is dead. About the mana of humans, it is about the contractors, them and their guardian dragons, and an ominous energy. It is believed this has to do with that thing they are creating. The Emperor asks about Andre and is told that they are still searching. Recently, many things are not included in the reports. They have not yet determined who the guests of Quaikentel were. The Emperor understands that it cannot be avoided. If Raz does not succeed, no one else could. Must ensure not to give anything to the press if they cannot find any. Tonight, they will present a missing person report. He is ordered to put more people from the Special Affairs Division in the Zippel territory, and they should be the good ones. Although they are on good terms, he is making things bigger than they should be. Raz should know this well. He is not very patient. Raz assures that he will meet the expectations of the Emperor of Beemont. Somewhere, Boober is heard complaining. Bishop tells him that there was a fight on the coast of Beemont between the Silver Dragon and the Wind Dragon. and as a result, the island disappeared. Instead of the island, there is a vortex, so surely the origin stone is broken. Boober is angry because they destroyed his product. He had told them not to use it carelessly until it was complete. Avish, who was annoyed that the Zipple made this mess thanks to them, he will have to postpone killing this pig. Boober noticed the killing intent from Vishkel and believed he was angry for the same reason. He, anyway, due to this, the leader is very angry, wants to reconsider the alliance with the Zipple family. So for now, they will ignore communication with them. A person sighs at the death of Andre accompanied by his fire dragon. He thinks that Andre should have fled with Boletta. He even took the origin stone. Could it be that the power of the silver dragon was beyond what they expected, or was someone else involved? The fire dragon remembers that the shadow dragon was the one who killed the guardian of the cemetery in Quincello Misha. If it's about his strength, then it makes sense. She wouldn't be scared of an origin stone, the hurricane's sister. Besides that, Kai Cantle is the ex-lover of that dragon. She is not a complete stranger to Misha, the dragon who is named Kadun. It is said that it is impossible to find the black dragons when they really want to hide. It also mentions that the man looks serene. Even when his younger brother died, he says he is sad, but he knew it would happen. He was surprised to hear that he had recently gone to Chiron's banquet, and without telling him, they will have to ask the creator of the stone to make another one if they don't have it. He won't be able to take over the Ronkano family before Chiron dies, and it's the same for the kings of the Black Sea. The man mentions that the dragon is not the only one bothered by this, who says he is behaving like a child. If he wants to take control of the world, he needs to be able to do something of that magnitude, or if he, that Lyark, wants to become the god of this world. Later back at the inn, Gilly goes out to attend the door. Jin says they are back and bring company. He asks her to prepare food. They couldn't eat anything on the way back. Upon seeing Luna, she faints from the shock. It was too much for her. She worries that they will scare her young master. Luna sees that her nanny is misinterpreting things. This means she cares a lot about Jean. Luna thinks he has a good nanny, and he comments that she is too good for him. Someone suddenly enters through the door. Kashmir sees that he is back, although he doesn't know the others. Luna introduces herself. It's a bit sudden, but she is his older sister. She says she has heard a lot about the noble sword. Kashmir is embarrassed to be recognized by that name. It is an honor to serve her. And the other person is the guardian dragon of Enia, the silver dragon. Kikantel, very nervous to meet another dragon, does not think to make the same mistake as last time. He bows to introduce himself formally. Jim apologizes. To him, he did some escort without letting him know beforehand. Although Kashmir thinks it's fine, they are already in the same boat. Kikantel asks about Enia. Kashmir explains that 3 hours ago, Latri returned. The dragon is with his daughter and Miss Enia. However, there is something strange. Latri has no memories of when he was missing. He told Alicia that he didn't remember being kidnapped. He knows for sure that Boletta said they were going to teach him the magic of the Draconian language, and then he remembers nothing else. He is in perfect condition to say that he was threatened by the Zipple family. Maybe he wasn't really kidnapped. Kikantel obtained a confession from the Zipples. They are erasing evidence, probably wiping everything related to the origin stone, including Latri's memories. It's the Zipple family's specialty when things don't go their way. They erase everything. It's an artifact they possess. Upon learning everything that happened, Jean Kashmir understands he went through a lot on his journey. There's only one reason they would fake the origin stone. They want to become God. They try to gather all the power of existing gods and destroy those who oppose them to become the one god that controls this world. Kashmir will investigate as much as he can with the 7 colors and will escort Kikantel to where Enia Jilly is, who woke up to the surprise of Jin and Murakan. As she started to remember why she fainted, she sees Luna Ronkandel in front of her, then faints again. As they get comfortable, they talk about Jean's achievements after he destroyed the underground gang. Tess and Tekin became secure. The vice president of the Zippers and Boletta were also killed. Jean managed all of that. In 2 months of becoming a reserve flag bearer, he even used magic without official recognition. If they had caught him, he would have died. It was an incredible feat. Gilly thought it was all over when Luna caught them, but she already knew everything. Luna can look the other way once Gilly asks her not to tell anything to the Patriarch, but it turns out he already knows. He knows everything from the Tessie incident to Andre's death. Soon, he will also know about Luna's involvement. Jin explains to Yili that there's no need to worry because he has something in mind. He plans to meet with his father along with his sister. Both are surprised that he decided that. Jim thinks about warning him that the Zipple family is executing a plan to attack the family. Ronkandel, Luna thinks that if it's about the origin stone, it would be better if he told her. Besides, she reminds him what it means for a reserve flag bearer to return home without permission. By doing this, he would be giving up the exam. He mentions that his father knows all of this happened because of him. Since it has come to this, it would be better to talk to him personally, and if he uses this, he can make a deal with him. Luna warns him that she is older and it's not something that would have crossed her mind to do. If the youngest keeps doing this, his father will kill him. When that time comes, Jin trusts that his sister will stop him. Luna expresses that even her family is intimidated by him. She can clearly see how hard it must have been for Gilly. Finally, she agrees and asks when they will leave. He He plans to use the first portal tomorrow. What's best is to move as quickly as possible. Since his family is made up of people who are busy going for each other's throats, Luna considers that at least she should be a caring relative to him. So with that, this sister of hers will become his shield. If it's about him, she's sure he will have thought of something. Later at the gates of the residence, Ronkindel Runtia sees that instead of persuading him otherwise, she came alongside him. She doesn't believe that story. Luna heads towards her younger brother. After this, he should be nice to her. Another of her brothers reacts poorly to the return of the youngest. He reproaches him for not caring at all a reserve standard bearer. He dared to return to the Sword Garden. This is the result of being indulgent with him. He shirks the responsibility of his position. Everyone thinks that Luna shares their opinion that this is too much. Maria assumes that the youngest renounced his right to be a standard bearer. Or maybe he was curious about what death is upon reaching puberty. She rejects the idea. They're supposed to both fight when he grows up. They ask why Luna brought the youngest with her, and she replies that he came on his own. Then they blame her for not having stopped him. She shouldn't be thoughtless just because he is. At a certain point, Luna could no longer handle Runtia, so she asked about her father. Her brother reproaches her that she really wants to die. She has only survived by pure luck. She probably thinks she's something special because she's somewhat better than the Tana brothers. Runtia sighs and indicates that her father is in his study. From here, the first banner bearer will drop his weapon. This is a strict order from the Patriarch. He said that the reserve banner bearer should go alone. This was not in their plans. Luna asks what will happen if he doesn't want to do it. They give the first banner bearer one last chance. It's an order from the Patriarch. He has to drop his weapon. He will be killed by them if he resists. Jin tells him not to worry. As a member of the Ronkindel family, not as his father's son. He came to tell him something. Nothing bad will happen. That guy must be crazy. Jane knew that his other brothers didn't know their father very well, although it goes against the rules for a reserve banner bearer to return home. His father is not one to care about rules. If he gives him the chance to explain himself, as he did last time, then there won't be any problem. Jean exhales, preparing to enter. Then he knocks on his father's study door. Chiron says he expected a lot from him and is sure he has given him 5 years. He asks why he has returned so soon. Jin had heard about this before. His father's sword energy completely annihilates his enemies. He also uses a sword made of aura. He must be showing him what will happen. After using his sword on purpose, he is gentler than Jin thought. He won't ask him twice. Jin asks if there is a reason for his son to visit his father. I can't apologize yet. Even if I die, I need confidence but not to be arrogant. I came because I missed you, father. Chiron thinks deeply about his words, wondering if he has ever heard something like that from his children before. He doesn't feel bad. He finds it immature. He assumes he has become fragile by exposing himself to the outside world, but it is the opposite. Jin has always liked his father. He feels his murderous intent. Jin fears he has said something wrong. Chiron released his energy to avoid laughing at what his son told him. He says he didn't expect this from Jin. He wants him to get straight to the point and asks what brought him here. Jin reports that the vice leader of the Sipple family, the one Chiron insulted during the banquet, is dead. He tells him that he was not the one who killed him. It was his older sister Luna, but he did create that situation. And there are a few more things he wants to report to Chiron if he is okay with it. Chiron finds it impertinent but allows him to sit down. He will listen to him. From Arking to Fement, he did many things in a short time, and the reason he came here is to say that there could be an internal movement in the Sipple family since their second-in-command is dead. That's what Chiron understands. Jin adds that Andre was not the true vice leader of their family. His older sister is strong. But to be the vice leader of the only family that can surpass the Ronkindel, he lacked power. This is only based on the feeling it gave. Jin Chiron confirms that he is right. He is just the vice leader. But you can't call him second-in-command after Arc. There is someone else in power. However, that information Chiron cannot share with Jin, although the boy is happy that his suspicions have been confirmed. Besides, he hasn't told him the most important fact yet. They have used a strange artifact Andre called the Origin Stone based on the information he gathered. It's a fake, an object that the gods made a long time ago. Then, Chiron asks him if it was Muriel who told him about this. It's not the only thing he knows. He also knows about his use of mana. Jim thought he would know about the latter, but not about Hurricane. And it's as Jim said, he really didn't know. It was just a guess that his son ended up confirming. He called it Ronkindel Butterfly. And to think that he would reduce the great black dragon to a mere cat. Getting back to the topic, it has become clear to Jiron about the Origin Stone. It is very important information. He will talk to Luna about this. Jin is unaware of how far the Cyclops can materialize the stone, but that power is dangerous. He is curious to know if the King of the Black Sea knows about this. This is a fragment of the Origin Stone. If he found out, he would have done something. Jin considers visiting the Black Sea. Chiron mentions that he will overlook the fact that he went against the rules. But since he won't be satisfied with just this, his father wants him to ask for one thing. He asks that no other Ronkindel member enter the independent city of Tikan for a while. Jiron knows that it is the place where he is secretly settled. He accepts his request. However, He will have to pass the test that the hidden master of Tikan will give him. The noble sword Kashmir wants him to make it his subordinate and prove himself. If he succeeds, he won't let any other family member Ronkandel set foot in Tikan without the patriarch's permission. The limit is 1 year. He wants to see if he can prove that he can deal with that arrogant bastard, the one who even rejected the position of master in Ronkandel. Not long after, Jin brought Kashmir very well. Chiron now knows how things were with whom he considers an arrogant bastard. Kashmir knows who he is facing, the strongest knight in the world. Chiron Ronkandel could be said to be the most worthy person of humanity. Kashmir has a stomach ache just from seeing him face to face. He gathers his courage. He is the master's guest, no need to be afraid. He wishes he wouldn't use the honorific of noble sword, just Kashmir. It's embarrassing to be called that in front of Chiron. Jin wants to explain himself, and Chiron listens. The relationship with Kashmir is like a shared destiny since Provoko is related to him. It is time for his father to fulfill his promise to Kashmir. He is scared of what Chiron might interpret by saying something like a shared destiny. One could think that Tikan belongs to him or that the Ronkandel house could have that kind of relationship with Tikan as well. He fears for the independence of his city. Now he is a wicked boy, speaks with full confidence even when he deceived his father. Jin wouldn't say he deceived him. He just had a lot of luck. Chiron admits that he passed the test from now on. No Ronkandel will set foot in Tikan without his permission upon hearing this. Kashmir is now willing to share fate with Jin. The boy thanks his father, and now that he has nothing more to say, he will leave, although Kashmir will remain the patriarch. He has something to discuss with him separately, so he will wait for him outside the building. He has left Kashmir to his fate. Now they will talk, and it will be an honor. While Jin walked down the hallway, he heard the voices of the twins. They run worried, asking if he is okay. They created a whole ruckus. They want to know if their father forgave him. Jin wants to make a request to them. It's nothing big, it's just about his cadet faction. He asks them to take care of them until he returns. They don't have to worry about him anyway. He is the same as always. He is relaxed after meeting with his father as expected. The younger one scares his brother. He is surprised that he is back. Jim returned to inform Luna that she should meet with her father. He said he had some things he would like to ask her. About that day of mine, she is upset because they are ignoring the rest. And since Jin can't say why this is so important, she is much more upset. Kashmir returns from the conversation with the patriarch. The conversation went well to everyone's relief. Miu confronts the outsider who just entered for being in the sword garden. Runtia asks him to stop. It seems that the head of the family has finished what he needed to do, which means they don't need to take things any further. Jin thanks Luna for her hard work. He is always in debt to her now. He plans to leave. He intends to give his all in his training for a while, then he'll see them soon. A month later, in the underground training room in Kashmir's mansion in the 30th duel between Jin and Alicia. Jin suffered his 30th defeat and he requested for his 31st defeat year 1795 beginning of August. The family, Zippel officially announced the deaths of Buletta and Andre, however, since they did not reveal the cause of their death, many rumors circulated. There were some saying they were murdered due to an internal political struggle and others that he was killed in a fight against the Cold Group. There was even a rumor that his murder was caused by annoying the Emperor of Beeman, although the most reliable was that they died due to a struggle with the Ronkandel family. People began to predict a war between the two families, and they talked about whether the sword or magic would prevail, and the answer to that could be found when the neutral power, the existing one, turned their back on one of them. They report to Chiron that the Prince of the Kingdom of Zhu Chen and 5 second-rate mercenary groups requested support and sent gifts. Chiron gives the order to return them and accept the request. They will give a decent sword to the Kingdom of Shuchen, and they must ensure that they sit on the throne. Later, he will then send an 8-star knight. All of this is the result of what the youngest caused. A commotion on one of the deserted islands of Beeman. He is already controlling the family. He is insolent. Chiron heads to Kan. The patriarch has plans to go back to the Black Sea after he leaves, so Kashmir sends a letter. It must be brought to him. Kan accepts his leader's order when he waved the sword 10,000 times. He needed to feel like the first. He still has shortcomings. If it weren't for his sister Luna, he would have died there. 15 years after regressing, he reached level 5 inches swordsmanship and magic, and while he will reach 5 stars in shadow energy, thinking about the things that will happen in the future is still not enough. He needs to strengthen himself in the 5 years his father gave him. He needs to be strong enough to surpass his other brothers. Kashmir approaches to ask Jean to stop. If he does this every day, even with the gifted physique of the Ronkandel family, there will be nothing left of him. Henry is here with Kashmir. She gets upset seeing Jean's hands bleeding. His skin is torn and blood is dripping. Kashmir understands that the young master is impatient. Although there is no one his age who can be his rival, his future opponents will not be normal either. However, being impatient is the worst poison. In the end, it will make him regress on the path he is taking. Jin feels sorry, even though he already knew that it is not easy. Kashmir mentions that there is nothing to be ashamed of since he is completing an amount of training that no one else can in one day. Rather, it is amazing, although it could change his training. Something that will calm him if he has a duel with someone stronger than him. Jin asks Kashmir if he is referring to himself. He replies that while everything he has been showing is a more lamentable side, he is called the Noble Sword. They will have a practice duel when he can deflect that instead. Right now, he asks him to agree to practice with the strongest guardian in Tekken. For her, it has been a while since she saw her husband's fencing. 6 months, that is the time he has to defeat his wife. Fencing, magic, and shadow energy, he can use everything he has. Julia is worried that both will fight, but her mother reassures her, saying they are just solidifying their friendship. Then Alicia asks her daughter whom she would cheer for if they both fought, and she replies that brother Jean Alicia Bacher, putting aside his physical ability, he doesn't seem that strong. Alicia wants Julia to be on her mother's side, but her daughter supports Jim because she considers him weak. Her mother taught her that she should be on the side of the weaker one and tries to be strong. Alicia asks Jean not to take it to heart. It's just that her daughter can't lie, so they agree to practice after finishing work and dinner. They will do it every day for 6 months. Jean fears taking so much time from Alicia, but she assures him that he doesn't need to worry, since the practice duels will end very soon. When the time comes, both prepare to fight. She has something to say before starting. She was previously from the Special Affairs Division of Bemin and should not hold back. Even if she loses, she must not feel discouraged. When she said it would be 6 months, there was a reason behind it. Jin does not plan to be careless. Alicia tests her opponent. She was able to block that before the hit. Jim asks if she will call a doctor. Of course. Later that night, Alicia says she is surprised. She didn't know he could attack her twice on the first day, and she didn't put much strength into her first attack. She assumes Jin was trying to weaken the ground before fighting. He was very meticulous, and about the light he used while they fought, it was an ancient spell called Veil Flash. Jin coated his sword with this before starting, although it didn't work against her. She now understands that the reason why Jim was able to defeat stronger opponents than him was not just luck. It was due to the opportunity and change created through precise calculations and predictions. She could admire him because he used it during practice. But if it had been a real fight, she could imagine the faces of her opponents clearly. Jim thinks this is the first time he has suffered a complete defeat in this life. After using every possible tactic in 6 months, he will have to defeat her. He will have to face her during that time. Kashmir listens to the conversation and takes note a month later. 22 divided by 0, 9, divided by 1790, and 5, one unprotected area to the east of the continent, the Black Sea. Cancer reports to the Patriarch. He delivers the letter from Kashmir, arrived at the castle 10 days ago to the esteemed Chiron Ronkandel. This humble knight from a small town dares to write to you. I regret not being able to express how deeply moved and grateful I currently am. It is night in Tikkun. The stars that are embedded in the dark and soft velvety night are shining as if they are singing to me about the greatness of Sir Chiron. For me, Kashmir Alfrion, humble swordsman, was told to report on the youngest. It seems he is a quite sensitive person. Cam will tell him to hold back on that when he finally reads about the youngest in the letter. He laughs a little. He wonders what he is doing on a lonely island. He can see he has been crushed by Kashmir's wife recently. The first practice ended in 3 hits. The second ended in 5, the 7th in 10, the number 2 in 25 inches, number 30, he endured 40. This letter contains up to the 40th confrontation. Kang understands he has lost quite a bit and wonders to himself if the Patriarch is amused. That youngest has lost. Chiron recounts that Kashmir's wife is from the 2nd Division of Special Affairs of Beeman. Kang assumes that the 2nd Division is not something the young master can face with just good fortune. Then he congratulates the Patriarch, and that's not all in the 40th confrontation. He says he endured 120 hits. He has surpassed his limit. If he were the firstborn, Chiron would have handed over the family without regrets. But it's a pity Kang is surprised this is the first time the Patriarch mentions the heir personally. There have been several occasions where he has continued observing, but he has never mentioned anyone specifically. The reason Joshua is in his position is because Luna stepped aside. The Patriarch did not personally point him out. Kang comments that it is still very difficult, although his growth is very remarkable. Just because it is adequate now does not mean he should be confirmed. The boy is not cold, although he has a good nature. He has a gentle temperament. Chiron agrees that part of him is different from Joshua. When necessary, one needs to be able to separate from the family. With this, the conversation ended. The Patriarch orders him to return for now before he leaves. Jiren asks him why he took so long. If the letter arrived 10 days ago, Cancer apologizes. He tried his best to arrive quickly. But due to the extreme number of monsters, it took longer than expected. Chiron assumes that will suffice. He asks that next time they arrive a day earlier. They arrived on day 93. Alicia believes that Jean is amazing. He didn't think he would push him so much. He needs to work hard to finish this within 6 months. She invites him to have dessert, but Jean says he's fine. He still has something he needs to do. He'll do that today too. She still has a long way to go. Alicia feels it every time they meet. The growth of the young master is abnormal. It's probably because his aura and magical power are growing simultaneously. And the thing that makes it possible is that black power that connects the aura and the magical power. The power gained by making a contract with a god. Even if that power is amazing, it only makes sense because of his resilience, a hard-working genius. At this rate, she can forget about the